The world has always been ruled by three types of people: the talented, the rich, and a special type. In this world, players fight monsters to level up and earn money. They fight live in front of thousands of viewers. At the most difficult moment of the battle, the long-awaited Lee Sol appeared on the mountain. Lee Sol sang a magical song and the God Lottery was immediately activated. This is how the preparation of a random skill began. Spectators were envious that the magicians had items that were worth a fortune. Several fighters rushed forward, but they were immediately met by an enraged dragon. The third type of people are those who are always lucky. And Lee Sol was given the Goddess of Victory's fighting skill. The heroine, in her new image, attacked the monster and killed 2 of its heads. Other magicians came to the rescue and released streams of fire from themselves. The guild leader ordered everyone to retreat as he was about to finish the battle. When the friends retreated, the leader changed his appearance to a more powerful one. From the reaction of the audience, it was clear that this look was very rare and expensive. The leader summoned the fire dragon emerging from the seal to achieve victory. The dragon immediately released a stream of fire towards the enemy. The remaining head of the monster was completely destroyed by the fire beam. So the guild won this battle and completed the raid faster than anyone else. The participants waited for a message from the system that the dragon had been destroyed. Lee Hyun, who is the main character, participated in this battle through the system. When he received a call telling him how much he would earn for the raids, he was angry at the low pay. Hyun agreed to another raid, but only if they raised his price. The interlocutor could not do anything, since all financial issues are decided by the guild. The main character's friend Ju Hyuk came to him and was worried about Hyun's behavior. Hyun complained that he would have to work as a shield in the raid for the entire month, and he envied him. According to a friend, only 1 million players can provide themselves with raids. He reassured Hyun that he had obvious talent in the game, which made him highly sought after by guilds. Lee Hyun thought about it and realized that he definitely had some talent. Compared to other games, God Wars does not have an auto-aiming system, which makes the game easier. For former baseball players like Hyun, this gives him an advantage, allowing him to level up faster. Before the hero was forced to retire due to a serious injury, he was quite a famous athlete. Hyun told his friend that he could definitely do better in this game. Hyuk Ju remembered that his friend had been developing his character Midas for over 5 years. According to him, Hyun got this magical character by spending money in a card lottery. Hyun promised that he would never do such a thing for a game character. Now he has one path that he must take and protect his beloved family. Ju also spoke about a novella in which the hero dies after being betrayed by a friend and returns to the past for revenge. It was already late outside and Hyun decided to go home. On the way, he thought about the story he had just learned about. If this happened to Hyun, he would simply buy a few shares to make money. While he was lost in thought, he didn't notice a van flying towards him. The truck driver reacted in time and crashed into a pole, missing Hyun. Fortunately, Hyun survived, and passers-by immediately rushed to his aid. The main character broke out in a sweat because he had just almost returned to the past, just like in the novella. He considered himself lucky today, but he didn't notice that a pole was falling behind him. The pole fell near Hyun, but the wires fell right into it. A second later, a bright flash occurred at the place where the hero stood, and a loud scream was heard. When the young man came to, he swore to heaven that today was the luckiest day of his entire life. In 2034, the virtual reality game the world had been waiting for so long was released. This game is about wars of the gods, and in it you need to level up the player by completing raids and killing monsters there. Over the years, the game has significantly changed the sporting and cultural spheres. The total number of users has now exceeded 2 billion players. For some people, gaming has become a way to make a living. Then, at the scene of the accident, Lee Hyun lost consciousness and woke up sometime later. When he opened his eyes, he was greeted by a doctor who explained what had happened. The doctor discharged Hyun because he only had a burn and told him to pay the medical bills. Hyun was angry because he managed to avoid 2 accidents, but he couldn't avoid spending money. These expenses were unnecessary, since Hyun considers himself the poorest person in the world. He was grateful that at least yesterday he had not been hurt, because all he had was his body. The hero returned to his house, put his hand to the door, but the data was not readable. Yesterday the system worked perfectly, but today it is giving errors. When the door opened, Hyun promised himself that he would move out of this rented apartment as soon as he became rich. The hero was met at the threshold of his apartment by his little niece, Hae Lin. Hyun's brother, Jung Tae-won, has been worried for the second day that Hyun was hospitalized. The protagonist decided not to tell the truth, saying that he simply slipped. He decided to leave this conversation and change the subject to the door lock that was not reading the data. Chung Tung assured his brother that this could not be, since the system could not make mistakes. He explained that the castle used the same biological algorithm as the God Wars capsules. Hyun suddenly ran to the capsule cafe because he realized that his data had disappeared not only from the door, but also from his game account. He tried to enter the cafe, but the system prohibited him from doing so, and Hyun was immediately notified of an attempted break-in. This call was from God Warrior support, and it seems like everything around here is related to that game. Biometric data are unique indicators of a person. This is the best way to verify your identity, as the data cannot be faked. The protagonist found it strange that his data suddenly stopped matching. He remembered the moment when yesterday, after his friend, he had been thinking for a long time about the novella. Jong-hyun suggested that the data loss was due to the electric shock he received. He developed his character over a long period of time, investing all the money he had. Remembering his happy family, Hyun promised himself that he would not give up for her now. He decided to forget his dream of becoming a miner or something like that. If Hyun tries hard, he will be able to provide his family with the basic necessities. He went to Hyuk-ju and asked him to turn on the game capsule again. The young man still has his character creation card and can start from scratch. They say that the world of God Wars is much better than the real one, but Hyun didn't see much of a difference. The system suggested that he create a new hero, and the young man again named him Midas. If players don't have money, it's better not to play the game, because even creating a character is expensive. People want a comfortable life in the gaming world, even if it is too expensive. Hyun now needs to choose which god he will worship in the game. To succeed in the game, you either have to be rich or lucky. Jong-hyun needs to decide whether he will also be a mage or choose another class. He decided not to attach much importance to the choice, since he would still be a miner. This time, when choosing cards, the system gave the hero a golden Archmage card. After this, Hyun received a notification that the Battle Dragon had accepted him as its follower. Due to his worship of the Battle Dragon, the Lord of Magic, Hyun can learn any magic. Before this incident, the only player to receive the Archmage was Asmo, who spent thousands of dollars on it. Other players were disappointed that they didn't get the Archmage class. They knew that legendary classes were only available to very rich people like Asmo. Realizing what was happening, Hyun decided to forget about the mine, because now he had to quickly level up and go on raids. Suddenly, the system forced him to undergo training, and Hyun assumed it was a temporary malfunction. In the training quest, you need to survive an orc invasion for 71 minutes. This information was hidden from the players, but Lin Jong-hyun can now see it. In the God Wars, any secret information is highly valued. For a moment, the young man thought that he was dreaming all this, and he hoped otherwise. When the training began, the players saw a line of orcs in front of them. At level 1, it is impossible to defeat these monsters, so players simply need to avoid dying. Hyun noticed hidden indicators above the orcs' heads that showed which player the monster was attacking. The players were in a rosy dream world that ultimately resulted in high spending. It is during training that a beginner fully understands the reality of the game. Players without hidden rules thought the tutorial would end when the monster killed them. Meanwhile, several monsters were running after Hyun, but he had enough strength to escape from them. During this modest run, Hyun learned that he could also see hidden items and monster stats. The red indicator means an active attack, and the green color indicates that the monster is disinterested. When a monster's indicator suddenly changes color, it means that the player has become its target. The orc attacked, but Hyun had a method he had learned for 5 years. The hero waited for the test to end, but only 10 minutes had passed on the timer. Hyun records everything on camera, and the recording shows that no one else knows about the hidden information. With monster status windows, mood indicators, and 5 years of experience, Hyunwoo isn't that hard to beat. An hour later, Hyun played the recording, which showed him shedding tears of joy. He was the only player to pass this test and survive for 72 minutes. The game monitors the health of its users, and Hyun was forcibly kicked out due to a rapid heartbeat. The young man decided to immediately calm his pulse, but he didn't have time, as Hyuk noticed it and suspected something. The young man explained to his friend that he was starting over because his 5-year-old expensive account had been blocked. He can't tell others about his ability, otherwise the developers won't leave him alone. Besides the developers, he will be pursued by jackals obsessed with money. Hyun realized that he had gained this ability due to an accident and took it as a chance to start over. This is the last chance to change the miserable life for the sake of Hyun and Hae-lin. The hero finds himself in a city of newcomers as an Archmage, of which there are no more than 100 in the world. First, he needs to go to the Explorers Guild to level up and go on raids. After looking around the town, he saw a magical glow under the tree. There was a dog lying under the tree that was wounded. It was a high-ranking legendary quest. Previously, the main character had only heard about this quest from rumors. Thanks to the quest, he won't have to worry about money for a whole month. Under the tree there was a sick puppy who had lost his owner. The hidden information indicated that it was a wolf. To complete the quest, Hyun needs to bring the puppy a recovery potion. If the young man had not seen the hidden information, he would have passed by like everyone else. To help the puppy, Hyun still needs to visit the Explorers Guild. This guild is in charge of most of the quests in this area. Players with legendary quests exchange them for in-game currency. The guild could not manage all the players and legendary quests. The guild eventually fled. She went to the newcomers' town to help them adjust to the game. Using this city as a base, the guild began to expand its scope of activities. She helped the players improve their image, and later, they started to be written about in the news. The developers created a policy of non-interference in the game, but the guild still became an official assistant. This guild is the reason why Hyun didn't want to create another account. The hero went to the Explorers Guild, where he was given a list of tasks. 2 men were waiting for him on the street, interested in his new quest. Hyun wanted to get the quest with Hayden, but it was already completed. But he found a hidden quest that could gain Hayden's favor for 30 goblin skins. With Hyun's high stats, it was easy to deal with the goblins. The system informed him that God was closely watching his growth. For his rapid growth, God gave him another lottery of skills. A lottery is given to the player every time he reaches a level. There is not a single unique card among these cards, but one of the cards has attack magic that the hero has used before. He chose her and received the Fireball skill. After the lottery, he decided to go on the last hidden quest. At the guild, he was again met by the red-haired man and the local elder. The hero lied to the redhead, saying that he almost died trying to kill the goblin. At that time, the man had no doubt that he was dealing with a newbie without experience. He assumed that Hyun would become one of the guild's cash cows. Suddenly, the man heard that the young man had managed to acquire 30 goblin skins. The elder also asked the hero to bring him the rare indignation of the goblin. Chong Hyun bought 30 skins at once because they weren't selling in 10 packs. He spoke of compensation for 20 skins, since the man only needed 10. The man refused him because the incident was his fault. The hero played a role in which he wanted to get support from these people. He also pretended to be upset about buying 20 extra skins. Now, no one will definitely interfere with his goals. Moments later, he brought the goblin's indignation to the elder. For this, the elder gave him a restorative resurrection potion. This potion will help the young man complete the legendary quest. He gave the wolf cub something to drink, and hoped that it would thank him with a skill card. After this, the wolf recognized Hen, and he received the title of Master of the Divine Beast. The hero was upset by such a gift but kept the puppy for himself, naming him Lucky. While meeting the puppy, Hyun's heart rate increased and the system kicked him out of the game. After leaving, the young man withdrew into himself and did not notice strangers. Everyone assumed he was like this since his account was blocked. Meanwhile, the hero was thinking about the puppy, which is a Fenrir. Fenrir is the most powerful divine beast in the game, with no equal. Hyun had a rare chance to get both the archipelago and the Fenrir. The hero's niece called him and told him urgent news. Judging by Hyun's face, this news concerned his brother. Soon he went to the hospital to see his brother, where Haylin was already there. The doctor reported that the man's blood pressure had dropped due to heart failure. Only now did Hyun learn that his brother had a pacemaker. The hero spent the night in a cardiology center with his niece. He couldn't sleep because all his thoughts were occupied with money. All his problems ultimately come down to money. The next day, the hero went to the hunting grounds for beginners. He immediately introduced his new wolf cub to all the newcomers. After healing the beast, Hyun realized that they no longer needed a guild. He now has a companion who can lure monsters on his own. For completing the achievement, the god of Archmages awarded the hero a skill card. The hero accepted this gift and the lottery was scattered before him again. Among hundreds of cards, Hyun saw one unique one. This exclusive skill helps mages move objects using telekinesis. By moving objects in the air, you can hinder the enemy's movement. However, only telekinetic mages can learn this card, but the hero still decided to get it. After the lottery, Hyun decided to return to goblin hunting. The hunt began with Lucky killing several animals on his own. Hyun only helped his wolf with fireballs. These monsters seemed too weak to Lucky. The hunt is going much better than expected. Hyun decided that nothing would happen if they went deeper into the forest. A warning immediately popped up that the boss would appear in an hour. Raiding the boss helps players get more valuable rewards. Only top players can participate in the most difficult raid. This raid is comparable to an unattainable star in the sky. Only a few can win and receive rewards. The hero still has a long way to go to become such a player. He decided to talk about the situation with the boss in the community. He was tormented by the thought that he himself could get through this boss. Now Hyun and Lucky have already caught all the monsters that could interfere with them. He decided to be greedy for the first time and go on a raid himself. Previously, he always chose only safe paths. Hyun is tired of missing out on the opportunities that come his way. Besides, he had seen goblin boss raids many times. He knows every step of the boss and has a loyal assistant. After 5 minutes, he made a decision and went forward. When the hour had passed, the boss began to approach. A multicolored enhanced monster came into the light. After the first attack, the boss fell into a trap. It was arranged by Hyun and Lucky. This was done in order to break the boss with fire. Since the boss was in a pit, it was convenient for the young man to throw fireballs into it. This is the only monster that changes its tactics and defeats all newcomers. It's much easier for Hyun because he knows all the boss's secret tricks. Within minutes, the boss was completely engulfed in flames. When the fire died down, the monster was undamaged. The wolf bit his arms and threw him down. The boss held on and remained alive with critical health. He made a dash and jumped out of the hole. Hyun knew that the boss's attacks would change dramatically now. It took the young man a couple of minutes to gain the upper hand. It was easy because the boss is at the beginner level. Thanks to this victory, the hero received several titles and awards. Suddenly, the boss's body lit up and flew upwards. A goblin mask appeared in front of the young man as a reward. After the raid, Hyun valued the rewards at $1,000. He would have worn these items himself if it weren't for the medical bills. Suddenly, he received a call from the insurance company informing him of compensation for the electric shock. Hyun's life and health were insured for a large sum. After that, he went to a friend to deposit money into his gaming account. He wasn't afraid to spend money because he had invented a bunch of symptoms for himself. The company promised to pay for all illnesses caused by the current. In the end, he received a sum equal to a month's salary. He entered the game again, in the Goblin Forest. He immediately killed a group of monsters with fire. When fire was ineffective, Hyun took out an ice bow. The ice arrow pierced the monsters' shields perfectly. While the hero was killing the goblins, he didn't notice one of them approaching him. The goblin swung his knife, but Lucky reacted immediately. The wolf cub gives real security to its owner. After killing the goblins, the hero received their things. Unique items can only be obtained in boss fights. The hero wants such objects to fall from the sky. Suddenly, a guy ran out of the bushes asking for help. He was being pursued by a giant with a mace. Without mercy, the giant struck the young man with his mace and killed him. The giant was one of the dead boy's comrades. It turns out they kill weak players for profit. Now they had a player from a famous guild in captivity. The killers wanted to kill him and take his uniform. The guy wanted to call for help but was suddenly killed. Hyun knew that these people didn't leave the newbie city even after reaching level 10. They are wasting their time because they just enjoy killing weak people. At this level, Hyun doesn't want to fight them. Earlier, Hyun and Lucky defeated the boss on their own. The hero wonders whether the killers are stronger than his dog or not. The killers passed through the forest and came out to the other players. They started hunting with those people who were closest. The giant with the mace was the main attacker. When he swung at the girl, he was engulfed in flames. None of the killers understood where the fire came from. The main character greeted everyone and introduced himself as an Archmage. He went live and the killers began hiding their account names. Hyun, without thinking, knocked one of them away with an ice blast. Assassins know that only Archmages can use two skills at once. They assumed that this was a rich guy's account. Lucky grabbed the remaining killer by the neck. The man told Hyun that he recognized his skills as an Archmage. Before he died, he promised that he would remember Hyun's name forever. His death was caused by a blow from an ice arrow. Low karma of opponents has increased the number of items available in the lottery. A lottery with skill cards appeared above the bodies of the killers. The hero is glad that he achieved justice and received a bunch of items for it. In the past, the choice of a card depended on luck, but now the hero sees everything himself. Hyun sees the most valuable cards among the regular ones. He took items that go well with the goblin mask. These items and the mask increased his stats by several %. In the past, a hero could only obtain such stats after reaching a high level. Lucky behaved strangely while receiving the award. The system notified that the beast had gained new strength. Beast power cards appeared in front of the hero for selection. He chose a unique map and Lucky became a treasure hunter. Now the wolf can sense rare hidden treasures. It reminded Hyun of Guildmaster Lapo and his beast. His assistant was quite good at finding hidden objects in the dungeon. Most likely, he got lucky thanks to the treasure hunter skill. Now is the perfect time to test out Lucky's new skill. The wolf cub, with his keen eyesight, discovered a rare mushroom and grass. Hyun can sell these ingredients at the highest price. Lucky also discovered a deep cave. In the hidden information, the hero saw that this was the hideout of a goblin shaman. It was a unique dungeon that no one had ever gone through. He immediately decided that he would sell this information and make money for a whole month. He still realized that he couldn't call himself a player if he sold it for money. He himself will go and clear out this dungeon. There were several dozen goblins inside the dungeon. A level 16 goblin shaman sat on the throne. Lucky immediately pounced on the first goblin he came across. Hyun countered his attack with a fire strike. He announced to the audience that he was starting a raid. Lucky did an excellent job of being a hunter. Hyun noticed that the boss had low stamina. However, the boss uses magic while his subordinates buy time. If the hero manages his timing correctly, he will kill him in an instant. He waited for the right moment and struck with fire. The goblin boss couldn't resist the fireball. With his last energy, he prepared a serious attack. Lucky didn't let him finish his preparations. This pause was enough for Hyun to deliver his winning blow. Soon, the system said that the goblin shaman had been destroyed. The goblin rose to his feet and addressed Hyun. He shouted throughout the dungeon that he had returned again. He announced the beginning of the War of the Gods. After that, he began to smolder before Hyun and Lucky's eyes. For this dungeon, the hero received valuable rewards. Now he has a unique goblin shaman staff. Hyun was upset that this staff could not be sold. The young man also saw that the main script section had been created. The creator of the game, Kim Min, simply wanted to write a story. He didn't really care about money. It was purely a personal interest. He died soon after, and people never understood what he wanted to convey with this game. Now the main scenario is happening before Hyun's eyes. From the beginning of the game, everyone was searching for the main scenario without success. Several people tried to find him in Newbie City. If the Explorers Guild hadn't intervened in the city, the scenario would have been found earlier. Someone else, not Hyun Jung, would have done this. Hyun decided to choose a skill card first. He got a card with a transformation into captured creatures. The hero of the main scenario is Jung, who is at the exit from the city. Hyun went to him, fearing to meet the Explorers Guild. Jung's house is like an example of a single-player dungeon. Jung met Hyun and invited him to go out into the big world. The hero first asked him about the traces of the nameless god. Jung said that this is what they call those who lost in the War of the Gods. They have descended from the throne and are forever erased from the memory of people. Before their defeat, they left their legacy. Smelling the scent of legends, Hyun wanted to hear about legacy. Jung also tried unsuccessfully to find traces of them for a long time. He took off the ring and gave it to Hyun because it might help. This ring must be given to the girl Sakalin, and then she will show you the right path. Thus began the main scenario for Hyun. Jung created a seal, and through it released the young man from this city. A bright beam immediately flew out of the house, which signified Hyun's flight. Everyone thinks that the game starts when the player leaves the newbie town. Besides the main character, many players ended up here. This place is called the City of Vega. Hyun's appearance here, and his strange behavior confused everyone around. The young man did not waste time and came to Sakalin's house. He was met by Sakalin, who was wary of his arrival. Hyun showed the girl the ring Jung had given him, and she calmed down. The system immediately notified him that the quest was completed. According to the Sakalin mission, the hero needs to kill 10,000 orcs outside the city. The young man did not want to waste time on this long task. In the hidden mission, Hyun saw that he had to kill orcs until he made a certain discovery. He needs to find a fragment of the nameless god. Hyun immediately went to fight the goblins. He must kill to get a random item. The required item will drop with a low probability if you hit orcs at random. Hyun has the ability to see hidden information and he just needs to find the right goblin. The problem was that such a goblin had been found before him. Hyun can't take it by force out of respect for the players. Suddenly, the warrior who was beating this goblin began to disappear. The system kicked him out because he had been in the game for more than 5 hours. With his release, the needed goblin became free. Hyun hoped that everything would be easier than he thought. Players were forced out of the game one by one. Several players survived and fought to the end. Hyun drew the audience's full attention to them. He announced that he was going to help this group of people. The survivors hoped that this streamer would save them. Hyun's goal was not to save him, but to get closer to this goblin. He rushed into battle with an ice arrow. Lucky knew that he would play a major role in this battle. Hyun made the first attack, but the goblin remained on his feet. Previously, the hero survived in this game for 5 years without any luck. Then, as now, he relied only on his own strength. If he launched an ice arrow at the goblin and took up fire, with such skills the orcs were no match for him. A moment later, the system reported that the orc had been destroyed. At that moment, the eliminated player returned. He was surprised that the players were able to kill the goblin without his help. After the necessary explanations, he thanked Hyun for his help. Now Hyun needs to sort out some things to win the situation. There is a rule in the game that the first attacker takes the monster's items. According to the rule, Hyun is left without a reward. He pretended to be broadcasting live. He whispered sadly that the spectators were asking to see the award for the fight. He said loudly into the switched-off camera that the awards rule was unfair. The rescued players talked and decided to reward the hero. They allowed Hyun to take all the awards as a token of gratitude. The young man's acting worked 100%. Among the items received was the one that Hyun needed for the task. When the hero started to leave, players inquired about his account. They wanted to promote Hyun's channel to their friends. The young man returned to Sakalin and gave her a piece of stone. The girl didn't expect that the newcomer would manage to find the shard. The system thanked Hyun for completing the quest. She handed him a level up and a skill card. The skill card lottery appeared in front of Hyun again. He received a unique long throw card. This skill will help when hunting large monsters. He decided to inquire why Sakhalin needed this fragment. She said that traces of the nameless god were difficult to find because of the barrier. Only those who once followed them can come close to their tracks. Sakhalin suggested that the barrier could be broken. Hyun realized that he could pretend to be a follower to do this. The girl handed the hero a ring from the fragment of the nameless god. It allows one to pass through the barrier on the altar of the nameless god. Sakhalin warned that things could be too dangerous. No danger will stop Hyun. Suddenly he saw that a new quest had appeared in the main scenario. Now you need to find the altar in the forest and uncover its secrets. For this quest, Hyun will receive a legendary skill card. This means that the quest is insanely difficult. Hyun and Lucky will be able to find the altar in a matter of minutes. Without wasting time, the heroes went to the fish forest. Lucky immediately found the entrance to the hidden altar. It was an altar for the worship of a god whose name is still unknown. For this quest, Hyun will receive the source of the fish smell. The reward will be awarded after defeating the rotting orc. Hyun can't enter inside until he reaches level 20. At the moment he is only at level 11. The young man decided that he would return here when he was well prepared. He went further and witnessed the battle between the players and the orcs. Hyun started playing this game 5 years ago. He had a hard time trying to keep up with his comrades. Soon, rich players began buying up all the good items and skills. Thus, the gap between the players began to widen even more. Then Hyun hated those rich people. Probably other players think the same way now. He looked around and chose an easy target for himself. Hyun used an ice arrow in his first attack. To seal the damage, he launched a fireball. The fire instantly destroyed the target. After this attack, Hyun suddenly leveled up. Other players began to discuss the newcomer who was causing a ruckus in the fish forest. They were sure that he was just a rich gambler. They became curious about what the reward would be for killing the Archmage. Hyun felt the discussions about him. Suddenly, one of the orcs ran towards him to attack. Hyun was ready to meet him with fire. He began to kill orcs with just one blow. This fight brought him to level 20. He won the legendary dragon prize in the lottery. This will allow Hyun to deal increased damage. At first, he just had a long throw. Dragon's dignity now increases all damage and range. Each of Hyun's companions will also receive an attack power boost. The young man plans to earn money and send Hae-Lin to school. In addition, his family will move to a new house and buy a car. Hyun and Lucky came to the entrance of the hidden altar again. The hero lowered his hand into the hole and his ring lit up. The game informed that Hyun had encountered the border of the dungeon. The entrance suddenly collapsed, and Hyun and Lucky fell down. After entering, the hero immediately killed a dozen orcs. After that, he came across the boss's room. All of his stats dropped by 10%. Hyun felt weak from the foul smell. A rotting monster emerged from a pile of rubbish. This orc separates Hyun from the legendary card. The monster has increased health, which makes the challenge more difficult. His health is 30 times stronger than that of ordinary orcs. The monster attacked Hyun but missed. He was too big but terribly slow. His speed is inversely proportional to his health. Hyun was confident that success would not be long in coming. He wanted to defeat the orc in just 2 seconds. He started the fire, but the orc took almost no damage from it. The monster is easy to kill, but it takes time. In the end, Hyun killed the rotting monster and received the reward. He immediately reported his successes to Sakhalin. She handed him a book with important skills. The hero told Sakhalin that the monster had spoken strange words. The orc spoke of a weapon that could complete his myth. Sakhalin promised to tell secrets in exchange for a favor. She created a new main scenario quest. Hyun needs to kill the orc assassin, and then he will receive the title of the Almighty Class. The Orc Slayer is considered a trophy that confirms that the player belongs to the Rising Star. Hyun won't be able to kill him alone yet. He decided to find a group for this task. Still, he decided to go on the raid alone. He didn't want to waste time on stupid players. Hyun is confident that he can handle all the difficulties with Lucky too. Suddenly, a question mark appeared above Lucky. It turned out that Lucky wants to evolve and improve his characteristics. At this stage, Lucky has killed only 400 monsters. Previously, you had to kill 1,000 monsters to evolve. Hyun believed that after Lucky's evolution, he could defeat the orc assassin single-handedly. The heroes went to kill monsters. Hyun understands that he won't be able to kill even 400 orcs in an hour. He decided to choose his first victim. There he decided to test his skill, which Sakhalin had given him. Until this moment, the hero had simply been mindlessly throwing fire. Hyun now has the Dragon's Eye, which allows him to see his target's weak points. The eye worked and a target appeared on the goblin's head. Hyun killed the orc with one blow at close range. He left the game and pretended to have met with failure. His friend immediately encouraged him and got him talking. He asked him about the fish forest that Hyun had recently been to. He reported that the forest no longer smelled so bad. Hyun decided that this happened because he killed the boss. It turns out that the main scenario can influence the world. Other players may notice that someone is completing the main scenario quests. Therefore, the hero needs to kill the orc killer as soon as possible. Soon he killed the 440th orc. After the murders, Lucky's body ignites with renewed vigor. Lucky has evolved into a large spirit wolf. Now the hero needs to choose a new power for the dog. A group of people signed a contract to destroy an orc killer together. The orc appeared, and players lined up to kill him. Suddenly, they saw someone trying to kill the orc alone. It was Hyun who went after the monster alone. He had no doubt that the new Lucky would defeat the orc. Lucky decided to engage in mortal combat with the orc. Because of this, the enemy cannot attack anyone except the divine beast. Hyun waited for his pet to complete this quest. He decided to help Lucky and found the orc's weak spot. He threw a fireball into this weak spot. The other players decided to go and look at this loser. They knew he had no chance of winning on his own. Hyun's fiery strike crushed the orc. The boss moved to the next stage of attack. Now he has become much stronger than he was before. He was even able to push Lucky away from himself. The wolf was used by the hero as a way to distract the enemy. When the orc was distracted, Hyun struck him again. The fire strike killed the orc assassin, and Hyun completed the quest. For this, he received the legendary title of Orc Slayer. Hyun came to Sakhalin and reported the victory. The girl was surprised that there wasn't a single scratch on the hero. For this quest, she rewarded him with her ring. The ring improves stats and increases damage. Sakhalin suggested moving on to the main issue. Since the beginning of the game, many players have gone to battle for the sake of their gods. Some of them have achieved high results. There was someone who was able to do what no one else could. In every battle, he brings benefit to the god he serves. He was an object of terror to his enemies. He was unable to end the war of the gods. Sakhalin is confident that something must end this war. Now Hyun has received the title of Knower of the Almighty class. Sakhalin gave another task to tell more about this story. Hyun needs to kill 1,000 orcs in the forest. He thought he just needed to find the right item. But in the description, he did not see the hidden information about the search. Sakhalin repeated again that Hyun must kill 1,000 orcs. Hyun knew he couldn't kill that many orcs even in a month. He got angry and was thrown out of the game. A friend told Hyun that his phone was ringing. Heylin's niece was on the line. She reported that she was awarded for an exhibition of drawings. Ten-Won, who was already healthy, also got in touch. Hyun suggested that he celebrate the occasion. He decided to visit his family first, and then go into battle. The next day he returned to Hyuk again. Hyuk talked about a popular video. The video shows a wealthy player fighting a boss alone. Hyun pretended to be against such rich daredevils. He asked Huk who this player was killing. A friend reported an orc killer, and Hyun was shocked. A famous girl discussed this video live on air. The video featured an orc killer and a wolf cub named Lucky. According to the girl, this fight showed how much the players put into the game. She believed that the wolf played the role of the main player. The audience was against this rich duo. In this fight, Hyun tried to remain hidden. The video has garnered 15,000 views. If Hyun had suggested this, he would have posted the video himself. Hyuk was angry at the player in the video, but Hyun stood up for him. The hero said that this guy could be a good person. He previously believed that all rich gamblers should be run over by a train. Hyun changed the topic and decided to enter the game. He found himself in a dark forest to complete the Sakhalin quest. Hyun immediately killed several orcs. Because of this, the ice arrow increased its level. Hyun killed only 74 orcs out of 1,000. Suddenly, Lucky felt a stranger. The man's name was Yushi, and he was kind to Hyun. He said that he needed to kill 100 orcs for a task. He asked Hyun for help, and he happily agreed. The hero saw that for this task, Yushi would receive a book with skills. Soon, Hyun reached the number of 200 orcs. After the quest, Hyun and Lucky returned to Viga. There, they collected all the rewards for the victory over the orcs. Hyun got a rare Fire Master card. After receiving the rewards, the hero exited the game. He was happy that he received a ballista as a reward. It increases magic damage if the mage player does not move. Suddenly, Hyun received 10 messages on his account. He thought it was because of the video of the orc killer. Many people wanted to buy the rights to this exclusive video. This offer came from a rising star. This is a popular channel with video reviews and news. Their main content is promising newcomers. With this contract, Hyun won't have to worry about money. Rising Star's president, Park Lin, believed that Hyun had invested a lot of money into the game. He attributed Hyun's victory to the presence of the spirit beast. Park thought he had sent a contract offer to a multimillionaire player. He was ready to give any amount for the sake of friendship with such a person. Suddenly, Hyun agreed to cooperate. Park wanted his channel to become more popular because of Hyun's videos. Meanwhile, the hero calmly dealt with the goblins. He defeated the orcs and completed another quest. Sakhalin later asked him what he was thinking about during the fight. Hyun guessed that the cursed forest was under the influence of the nameless god. He remembered that the rotting orc at the altar of this god was the cause of the fishy smell. Now Sakhalin ordered to find out why the forest is cursed. Hyun couldn't believe that the girl didn't reward him for 1,000 orcs. she still gave him a book that would help him in the test. In addition, Hyun received a double spell card. This card has always cost a lot of money. After the game launched, item prices were not immediately determined. To evaluate skill cards, you had to try them out yourself. There were many tests of everyone's skills to create a constant price. Meanwhile, Pak also wanted to buy a video from the raid on the Orc Shaman. By his calculations, Hyun spent 50,000 on items and skills. Park wants him and Hyun to spend each other's money on each other. Meanwhile, Hyun acquired an Orc Assassin set. He spent some money on cards and can now fire 3 ice arrows and a fire spear. He spent all the funds because he found financial support for himself. Hyun took the contract as a chance to become a star. Now he faces a single battle with a serious enemy. In the dungeon, he met members of the Explorers Guild. These people immediately recognized him as the Archmage with the wolf. Hyun thanked their guild for keeping him alive. The players decided that he simply wanted to appease them. Previously, the guild ordered its subordinates to never associate with this Archmage. On top of that, Hyun handed them a stress potion. The players thought this potion was worth a fortune. Someone was watching this moment from the side. He didn't like that Hyun was so polite to those bad players. The observer realized that Hyun was taking advantage of the guild's position and protection. He decided never to contradict him, so as not to become a victim of the guild. Only Hyun knew that the guild players had drunk the free potions. He made it look like he had a guild behind him. It will take a week, and Hyun must finish by then. The battle between the orcs and the newcomers soon began. On the battlefield, there was an orc with several pairs of arms and heads. Hen destroyed the small group with a lightning strike. Then a fiery spear flew, which killed the main orc. Lucky dealt with the rest of the goblins perfectly. During this battle, Hyun reached level 30. The battle dragon gave him a new skill lottery. Hyun drew a power card that increased the range of all skills. This is useful for all players with mage skills. The hero would like to test his power on Lucky. But the amplifier can only be used on the player's skills. There was only one zombie left on the battlefield. The other players were confident that they could handle him in a second. One hero scanned the area and noticed that there was no one around. He drew his bow and was ready to destroy the lone zombie. Suddenly, fire flew from the side at the zombie. The leader of the group accused the young man of lying because there was someone nearby. The warrior reported that they were alone within a radius of 50 meters. The leader was perplexed because no one in their group used fire. The heroes realized that the ball had flown more than 50 meters. Hyun's attack was successful as the ball hit the target, missing the 100 meters. Still, the might skill is a very useful enhancement. It also turned out that Lucky's strength was also increased by the card. At his current level, Hyun can easily defeat the required orc. In this same dungeon, the leader of that very group tortured a young man. He wanted to take revenge on him for finishing off their monster. According to him, this guy waited in the bushes, attacked the monster with fire, and then collected the reward later. The players thought that it was the one who launched the fire at the orc. One of the players believed that no one could kill an orc in one hit. Suddenly, everyone saw the news that the Archmage wanted to kill the Hermit Shaman. Hyun went live and announced his plans. He wants to kill the Hermit Shaman alone today. He wanted to add some show to this boring and easy murder. This time, he wants to kill the orc without a single blow. This means that the attack will be carried out with skills from a long distance. Lightning and a stream of fire attacked one of the shaman's heads. The shaman struck with his staff and revived his slain assistants. Lucky didn't let the shaman finish the spell. The hero took advantage of the pause and activated an enhanced dual skill. He dealt damage to the small orcs with an ice arrow and lightning. This did not affect the outcome of the battle with the shaman. The dragon's eye informed Hyun that the orc was 60 meters away. The hero told the audience that he would now become a brutal killer. He showed a fire attack that is impossible at this level. The shaman screamed throughout the entire area from his injuries. The Players Guild quietly watched Hyun's success. They knew that the hero would receive a good reward for the hermit. The leader ordered his assistants to deal the final blow to the orc. This needs to be done when the shaman enters the zombie build phase. This phase means that the shaman gathers all the zombies into one pile. Zombies will only attack if the player attacks their leader. Players wanted to steal the final blow while Hyun was surrounded by zombies. Unsuspecting, Hyun waited until the assembly phase. He pretended to be in no hurry to kill the orc. He has long noticed that players want to take his victory. He has a workaround for this case. The players believed in his acting and thought he didn't notice them. Suddenly, Hyun armed himself and ran towards the monster. A second later, his axe was stuck into the shaman's neck. Hyun was proud that he was able to kill such an orc single-handedly. He announced on air that the Explorers Guild had helped him. The players were afraid that this guild would catch them and take revenge for Hyun. They decided not to interfere and quickly disappeared. Deception helped Hyun avoid trouble. Having won, he returned to Sakhalin. He said he was very afraid that the trick wouldn't work. Then he would not have defeated the Hermit Shaman alone. Sakhalin was of little interest, since she was giving Hyun another task. The hero found out why the forest was cursed. He blamed the curse on this stone. Sakhalin touched the stone and her hand began to burn. The heroine praised Hyun for the correct answer. As a reward, she gave him a strange stick. The Sakhalin staff will increase all of Hyun's magical stats. It turned out that the stone rejects Sakhalin's mana. He has a strong bond with his owner. In such a situation, Sakhalin should make a compass. She sent Hyun to the quarry to look for the blacksmith Zug. After the dialogue, the hero sent Pak a video recording of the shaman's murder. Pak noticed that the video with the shaman and the video with the orc killer were very different. In this video, Hyun has changed his equipment and gained new skills. Park was sure that there were rich people behind Hyun. His assistant suggested that Hyun wanted to turn them down for the deal. Then Park asked him to change Hyun's video to make it look richer. Meanwhile, Hyun came to a quarry that trains experienced players. There were never any normal monsters there. Entering these dungeons was the only way to level up. There was a special system for players without a group, but if the player found the group, he was still under pressure. The dungeon allowed 5 players instead of 6, and weaklings were eliminated on the spot. So Carrier Dorito was conducting a kind of test. Previously, it would have been Hyun who would have been expelled in such a case, but now everything has become different. The quest requires Hyun to find a blacksmith to create a compass. The compass must be made from a cursed stone. The young man found Zuga and asked him for a favor. Zuga trusted Hyun only when he heard the name Sakhalin. Zuga guessed that Sakhalin gave Hyun a bunch of stupid tasks. He encouraged the boy and showed him the necklace. The necklace is made of a metal that can only be mined here. It shows the direction where the owner of the mana is. Zuga wants Hyun to clear the dungeons for this pendant. Hyun realized that he needed to complete 111 quests. He went to clean up and was very angry with Zuga. The hero decided to film everything on camera for the sake of good content. Before the fight, he placed various buffs on Lucky. The wolf must kill 100 monsters alone in order to evolve. To protect himself, Lucky Hyun prepared a fire spell. This time, the heroes were met by orcs of a different kind. These were kobold miners, which Lucky easily kills. Hyun doesn't think Lucky will need his help. Soon, the 100th kobold was killed. Lucky's body was filled with a special power to evolve. The wolf cub received new power from God. A random skill lottery appeared in front of Hyun. The young man saw the hidden legendary lightning skill. Lightning Flash turns Lucky into golden lightning when attacking. After this, the heroes discovered another hidden dungeon. The other players watched them in bewilderment. They couldn't understand why Hyun loved his animals so much. Behind this was hidden resentment that even a simple player has an assistant, but they do not. Meanwhile, Puck and Lewis posted a video of the Archmage to promote him. Paku didn't like that this player took the name of a rare Archmage. He considered Hyun to be an ordinary loser who suddenly started getting lucky. Lewis said the video got a lot of views. The men also learned that Hyun had appeared on magazine covers. Pak realized that they had a bright future if they cooperated. Suddenly, another assistant ran to Pa and told him the news. He showed the comments to the video, where Asmo himself responded, saying that even he had never encountered such things and skills. Asmo, a Saudi Arabian prince, spent $1 million on an Archmage class. He became known as the man who spent the most. During the broadcast, he always tests different skills and objects. It seemed like he learned all the skills and items from this game. It wasn't this that confused Pak, but Asmo's statement that the player was real. Such a person would not leave a comment without a purpose. Pak suggested that Asmo was connected to this Archmage. He wanted to benefit from this connection. The Archmage streamer exceeds all his expectations. Park asked Louis to write to Yun that he was increasing the payment for the video. Now the Archmage is entitled to a 6th part from each video. Louis was worried that they would get pennies. According to Park's theory, both sides will receive huge amounts of money. Meanwhile, Hyun returned from the game. A friend told him that another video had appeared. Pak's channel posted a video of an Archmage killing an orc assassin while alone. Ju is confident that this video will get 1 million views. It was exciting that Asmo commented on it again. Asmo never saw the item Hyun had in that fight. It was the staff of a goblin shaman from a hidden dungeon. It can only be obtained if you have access to the main scenario. Hyun was angry that he accidentally hinted at this. He's sure people like Asmo would have spotted the secret right away. There are many groups in the game that are looking for evidence of the main scenario's existence. The Rising Star sent him messages about an increase in income. Hyun now decided to give them a worthy performance. The boss of the new dungeon is a hiding sandworm. It is difficult for normal players to kill him because of the holes. It's hard to guess where he'll fly out from to attack. But Hyun can see it. The hero evaluates this quest as childish. Hyun killed Sandmole with 1 arrow strike. He received several titles, ranks, and a skill card. He decided to choose a skill for Lucky. At first, the choice fell on a lightning shield that paralyzes the enemy on contact. In the end, with Lucky's consent, Impulse was chosen. Impulse summons a wind fairy that increases attack speed. It is very expensive because it is extremely useful. Hyun could live on this money for a couple of months, but he considered it a good investment for the future. A new dungeon filled with orc killers has appeared. The record for this mini dungeon was set a long time ago. The fastest time was 4 minutes and 11 seconds. The record was set by the Sword Emperor Sasaki Kojiro. Most likely Hyun won't be able to beat him. To complete the quest, he enhanced Lucky's stats. This is a good chance to test the impulse. Hyun turned the camera back on to record the fight. He announced that he would try to clear the dungeon in the quarry, but this time the raid will be different from the others. Today, Lucky alone will fight the goblins. This will be his moment of glory. Hyun immediately activated a lightning flash on him. Lucky did a great job against all the orcs. Suddenly, one of the orcs took aim at Hyun. The hero carefully stepped aside to avoid being killed. He promised the audience that he would not interfere with the fight. Lucky successfully completes the dungeon when he is on his own. He destroyed this orc too. The system informed Hyun that the test had been passed. The lightning flash continued to affect Lucky. Its duration is 5 minutes. Hyun left the game in shock. He realized that Lucky had completed the quest in a short time. Most likely they were able to break the record. He wondered how Rising Star would react to this. Despite the number of views, something still bothers Pak. He thought it all looked like casting a fishing rod. Lewis realized that this was about losses due to income distribution. Pak confirmed the fishing rod theory. He's afraid the Archmage will think he's being treated like a fish. He is worried about Hyun's feelings. Louis reported that the Archmage had taken the bait. Hyun sent them a recording of the provocation. In the meantime, he left the game again. He saw that there was not a single person in the hall. All his comrades were sitting nearby on their phones. They were watching another video from the Zvezda channel. A friend told Hyun that Asmo had left a comment again. Asmo noticed an unknown ring in the video. It was the Sakhalin ring. Hyun realized that he had made a mistake again. Now Asmo takes a detailed look at his video. With every comment he makes, more and more people are wondering about Hyun. Hyun may be in danger. It is risky for him to remain where he is. Hyun decided to leave the Dorito quarry as soon as possible. He entered the game without rest. He was met by the blacksmith Zuga. Thanks to Hyun, Zuga was able to collect the necessary metal. The young man is glad that he didn't have to get it himself. The necklace is ready, and now we need to insert the stone into it. Hyunwoo wanted to return to Sakhalin as soon as possible. Suddenly, the girl herself appeared next to him. It turned out that Zuga had called her. The blacksmith asked her to immediately set the stone into the pendant. Sakhalin created a portal and retrieved the cursed stone. Zuga snatched the stone and the girl asked him to be careful. These two had made a spiritual pact long ago. Despite this, the relationship between them is strained. They have no choice but to cooperate. In the game, everyone unites to find the all-powerful class. Zuga inserted the stone into its proper place. The Sakhalin pendant is ready. He is able to point out to where the owner of mana is. The pendant immediately pointed in the right direction. Hyun completed the Sakhalin quest and received a pendant as a reward. The pendant adds value to all characteristics. Hyun was delighted with this gift. Sakhalin told the hero to follow the pendant's directions. Hyun must find out what is in the indicated direction at any cost. The new main scenario quest is called Swamp. For completing it, Hyun will receive a legendary skill card. He decided to do everything possible for the reward. The battle god gave Hyun a random card. A unique guardian card is dropped. She was one of 1,000 simple cards. The Rising Star team worked day and night. The assistant reported to Pa about the success of another of the Archmage's videos. This is a video of Hyun preparing to conquer the Dorito quarry. Only Lucky took part in this raid. To everyone's surprise, the dog set a new record. Assistants assured that the video would get 2 million views. The video concerns the Sword Emperor, who has dropped down the rankings. Pak was confident that the video would get 10 views. Hen got the Guardian, which allows you to subjugate any monster. This skill of Archmage's was Asmo's specialty. In fact, it is not very convenient. Submission is possible if there is a complete understanding of the monster. A player cannot make a monster with a large level difference into a Guardian. There is also a condition that you need to quickly kill 100 of these monsters. Bosses are almost impossible to make a Guardian of due to their low numbers. Asmo is so famous because he could level up his Guardians. He hung the most legendary objects and things on them. Hyun wants to find a keeper to handle defense. At first, he planned to buy an expensive golem summon. Now Hyun and Lucky have decided to retreat from the quarry. They liberated this dungeon. Other players watched them from the side. They were ordered to follow Hyun for a large sum of money. The players thought it was stupid that they were chasing after a worthless mage. They decided to just do the job as long as they got paid. Suddenly, Hyun and Lucky ran forward. The pursuers realized that Hyun had noticed them. They knew that they would catch up with him no matter what. Their leader realized that they had lost. The players rushed after the fast Archmage. At that moment, Hyun applied incredible acceleration. At the end of the journey, he knew that they would not catch up with him. The pendant helped him increase his speed and other characteristics. With this gift, the young man no longer needs to fear persecution. The heroes went to the swamp for the next quest. At this time, the star uploaded a video of Lucky's debut. At first, viewers were against the Archmage profiting from the wolf cub's power, but soon they saw that Lucky had set a new record on his own. The dog completed the quest 2 seconds faster than Sasaki. The audience considered Sasaki worse than a dog, but they noticed that the video had a sequel. Hyun raised the topic of objects unknown to everyone. He wants to show the Sakhalin stick. If the audience guesses the name of the item, Hyun will reveal the secret to the others. Asmo didn't know this item either, and he sent the Archmage $10,000 to reveal the secret. The audience believed that the Archmage and Asmo had arranged everything for the sake of views. According to them, the heroes are clearly playing to the audience. Hyun showed strange behavior. He lied that he was poisoned. The friend realized that this was due to envy of the Archmage. Hyun was simply shocked by the money he received for the video. He decided to spend money on good skills and items. The choice fell on the same golem summon. Unfortunately, the card has been sold. The Zvezda employees were delighted with the success. Lewis noticed that their leader was agitated about something. Pak thought they had a big headache. He thinks that the Archmage might exchange them for another company. According to him, the channel's work is not good enough. Other channels can do much better. The star workers must keep the Archmage at all costs. Pak is going to show all his sincerity. It's time to reveal your trump card. The swamp is located near the Dorito Quarry. Players are experiencing difficulty due to broken trees and swamps. Usually the swamp level reached knee-deep, but you can also fall in up to your waist, which is a real hindrance to players. The slowdown effect also affects monsters. For people like Hyun, this is extremely beneficial. The hero can use long-range attacks. He launched a fireball and killed the first monster. Killing the lizard man increased the fire rank. Hyun and Lucky went to the lizardman's nest. They must kill all the monsters inside. Hyun saw the hidden information that there were 2,000 monsters. The hero felt sorry for wasting time on these murders. The dungeon is clearly designed for teamwork. It's time for Hyun to find himself a keeper. Soon he had killed 100 identical monsters. He decided to try to subjugate the lizard man. He took out the Sakhalin stick and concentrated his skill on it. He managed to subdue the monster. The lizard knelt down and bowed to its owner. He had a question mark above his head. This means that the lizard has hidden information. If the keeper protects the owner for 33 minutes, his rank will increase. The keeper will also be able to conduct conversations with the owner. Hyun decided to focus his efforts on this. In the first battle, the lizard quickly dealt with the monster. He is much faster than Lucky the Wolf. I wonder how strong he will become after increasing his loyalty. Now Hyun told him not to attack, but to defend. This is necessary to fulfill the promotion condition. Hyun must not allow even one monster to be killed within half an hour. Privileged archmages like Asmo can learn any skill. They don't care whether they have a keeper or not. It seems Hyun is the first of the archmages to learn about the loyalty system. The lizard was able to stand for the required time. On command, he went on the attack again. He received an upgrade, increased his stats, and started talking. He promised Hyun that he would always be loyal to him. The young man called him Lord. The Lord wants to prove that he is worthy of such a name. He said that he was much better than this ridiculous beast. Hyun decided to use him as a tank. Now he has a pretty good team. If Hyun had Golem summon, it would be easy to kill all the lizard men. The hero regretted that he hadn't bought it after all. Hyun spent the night at home and woke up because of little Hae. The girl clearly lacked her uncle's attention. Suddenly a message came on the hero's phone. Rising Star gave him a Golem summon card. Hyun forgot about his family and ran to his friend. Meanwhile, one influential girl sent fighters after the Archmage. She realized that Hyun had a connection with the main script. There is no guarantee that her assistants will get to the truth. The girl just wants to know if Hyun has any clues to the main plot. She also wants to stop him at any cost. The assistants were afraid that no player would agree to their request. It's a risky business because of the connection between the Archmage and Asmo. The girl knows a player who will agree to pay a lot of money. This is Sniper Rolla from the 7 Stars Alliance. The assistant immediately decided to send him a request with the task. The girl added that this was a task from her, the head of the Abyss Guild, Emma. The summoning skill helps to summon a golem from the mud. With a large number of golem kills, we can increase the characteristics. Hyun didn't expect such a gift from the star. Now he will pray to this channel every day. He will do everything to ensure that the star continues to help him. He decided to kill the Pearl Crocodile, the boss of the swamp, alone. First, he decided to go to the hidden nest of the lizardmen. Soon he had killed all but 3 of the 2,000. Thanks to hidden quests, his stats grow surprisingly quickly. To kill the last orc, he used the Dragon's Eye. Hyun focused all his energy on the long throw. In this way, he can shoot even 100 meters. And so his fire destroyed the last lizard. Now, killing a Pearl Crocodile should be no problem. The heroes managed to kill 2,000 orcs in 8 hours. The necklace pointed to a certain place again. Hen saw something glowing in the distance. As he got closer, he discovered an unknown egg. In the hidden information, he saw that it was a dragon egg. It requires the power of an unnamed god to hatch. From now on, completing the quest comes first. The hero took the egg and decided to return to Vega. Sooner or later, the player must return to the city. To get to Vega, you need to take this road. Another player has been watching Hyun and Lucky for a long time. Emma hired him for $100,000. The player had a Vig bow. Once a player attacks a target, the next hit will apply the mark. And so the young man fired and hit the Guardian's shield. A normal player would have already panicked due to the sudden attack. However, Hyun guessed that a killer would come for him. He opened himself up on purpose to provoke a sneak attack. Most likely he was underestimated, since there is a slowing swamp around him. Hen decided to show that the location did not matter to him. The player realized that Hen knew about his attack in advance. He remained calm and decided to drop the next mark. He was sure that the swamp would slow Hyun down and prevent him from leaving. The guy thought that the Archmage would not be able to reach him from 100 meters away. While he was lost in thought, a fireball flew at him. The player received a critical hit to the head. When he came to, Hyun was no longer there. The guy decided to run away before he himself became prey. He looked back and saw a pair of eyes watching him. Meanwhile, Hyun struck him in the back with an ice arrow. The killer didn't understand how the Archmage got to him so quickly. Lucky entered the game and rushed at the player. He was ready to kill the killer, but Hen stopped him. The protagonist saw the killer's name. He realized that it was Sniper Rolla from the 7-Star Alliance. If they do something to him, they will become an enemy of a huge guild. Hyun had previously hunted with the guild leader on an old account. He guessed that this player was trying to kill him for the reward. Hyun should never kill the boy. It was necessary to make the right decision to avoid problems. He ordered Lucky to stop. The Guardian thought that he was the one who should kill this scoundrel. Hen also can't just let this killer go. He told the young man that he knew him as a member of the 7 Stars. He knows his name, Rolla. The hero began to play the role and try his luck. He lied when he said he personally knew its leader, Keith. He allegedly kept his identity a secret from the alcoholic Keith. Kita was the head of the alliance. He was full of dignity, but most of the time he spent with alcohol. The hero began to threaten the killer that he would tell the guildmaster everything. The killer became afraid that his leader and the Archmage knew each other. Hen revealed that he had accepted a murder order behind the guild's back. Fulfilling such a request is prohibited by the guild rules. The killer knelt down and apologized to Hyun. He was afraid that Hyun would tell Keith, and he would be expelled from the guild. The hero suggested forgetting about the incident so that there would be no problems for both parties. He admitted that it was not without reason that he hid his nickname under the name of Archmage. He simply planned it all out so as not to reveal his identity to his famous friends. Hen suggested saying that the killer had failed and had managed to escape. He couldn't let the killer go just like that and asked for compensation. He wanted him to realize that he was not worth messing with. If he disagrees, Hyun can kill him here and now. The keeper was already ready to kill. The killer promised to turn a blind eye to this incident. As an apology, he gave Hyun his Vig bow. If Hen hadn't heard about the guild leader, this trick wouldn't have worked. Thanks to this situation, Hen was able to get himself an item from the Vig series. This bow is considered the best among the best in this series of items. The player can exchange it for at least $40,000. Hen doesn't need money and decides to keep the bow for his own use. The bow can be used in conjunction with other skills, such as fire. If the bow attack hits the target, the next ones will be aimed automatically. The hero cannot use a staff and a bow at the same time. Changing weapons every time will be quite a hassle. Hen found a way out in telekinesis. Soon they returned to Vega with Lucky. Everyone was talking about Lucky's new record. Many were delighted by their first live meeting with the Archmage streamer. However, they were confused by the fact that the Archmage was surrounded by soldiers. They were ordinary escort soldiers from the city. They had previously told Hen that the head of Viggy wanted to meet him. Hyun is the first player to be accompanied by these individuals. The hero was curious about what rumors would be circulating about him now, and so he was escorted to the right building, to the head of the city. He was met by Vega in the Sakhalin company. Hen received the title at the invitation of the master himself. Sakhalin immediately hinted to Hen about what she had asked for earlier. The young man realized that they were talking about a dragon's egg. As a reward for the egg, the girl gave the player a book with skills. The gentleman was embarrassed that a simple player had found this egg. They had previously looked for him themselves, but could not find him. The head saw no reason to abandon such a person for his own purposes. Apparently, Hen showed up at just the right time. Vega showed gratitude to the protagonist. He suggested that he continue his investigation about this egg. Sakhalin planned to take the egg and conduct an investigation herself. Vega realized that of the two, Hen was the more suitable candidate. Hyun promised Vij that he would not disappoint her in any matter. Vega explained that Sakhalin still believes that Hen is not suitable for them. The girl was clearly angry that she was traded for this Archmage. Hen must prove that he is competent enough to protect the egg. Vega sent him back to the swamp to defeat the boss. Previously, Hen himself wanted to defeat the pearl crocodile. Since he had already planned everything long ago, there shouldn't be any problems. As a reward, the player will receive the white staff of Vigi. After reading about the reward, Hen became much more interested in completing this quest. Before he left, he opened the Book of Legendary Skills. Hen prayed for mana regeneration to come his way. He received the Dragon Mana, which allows him to absorb mana from the environment. This was exactly what Hen wanted. In addition, Dragon Heat dropped, increasing speed and mana consumption. This skill was previously called $1 Million. There was not a single instance where it was sold or exchanged. The second name was given to it by Asmo himself. Asmo was ready to give $1 million to anyone who could bring him this skill. From that moment on, Dragon Heat became one of the best skills. In terms of efficiency, it was designed for boss raids. Its potential can only be realized with a good level of mana regeneration. Hen believed that this reward was given by God himself. After this, Hen returned to his friends and left the game. Ju immediately informed him that the Archmage had set out on a serious quest. According to him, the Archmage has set his sights on the city of Vega and wants to become the master of the castle. Hyun was surprised by such quick hearing. His friend asked him not to tell anyone this information. Hen promised to keep the secret and went into the game. The hero was worried that the forces that hired Roll were targeting him. He will definitely be thwarted in his quest to kill the Pearl Crocodile. In such a situation, the hero can only do one thing. This time, Pak's team sent 2 skills to the Archmage at once. Louis believed that this was how they showed their weakness. He didn't like that they were spending a lot of money on the Archmage. Pak did not deny this fact. He explained that there is a fine line between weakness and investment. Louis thought that such a person would not pay attention to them because of the bribe. Puck assumed that the Archmage was now on his way to something grand. He had his own guesses about this. He assumed that the Archmage was targeting the swamp boss. The companions decided that this time the player would not send them videos. The Archmage will go live with viewers. Another assistant reported that a letter from the Archmage had just arrived. Hyun wanted to use the Star's channel to conduct a live broadcast. Pak clearly didn't expect this turn of events. The channel leader was not against giving the channel to the Archmage. The hero knew that the Rising Star had given him these skills. He realized that the Star wanted to make him one of its participants. Streaming has always been popular since the beginning of the game. There were various incidents when people were just starting to go on air. Because of them, a rule was introduced that players conduct boss raids in secret, but dozens of great guilds were the exception. Those who interfered with their broadcasts were executed. It was in public view to teach a lesson, and so Hen went to the swamp. They started to follow him from the very entrance. Luckily, Hen sees their hidden names. He realized that too many people wanted to kill him. That's why he decided to do everything live. There are 20 minutes left until the boss respawns. All video content can only be broadcast via dedicated channels. Hyun has successfully connected to the Rising Star channel. A channel member promised the player that they would support him throughout the game. Hyun realized that it was not the administrator, but the channel manager. It was exciting for Hen. He got his emotions under control and started broadcasting. There were a few seconds left before the quest began. Hen thought there would be a maximum of 1,000 spectators. The audience was delighted that the hero had acquired a guardian. The number of spectators instantly exceeded 1,000. Hen decided to pull himself together so as not to accidentally appear weak. He announced that he and his team would kill the Pearl Crocodile. The record for a team to complete a quest is 10.5 minutes. Hyun is about to beat him up, but the audience is unsure of him and wants to stop him. They wanted to organize a whole group to interfere. This is how they wanted to prove to Hen that he was too self-confident. The master of the swamp is a level 60 Pearl Crocodile. There are glowing pearls on his back. The boss's attack pattern changes depending on the color of the pearls. Now the boss shows a safe color. When the boss's health drops, the color of the pearls will start to change every second. With black color, the crocodile will begin to dive into the swamp. He cannot be damaged in the swamp. Now the pearls turned red and the crocodile went on the attack. Hyun immediately used Dragon Heat. Meanwhile, Emma was informed that Rolla had failed. She didn't react in any way, because they were just testing the waters. She didn't think that a player like Rolla would be defeated so quickly. She was afraid to get involved with the Archmage because of his connection with Asmo. Now all that's left for Emma's team to do is let loose. She offered a small reward to anyone who killed the Archmage. She valued the Archmage's head at $10,000. Suddenly, she was informed that the Archmage had launched a broadcast. On air, Hen casually showed off his items. This time he showed Vigi's bow, which Rolla had given him. The bow worked perfectly and hit the center of the crocodile pearl. One blow was made with the help of fire and dragon heat. Then Hen used an ice arrow. His arsenal also included air and thunder arrows. The crocodile felt a fireball and a fire spear on himself. The spectators still doubted that the Archmage would defeat such an opponent. They believed that his mana would soon run out and the crocodile would win. The golem hen entered the fray. The hero released him to help because there were still many enemies nearby. The young man needs to deal with those who have been watching him from the very beginning. Players were thrilled that the Archmage had dealt so much damage single-handedly. They thought he was just wasting his mana recklessly. Players wanted to kill Hen when the dragon's heat wore off. Hen actively attacked the crocodile with fire arrows. The players figured out that his calmness was due to the fact that he had support nearby. They assumed that it was not his enemies, but his comrades, who were hiding behind the bushes nearby. Suddenly, the color of the crocodile's pearls changed to black. The battle is happening too fast, and the players are getting excited. They can't figure out when to attack. They were afraid to leave at the wrong time, lest they be attacked by the Archmage's bodyguards. Meanwhile, Hen continued to fight with the crocodile. If he hits again, the monster will enter the third stage. The killers were afraid of Hen and decided to sit it out for now. The young man decided to prolong the pleasure and announced that the battle would take 8 minutes. If he finishes faster, it will be shameless towards the monster. He slowed down a bit and took a long throw. He attacked the crocodile lightly, without causing significant damage. The audience admired Hyun for such a noble act. Hen slowed down because he still had to deal with the enemies. The killers suspected that Hen had noticed them. According to them, the hero deliberately slowed down to wait for their attack. Hyun explained to viewers that he was stretching the airtime because of the people who were paying. They should enjoy the process and not regret the expense. Suddenly, Asmo entered the chat and paid Hen $10,000, and the viewers again began to think that Asmo and Hen had staged this for views. The protagonist didn't expect Asmo to appear this time either. Hen decided to change the angle to keep Asmo interested. He moved the camera closer so that all the action could be seen in detail. The crocodile entered the third phase and began to rapidly change color. He pounced on the golem and knocked it to the ground. Viewers didn't expect Hyun's assistant to be so weak. The system notified that the golem had become Earth again and died. Hen wasn't upset about this because the golem was too low ranked. Due to the death of his assistant, Heng's mana dropped by 20%. However, everything goes as Hen planned. He needs to keep up the good work to prevent other players from attacking. One of the killers wanted to take advantage of the death of Hen's assistant. The other girl thought that it was too early to show up because Hyun was close to the boss. The pearl crocodile only needs to touch them for them to die. From the outside, it looked like the crocodile was about to tear Hen apart. The spectators raised a fuss that Lucky had disappeared from sight. Suddenly, the system announced that the wolf cub wanted to fight the monster to the death. Everyone believed that Lucky would destroy him in a second. The crocodile abruptly changed his target and forgot about Hen. Everyone realized that he was deliberately pretending to be in danger. The hero activated Dragon Heat and Fire Arrow. The killers realized that they were out of luck today. Ice and air arrows, fire and lightning were used before their eyes. All these attacks caused significant damage to the crocodile. Despite the external attack, the monster continued to chase Lucky. The young man delivered another blow with a combination of skills. And then the crocodile fell lifeless to the ground. The system thanked the hero and awarded him the title of Crocodile Killer. 30,000 spectators watched this moment. Everyone was curious to know how such incredible skills were used. At the end of the broadcast, some players paid the Archmage $5, and Asmo supported them and again handed Hen $10,000. After Asmo's action, all the spectators made a noise. The killers were sure that the hero had a connection with Asmo. They all believed that the heroes had planned this in advance in order to apprehend the killers. They clearly underestimated Hen. They decided to run away before they were caught and killed. At this point, Hen's broadcast ended. He thanked the Rising Star channel and asked viewers to subscribe. The number of channel viewers reached 45,000 people. At the end of the broadcast, Hen promised that he would appear on the same channel next time. Pak was sure that this was not some kind of exchange of pleasantries. He is confident that Hen will now only broadcast on their channel. He allegedly just told other channels to stop messaging him. Now Hyun and Park's team are in symbiosis. The Rising Star channel needs to be at full capacity. If they only pay attention to profit, Hen will not want to cooperate with them. Pak wanted to prepare an item that the Archmage would simply fall in love with. After the broadcast, everyone was talking only about the Archmage. Hen set a new record for the passage of 7 minutes. Some players thought Hen was nothing without money. Many stood in his defense and believed that it was all about charisma. Only Hen was able to show people what a spectacle was. Suddenly, everyone noticed the Archmage next to them. After the broadcast, Hen was worried because he might not pass the dungeon. It's good that everything went according to his plan. If he had made a mistake halfway through, he would have simply stopped broadcasting and run away. He decided to greet all his viewers live. He thanked everyone who watched today's broadcast. He announced that all broadcasts will take place only on the Zvezda channel. He ordered all other channels to stop contacting him. It was a kind of greeting for the Zvezda channel. He must leave a message so that the star's boss will see him in a good light. The young man also told everyone that he would soon receive the White Staff of Vig award. Everyone thought he was mistaken and meant Vig's staff. Every average mage dreams of a Vig staff. However, the protagonist repeated that he meant the White Staff of Vig. No one has ever held it in their hands in the Wars of the Gods. All its characteristics will soon be announced on the Zvezda channel. Meanwhile, Emma also became interested in this channel. Her assistant was Pak's classmate in the past. The girl demanded that he tell her details about Pakistan. She wanted to contact the Rising Star channel as quickly as possible. Through the assistant and Pak, she can obtain information about the Archmage. The young man said that even at school, Pak could easily spot talent in people. Even now, he began collaborating with the Archmage before he became famous. The young man believed that they would not be able to extract information from Pakistan. Emma was angry that the Archmage knew about the main scenario. She didn't know how to get this information out of him. According to her, Hen doesn't know the true value of this scenario. She called Merlin and reported her guess. She arranged a meeting to discuss everything in person. Meanwhile, Hen arrived to the head of the city of Viga. He modestly reported the murder of the swamp boss. Viga expressed gratitude to Hen for setting the new record. Hen waited for that very staff to be handed to him. He suddenly noticed that Sakhalin was missing. It turned out that Sakhalin entrusted the entire matter to Hyun and returned home. It's time for a valuable player award. Viga wanted to reward the one who made an effort for the prosperity of his city. He took out from his bosom an ordinary staff of Vig. Viga put his heart and soul into this staff throughout his life. He handed the staff to Hen, and the hero became upset. He thought that the gentleman had made a mistake in choosing the reward. However, Hen did not show any confusion and gladly accepted the staff. All the feelings were raging inside him. He thought that he had made a mistake and had promised people in vain to show them a new item. Viga admitted that he actually had a more special gift in mind. He struck the staff and it instantly turned white. Hen was blinded by the glare of this staff. The white staff increases mana and damage, as well as the power of the next attack. Once equipped, the player can use one more spell at a time. The staff has a name like One More. This is most likely the only item with this modifier at this level. Viga used it throughout his youth. He doesn't regret at all that he handed it over to such a strong man. This just goes to show how much he values Hyun. In this regard, Viga would like to make another request. Hen was willing to do whatever he could for this city. After agreeing, the staff became Hyun's item forever. The hero couldn't get enough of his white staff. If you combine the staff skill with other dual skills, you get a triple skill. Asmo was the first to discover this modifier. However, the modifier only appeared on items above level 150. Hen was able to obtain it without even reaching level 50. He was confident that his next video would get at least 1 million views. He and his companions went to the next location, the Forest of Giants. This is the most difficult place in Vigo. Once Hen completes this quest, he will say goodbye to the city forever. The next zone can only be reached using spatial magic. It is necessary to prepare carefully before leaving Viga. In the next area, you don't know if other players will be waiting for you in the bushes. Suddenly Hyun saw that his animals could gain improvements. Lucky needs to kill 6,000 monsters to level up. Gold also needs to kill the same number of monsters to increase his loyalty. The hero was afraid that they wouldn't be able to cope with that many murders. The forest monsters reach 3 meters in height. They are indistinguishable from trees due to their camouflage. Hen didn't know how to find these 6,000 monsters. He also felt sorry for the time and energy spent on this. Besides that, he still needs to show the white staff on live television. First, he needs to find Tamaru. It is located in the Forest of Giants north of Vigi. Other players in this forest discovered a strange object on a tree. They assumed it was a quest item. The archers shot at the object, and the tree suddenly became a monster. All the players realized that they couldn't handle him and rushed to run. It was the monster from the quest description. Hen can see which trees monsters are hidden behind. He will always be ready for a surprise attack from these trees. Hen can also see where the main quest is. Suddenly, one of the strangers entered into a dialogue with Hen. He even learned the name of the main character, Midas. It was Tamaru from the elf clan that needed to be found. The elf knew that in front of her was a man whom Lord Viga himself had recognized. Hen spotted her the first time, and thus attracted her attention. She was amazed that the player didn't have a single scratch from the trees. She held out a gift from Vigi, a legendary skill book. Hen hoped that this time he would get a fire elemental spell. After the reward, Tamaru called Hen to follow her. The main character thought that he would go his own way from now on. The system notified that he was now isolated from the environment, all because he entered the path of the elves. On the way, the young man asked Tamaru what she knew about these monsters. The girl said that in fact they do not disguise themselves as trees. They are trees that have become monsters under the influence of an unknown force. Not long ago, mutants appeared among them. These were monsters that were able to split into several parts. This is very strange because nothing like this has ever happened in this forest before. According to Tamaru, this phenomenon only occurs in a certain area. Hen suggested that the unknown force was connected to the unnamed god. He became curious about how many parts these mutants were divided into. In some cases, the number of mutant monsters exceeds 10 individuals. This whole ridiculous story irritates Hen. Tamaru asked Hen to destroy the mutants before there were even more of them. Thanks to magic, they are isolated in the depths of the forest, where they appear. There are more than 5,000 of them in that place. This is how a new quest appeared, in which it was necessary to destroy all mutants. In fact, Hen was pleased that he was given such a task. Meanwhile, Paku was informed that 3 skills had been purchased for the Archmage. It was also reported that a new rumor has started about the Abyss Guild. Lewis said that this guild is looking for information on the Archmage. Pak was jealous of this information. He picked up the phone and called his friend to find out more about Hen. His friend Jack works for the Abyss Guild. There was a fuss around Hen because he was not a member of any guild. Wherever he goes, he will always be the center of attention. Unfortunately, the comrade didn't tell Puck anything about the Archmage. Still, Puck was glad that he was the only one who had a direct connection with the Archmage. He is sure that Hen has no plans to join any of the guilds, and this does not mean that it can be taken lightly. Puck asked Louis to send another message to the Archmage. This time, the leader wanted the income distribution amount to change. Hyun will receive 9 out of 10 shares of the income. He logged out of the game and immediately received a call from Rising Star. He started shaking and asked his friend to prepare the game again. Soon he found himself in that very location. He received another legendary skill from Rising Star. These skills did not excite him at all. He thought that with her message, the star was asking him to show the white staff as soon as possible. In this case, the hero needs to respond to the request and start a live broadcast. In this quest, he will use something that no one has seen in this game yet. Hen will hunt never-before-seen monsters. He went on air and announced that he would fulfill his promise today. For this purpose, he allegedly invited a special guest. This made no impression on the audience. When the monster began to split, there was silence in the chat. The audience didn't understand how the Archmage managed to find new monsters. Hen concentrated on his firepower and went into battle. For support, he also prepared an ice ball. Of course, he didn't ignore the lightning ball either. No player of his level can use 3 skills at the same time. He hinted to the audience that this happened because of the white staff. Since he had already revealed all the secrets of the weapon, he decided to end the broadcast. One of the players paid him a few dollars to keep the broadcast going. This is exactly the outcome he was counting on. He planned for this fight to take place live. Triple Skill was able to absorb 1 monster. With this attack, Hyun killed the mutant. He immediately showed the audience where the next monster was. The audience didn't understand how the Archmage did it. The next monster also began to split into several parts. This time, Hen used ice skills. These skills also did not fail Hen and hit the target. Several players immediately paid Hen for such a good attack. In fact, Park promised that Hyun would take all the income from the live broadcasts. This time the player wanted to give this channel a proper thank you. Attacking monsters quickly became boring, and he decided to end the broadcast. He thanked Rising Star and asked viewers to subscribe to her. Park responded by asking his assistants to thank Hyun for the broadcast. Now he was sure that the Archmage would never leave for another guild. Louis couldn't understand why the young man ended the broadcast so quickly. The leader realized that everything happened because Asma wasn't watching the broadcast. This time there was no one to add fuel to the fire for the sensation. Pak decided to take on this role himself and properly edit this video. From the moment the contract is signed, Hyun and Zvezda will collaborate for a year. After a short pause, Hyun continued to complete the quest on camera. Everyone was condemning his access to hidden information. It was clear to everyone that the Archmage was on a quest that no other player knew about. It was strange that Hen appeared out of nowhere and immediately became the main topic of discussion. According to the viewers, even 10 guilds should have been tense because of such a player. Since creating the account, the player has not lost to a single monster. He doesn't regret at all that he deliberately became the object of other people's conversations. This time, Hen destroyed 6,000 monsters, and the golem achieved a new evolution. Now his loyalty rank has been raised to level 7. After this, Hen was surrounded by mutants. He sent gold to them to test his new level. With joint efforts, the mutant was destroyed. The system reported that Lucky had accumulated mythical power. The wolf cub's body changed instantly. In addition, Hen also leveled up to 50th. The War Dragon gave him a new opportunity. The young man once again needs to choose a new skill for himself. This time he was given 3 skill cards at once. He divided them among all the team members. Gold had some good luck. Among the cards was a legendary level card. Hen chose the skill Gigantization, which increases body size, attack, and defense. Gold is now the only guardian in the game with such a strong skill. This skill is used only by top players. Guardians have a certain loyalty system and a skill system. If Hen reveals this information, the video will get 1 million views. Only the main character can see this hidden information. Now it's time to choose a skill for Lucky. The legendary card was again among the cards. Hen chose Battle Beast's Cry, which increases the stats of all allies. The skill is also known as Warrior's Howl, which was shown during the guild battle. Rappo, the master of the legendary beast, was the first to demonstrate this skill. He did this in the middle of a massive battle with another guild. The moment the skill was used, his guild ended the battle with absolute victory. For a pet to gain such a powerful skill is comparable to incredible luck. Hyun was already preparing to receive the legendary card for himself. He had no doubt that he would come across the best skill. Unfortunately, he was the only loser. There was not a single unique card among them. Suddenly he saw the Fire Step card. This skill ignites the player's journey. Still, Hyun is happy to have such a good skill. If he gets ambushed by a monster, the attacker will suffer, not him. But there is a drawback here that the skill costs too much mana. Hen can't use it yet, as he's still restoring his mana with potions. He needs to get the mana recovery skill at any cost. Suddenly, Tamaru emerged from the depths of the forest. Hen expected her to thank him for the quick victory. Tamaru didn't think the player would deal with all the mutants so quickly. She believed that such a first-class master should be thanked. She handed him another book with skills. Hen decided not to hope that he would get a good skill. Of course, he chooses cards consciously, and not at random, like other players. But in the case of a book, the card falls out randomly. The player now has some pretty good skill cards in front of him. The hero was lucky enough to get the mana regeneration skill. Thanks to it, Hen can attack a monster simply by standing still. At the same time, mana consumption is reduced even when there is no movement. With such skill, the hero was ready to destroy this forest. While he was fighting the monsters, Tamaru took a good look around the place. Hen guessed that she would ask him to defeat a boss or some monster. As expected, Tamaru offered to fight Viltgar. Viltgar has been greatly changed by an unknown force. This name is given to a huge tree that towers over the forest in its very center. Hen has no chance against him due to his low level. Tamaru believed in him and insisted on the battle. This is how a new main scenario quest for Hen emerged. For this quest, the hero will also receive a skill book. After completing the mission, the egg may change. Hen would never have managed without such abilities and helpers. He didn't understand how they gave him such a monster at level 50th. It takes a whole team to defeat a monster. It should be 10 professional players with the best skills. Hen will have to use strength skills comparable to 10 players. Thanks to the new skill, he won't have to worry about mana. But in the end, Hen needs potions to restore mana and money for them. Hyun left the game and gave in to his thoughts. He felt uneasy about spending too much money lately. There is clearly not enough budget to prepare for the quest. He didn't want to take out a loan to buy items in the game. Suddenly, an important message arrived on his phone. It was a money order receipt from Rising Star, and forgot that today was payday. He wanted to thank the star for $25,000 as soon as possible. Suddenly, a strange girl passing by flew into him. The impact was so strong that she dropped her things. She wanted to pick up her cap, which had fallen along with Hyun's phone. When the heroes touched their things, their fingers intertwined. The girl became embarrassed and hurried home. Hen was worried that she had seen the contents of his message. Lee Sol is a social phobe and spends all her time at home playing computer games. In virtual life, she is known as the revered muse of the Abyss Guild. This game is like a second reality for her. She can't remember the last time she met someone in real life. At home, she loaded the capsule and entered the game. Merlin contacted her and told her about her next assignment. He relayed Emma's words about the Archmage. Now all members of the Abyss must keep an eye on him. The Archmage is dangerous to everyone because he threatens the existence of the guild. Sol knew nothing about him and had only seen a few videos. She decided to believe Emma that the Archmage was dangerous to them. Still, she let things slide, because Hyun was not in any way a threat to her safety. Meanwhile, in Team Rising Star, everyone was talking about Hyun. The staff were proud that they had a player who was bringing them big profits. Pak suggested that the team celebrate their first victory at a nearby cafe. Suddenly, a message from the Archmage came into the channel. Lewis reported that the Archmage thanked them for the money. Only Pa saw something special in these words. Hyun promised that he would definitely repay with special content that would surprise everyone. Pak assumed this meant he wanted to show off his new items. Or maybe we are talking about monsters that none of the best guilds have ever seen. The leader ordered the team to start processing the video again. He postponed the holiday dinner for the sake of work and more money. His team is working overtime today. In the morning, everyone started talking about the Archmage's video, filmed near VG's estate. This time, the video was of perfect quality. The quality of the video alone attracted thousands of viewers. Also, everyone was surprised that this time it was about the white staff of VG. Hyun didn't understand why Star was working overtime and creating such an atmosphere. He assumed that he was being called upon to immediately show what he had prepared. He wasn't ready for the quest because he didn't have the money for the necessary mana potions. Suddenly he saw a message from Asmo among the comments. Asmo asked him to start the broadcast and apologized for missing the previous one. He is ready to pay the Archmage a considerable sum for his time. The viewers agreed with him and insisted on the broadcast. Hen shouted to his friend to launch the game capsule immediately. Within a minute, Hen and his team appeared in the mysterious forest. The Archmage felt a great unknown power. The system notified that Viltgar was reacting to his presence. Because of this, Hen cannot leave the wild forest until the end of the quest. The hero learned that the boss was 500 meters away from him. There really was a level 77 Viltgar nearby. In the past, Hen had to reach level 200 to destroy such a monster. Viltgar has health that is 10 times greater than the player's. However, it has extremely slow speed due to the slow barrel. Hen saw hidden information about the monster's 3 phases. In the second phase, the monster's health will drop by half, and it will begin to develop branches. When 10% of health remains, the third phase will self-destruct. Hen finished preparing for the battle and started broadcasting. He announced that he was going to destroy the boss Viltgar today. He set up the camera to show the audience this boss for the first time. None of the spectators thought that the player would defeat this big guy. The player had a potion in reserve that would clearly help him achieve victory. He drank the potion, and now nothing can stop him. The first attack involved a fireball. The long distance had no effect on the outcome of the attack. In addition to fire, Hen also used lightning and ice. The tree tried to defend itself, but its movements were slow. The damage wasn't too severe because Viltgar was far away. However, despite this, the spectators enjoyed the fight. They were interested in watching the fight because it was the first time in their lives they had seen such a monster. Suddenly, the system notified Hen that he didn't have enough mana to attack. Then the mountain grass potion came to the rescue. This and other drinks cost about $500,000. Viltgar suddenly began to approach Hen. There are now less than 50 meters between them. The audience began to invest their money, giving money to Hyun. Lucky expressed his readiness to fight to the death with Viltgar. Hen didn't mind and wasn't particularly worried about his pet's success. Lucky's fans immediately sent a donation. The tree found it ridiculous that a small wolf cub wanted to fight with him. Then he began the transformation and divided the branches. The branches separated Hen from Lucky, and the wolf cub could no longer help him. Only Gold remained on defense. Hen allowed him to fight the monster as much as he wanted. Gold used the gigantization skill for the first time and became big. Asmo entered the chat and sent a donation of $10,000. He was shocked that the Guardian of Hen could use skills. The main character decided to put on a show and used the best weapon. He attacked Viltgar with arrows of wind, fire, and lightning. The monster's health instantly dropped to critical levels. The atmosphere was tense, and it was time to have some fun. Asmo paid Hyun again for future fun. Lucky was able to get around the branches and come to his owner. The monster noticed the assembled team and moved into action. Viewers are worried that he will kill the heroes simply by stepping on them. The protagonist wanted to finish him off with an axe and a white staff. A moment later, the monster entered the next phase of self-destruction. There was a huge explosion, and the quest was completed. Spectators had a particularly hard time spotting Gold in the pile of ashes. Hen's team narrowly escaped damage from the explosion. The main character was upset that he did not finish his show. He wanted to deliver a demonstrative physical blow, but did not have time. He told the audience about his experiences. In this way, he got rid of their guesses that he knew in advance about self-destruction. Thanks to the victory over Viltgar, Hyun received new items in his inventory. When the young man wanted to end the broadcast, there were 125,000 viewers. He thanked them for staying on air despite the boredom. Asmo didn't regret watching it and donated $20,000 to Hyun. Meanwhile, Emma met with Marilyn. They found that everything was working out in their favor. Merlin is the guild master of the Abyss. The Abyss no longer needs to place a bounty on the Archmage's head. The Archmage has made himself a trophy that guarantees glory to anyone. Glory will be even to the one who can at least track him down. Emma carefully rewatched the broadcast, where Hen showed many of his weaknesses. His fire attack power is incredible, but his mana is lacking. The recovery field skill makes him a stationary target. Emma and Merlin know that the Archmage is not under the protection of any guild. Emma wanted Hen to be famous, and that made his game harder. Emma is determined to get the lead script from him by any means necessary. Merlin noted that the Archmage runs freely around low-level locations. Guild players can restart the game and kill Hen at his level. Emma didn't mind, and hoped that Merlin would prepare players of the right class. Meanwhile, Hen and his team were in the wild forest. The hero would never have managed without these two. He decided to look at the titles and awards after the test. The Viltgar Hunter title provides a bonus to all stats. The title Witness to Viltgar's Death significantly increases health. The young man also received the unique treasures of Viltgor. Hen was embarrassed that he received a paltry reward for a large monster. He began to curse this game out of anger. Gold was ready to destroy the creators of this game. It protects not only the owner's life, but also his feelings. The hero opened one treasure and took out a staff from the root of Viltgor. The staff increases attack damage and mana reserves. Mana regeneration rate increases by 100%. Hen wanted to sell the staff, but when he saw its characteristics, he changed his mind. He didn't notice how Tamara was watching his stupid behavior. She would never have thought that this player could handle this mutant. Hen waited for him to receive the legendary reward from her. He sacrificed money for the quest and the future skill book. Suddenly, the location changed color, and the unthinkable began to happen. Hen's entire body was enveloped in the incredible energy of the nameless god. Even Tamaru had never encountered this. Oddly enough, this power did not affect Hen's assistance. The hero felt incredible pressure from God. All of his defense was reduced and he couldn't use skills. Hen mentally said goodbye to life. Suddenly, the pressure disappeared abruptly. There was a bright flash next to the young man. It turned out that the dragon egg had absorbed the power of the nameless god. Hen survived thanks to this egg. The power of the nameless god is required for the egg to hatch. The hatching process is currently 3%. Tamaru announced that the player possessed something unknown to her. She asked him to talk to Lord Viga about it. Viga has been waiting for Hen outside for a long time. The hero left the wild forest and met with Viga. I could tell from Vig's face that something serious had happened. Hen said that the power of the nameless god enveloped him and tried to kill him. If it weren't for that egg, he would have died without the ability to do anything. Viga reported that similar things were happening in the kingdom of Tunga. Mutants never seen before appear, as well as the power of a nameless god. They say she attacks people. All who encountered the power of God perished. However, Hen is still standing alive. Viga wants Hyun to investigate this matter. He promised that he would definitely be welcomed in the kingdom of Tunga. As a reward, Viga presented a legendary skill book. Hyun can head to Tungu using Vigi's magic. The people who are waiting for him there will fill him in on the situation. After the quest, he will gain progress in the restricted area. There was nothing hidden in the strange quest information. The hero decided to discover another treasure of Viltgor. He has already received an item from one treasure. The Viltgor root staff increases mana regeneration. If you use it with a recovery field, the problem with lack of mana will be solved. Thanks to telekinesis, switching is not difficult. In Tunghenu will have to face centaurs. After victory, the player can apply the centaur's appearance to the guardian. From the second treasure, he got Viltgar's spear. The young man planned to show these items on air after the quest. Now, he decided to get busy opening the book. He prayed for dragon mana to fall into his lap. The previous dragon mana has already been spent, and then the card that Hen wanted came up. Dragon mana inspires the power of the dragon and is fueled by the environment. It greatly increases mana recovery. Gold was eager to get to the trials. In Tung's palace, the heroes are level 100. When Hyun goes there from Vigi, he will significantly jump ahead of them in level. It's stupid to go there at level 50 right now. He wanted to get the most out of this location, so in a few days he raised his level. In this matter, he used the mana recovery field and dragon mana. I also didn't forget about Viltgar's staff, the cursed pendant, and the Sakhalin ring. The mana regeneration is so fast that he doesn't even have time to use it. Hen's friend told everyone that a reward had been announced for the Archmage's head. Everyone thought that these were just rumors, since no one was interested in the Archmage. Zhu said the reward was $100,000. Even Hen felt uneasy about that amount. Zhu heard that the guilds did this because the Archmage provoked them. Hyun didn't understand where the rumors about the guild's hatred towards him came from. He assumed that Zhu was doing this. The hero decided to take a break and went to the store. At the entrance, his brother called him. He was worried that Hyuna was always away from home. The young man has really forgotten about his niece and brother lately. He allowed them to spend all the money he earned so that everything would be good for them. Today, he is planning to visit his family. After the conversation, he again remembered the rumors. His thoughts were interrupted by that ridiculous girl, Sol. She bumped into him again and this time broke his phone. Sol promised to pay for the repairs. Upset, Hen returned back to his friend. His friend started making fun of him because of this ridiculous story. He assumed that Hyun's fate would connect him with Sol. He changed the subject and started talking about the Archmage. According to him, the Archmage and the 10 guilds will soon fight. They say the Archmage is in the Forest of Giants to prepare for battle. Zhu took this information from the most reliable sources. Hen ended the conversation by asking for a capsule to be prepared for him. He didn't want to listen to this gossip from Zhu. Rising Star also realized that the Archmage and the guilds would clash in battle. Pak was sure that these were not rumors. However, he believed that the war was being started by the Archmage himself. Allegedly, the Archmage wants to turn all the guilds against him. Pak has already started coming up with new titles for the war videos. He is confident that such content will earn millions. Pack is sure that the Archmage wants to become a great star. Therefore, there will be a big conflict between him and the guilds in Tunga. The star jumped into the last car of a train pulled by an incredible man. The conversation turned to bribery again. Louis knew that Hyun wouldn't use such a huge amount of skills. Pack has already prepared a batch of new skills. He's not sure that this will make any difference. Pack just wants to create an additional safety cushion. Meanwhile, Hyun fought the mutants. In the battle, he upgraded the rank of Fireball. Lucky actively defended the left flank. Galt was occupied with the right flank. Hyun himself attacked from the center, taking advantage of his abilities. With joint efforts, the mutants were suppressed. So Hyun reached level 60. The War Dragon gave him a gift. It was a black mutant suit. The suit increases attack damage and other stats. Hyun put the suit on gold too. Lucky was upset that he was not being looked after as much. The Dragon of War presented another opportunity. One of the skill cards was legendary. Circulation restores health when the player consumes mana, and vice versa. Mana is restored when health is lost, and health is increased when mana is lost. What Hen really wanted was a defensive shield. This shield creates space. Mana drops when the shield absorbs damage. This will restore the player's health a little. However, the cost of this card exceeds $15,000. Hyun got upset and left the game. Suddenly, he crashed into the system again. It turned out that Rising Star had given him this card. Hyun needs to get to Tungu after the city of Viga. This is the main arena for mid-level players. The Kingdom of Tunga is surrounded by 4 palaces. The first thing players see here is the Western Palace. The main character arrived here. Other players didn't understand where the player got the Divine Beast from. They were also particularly surprised when they saw gold. It was clear to everyone that the Archmage had arrived. The players were worried that he would attack them. Everyone was waiting for him to declare battle to all guilds. So far, he is the only one who has turned all 10 groups against himself. But it's strange that Hyun was kind to the players and arranged a photo shoot. As in all games, newbies are no match for legendary players. They are assisted in every possible way by guilds that have already gained authority and fame. That's why the live magician is incredibly popular and has become the talk of the town. He showed people a path that no one had ever taken before. Hyun went live and showed off the Western Fortress. Everyone thought it was stupid that he started a photo shoot with guild players. He also allowed them to talk to the pets. Suddenly, the players noticed that the heroes had new clothes and paraphernalia. Everyone seemed to not pay attention to Hyun because they were busy with Lucky and Gold. Now Hyun hopes that the guilds will ease the pressure of false rumors. The most important thing for him is the main plot quest. We can't let false rumors start to slow him down. The players of one of the guilds watched him with hatred. They had to stop Hyun at any cost. It was Snicko's guild that wanted to deal with the Archmage before anyone else. Looks like it's time to teach Hen a lesson. Hyun gathered his team and headed to the castle grounds. Snicko's players followed him. They introduced themselves as his fans. Allegedly, they also want to get a photo with him. Hen immediately realized that they were from Snicko's guild. He was able to see their hidden nicknames and team composition. He also noticed they had a bunch of buffs. The girl noticed that Hyun had changed his equipment in Kane. The young man declared that this was for a better battle with them. The guild players realized that he had figured them out. Then they all grabbed their weapons. They thought that Hen wouldn't be able to do anything because of the short distance. Due to the short range, any mage will not be able to escape in close combat. The players used their best skills. Hyun carefully avoided the attack. However, he did not make a single strike in response. Lucky and Gold dealt with their assistance. The ambush was destroyed. Hyun took advantage of the pause and activated the shield. He decided to show this fight live. He announced that he had run into some boars. He changed his strategy because many people are trying to stop him. This time he changed his class to tank. If the players kill him, he will give all the money to their guild. In most games, mages are useless at close range. Of course, this game is no exception. So Hyun already knew that they would try to get closer. He could have defended himself with Lucky and Gold, but they could have died. It's better for Hyun to become a target and turn into a tank. He figured out that the players were paying Snicko's guild for his head. He said the name of the guild, and this alarmed the players. This happened in front of thousands of spectators. Spectators were sure that these players would be kicked out of the guild. Lucky dealt with the attackers single-handedly. Hyun barely even intervened in the battle. But he still decided to take the players' items for himself. The audience will be suspicious of him if he takes only the best things. He picked up the not-so-best sword and shield of the Tunga Kingdom. The other players froze as he took down a famous guild. Hyun decided to continue with the plan. He wants to keep the broadcast going and put on a show. He changed his class again and became a mage. The guild members wanted to see his magic up close, and he would show it to them. It looks like Hyun is planning to kill the centaurs. For a solo mage, this is quite difficult due to their movement speed. Here one of the centaurs ran towards Hen. The hero immediately used ball lightning. He added fire and neutralized the monster. The centaur died before he could even get close. The other centaurs decided not to get involved in the fight. Viewers wrote that even Asmo isn't that good with centaurs. Hyun still attacked the standing monsters and destroyed them. The guild players couldn't believe their eyes. Hyun killed 90 centaurs without drinking a single potion. He had only one goal left. A second later, he killed the last centaur. Now he can summon the Centaur Guardian. On this good note, he decided to end the broadcast. He called Gold and used the summoning on him. Gold changed his appearance and became a centaur. Hyun also handed him the spear he had just picked up from the players. He wanted to test Gold's abilities as soon as possible. Lucky felt even more hurt by the lack of love. Hen calmed him down and suggested going to the Western Fortress. It is necessary to continue the main quest while the pursuers are silent. Soon the heroes reached the eastern observation tower of the fortress. They were met by Zager, who is the lord of this place. He told Hen that his soldiers were dying because of an unknown force. However, he heard that the Archmage was able to survive something similar. He asked Hen to find out what this power was. He swore on his name that he would reward him worthily. The heroes must travel to the Forbidden Area on the Golden Plains and explore the surroundings. As a reward, Hyun will receive a legendary skill grimoire. In addition, the Master's Grimoire will be available. The Master's Grimoire allows you to raise the rank of one skill to Master. The hidden condition is that you must never die. Meanwhile, the Abyss Guild was gathering its members from different parts of the country. Sol was curious about what the guild leaders would tell them. It's been a long time since the last meeting between players and leaders. Suddenly, Sol wrote to Hyun, who wanted to meet her. He hinted to her about compensation for the screen. Sol didn't want to see him because of social phobia. She was ready to simply send him any amount of money. In the end, she apologized and promised to pay back later. A couple of hours later, all the guild members gathered at headquarters. There were high-ranking leaders and ordinary players here. This meeting was nerve-wracking for Sol due to her social phobia. Master Merlin greeted everyone present. He reported that the guild was concerned about one problem in the form of an Archmage. The players didn't understand why they had to be reminded of their task 1,000 times. Emma wanted to bring clarity to what was happening. According to her, the Archmage is destroying the game system that was built by the top 10 guilds, which was built by the guilds. He showed unknown objects to anyone and also avoided any player ambushes. It was concluded that he had invaded the game system. From this moment on, the Abyss Guild announces a reward for the Archmage's head. Sol didn't want to get involved in the argument because she just wanted to play quietly. Players cannot go to the same place as the Archmage due to their high levels. Emma promised that she would help all players with this. It was a lucrative offer for every guild member. Suddenly, Sul fell into a stupor. She was overcome with strange feelings when she saw the Archmage on the screen. Meanwhile, Hyun approached the restricted area. He needs to enter a special rift that appeared briefly. The leaders sealed off the area where the terrible incident occurred. Now this is a great place for Hyun to gain experience and level up, and so his team entered this zone. It will be difficult for him to fight monsters in such a place. Hyun-woo must not die under any circumstances. The complexity of the main plot is really high. It would be almost impossible to defeat these monsters if it weren't for Hyun's abilities. Gold announced that an unknown enemy was approaching them. A second later, a fiery explosion was heard. Hyun reacted instantly and killed the zombie centaur. Lucky once again expressed his desire to fight to the death. The spear helped the Lord pierce the dangerous zombie and increase Hyun-woo's level. During these battles, Hyun gained much more experience than he would have on normal territory. Plus, other players won't be able to get here. Suddenly, one of the zombies started to glow. Hyun saw the hidden information that this zombie was carrying the trail left by the advance party. Hyun ordered his assistants not to kill this monster. At the Abyss headquarters, the discussion about the Archmage continued. Merlin was making guesses about how the Archmage could manipulate the system. He didn't believe it and wanted to convince Emma otherwise. Their guesses did not match what they saw on the screens. Guilds are currently unable to attack Hen due to his poor skills. Emma decided that she would never abandon her people. She had prepared something for the battle with the Archmage. The discussion was about Small Pack's rating. This is a rating created by the Small Pack channel. This channel is dedicated to visualizing various statistics in the game. In most cases, the criteria for calculating statistics are objective. However, the rating still remains an unofficial and subjective opinion of the channel's author. But Small Pack's channel has a whopping 52 million subscribers. The channel has been reborn as an absolute indicator for all players. Players must line up to fight the strongest. If Hyun makes it into the rankings, he will definitely attract the attention of strong players. The Abyss wanted Hyun to get into this ranking even though he wasn't even level 70. Emma has already paid the channel's author a large sum. Small Pack's ratings should soon surprise everyone. And then the news reported that the winner was a low-level player. This is how the Archmage got to the first place in this rating. Ju told Hyun this wonderful news. He didn't even suspect that his friend was an Archmage. Hyun felt uneasy about what was happening. Friends didn't understand how the Archmage got into the rankings with such a low level. Typically, players with a level of 200 win in this category. It turns out that guilds that never cared can now target Hyun. Getting into the ranking means that you have enormous potential for development. This way you can fly up to the sky and become a star. The hero suspected that Rising Star was involved in this. No one else would have gone to such lengths to stop Hyun. Now the hero needs to focus on completing the quest. The Rising Star channel also reported the latest news. Louis was sure that this was the work of their leader. Pak also thought about this rating, but the channel owner does not listen to him. This man was Pak's friend at school. He won't move until he receives an offer from the best guilds. It turns out that the Archmage did something and attracted the attention of the most powerful guilds. The Archmage dealt decisively with a group of Sneeko's guilds. That's why average guilds don't even think about attacking him anymore. The Archmage doesn't like this situation because he's crazy about attention. He did it on purpose to get into the ratings and gain extra attention. Hyun made sure that the victims who raised him up would come after him. Pak decided to match the Archmage's actions. He decided to send a bribe, which would be accompanied by a letter. This time it will be in the form of a favor. Meanwhile, players from all guilds set out to search for the Archmage. They had to meet with the centaurs to clear the way. They all have a high level in the low-ranking players' territory. It seemed unfair that decent players were looking for a level 70 player. This means they will catch him even at the cost of their honor. Their names could be included in the small pack rankings if they catch the Archmage. There are even players sponsored by top guilds. For example, Avat from the Iskov guild was here. Avat wanted to get the Archmage at any cost. He must make up for that defeat in a few days. Alap from the Red Snake group supported him. However, he began to make fun of Avatar for that unfortunate incident. Allegedly, it was difficult for Avatu to get here due to his low skills. A fight almost broke out between the young people. Suddenly they saw that all the high-ranking players were gradually flocking here. Avat was determined to eliminate all competitors in his path. Suddenly they heard that someone had seen the Archmage. This was reported by reliable observers. Avat was ready to run to be the first to get the reward on his head. In the distance there really was an Archmage and his company. Avat ordered the archers to check him immediately. The mages used clairvoyance to confirm the presence of the Archmage. At first they saw Hyun's team, but later they were mistaken. Looking closer we saw ordinary centaurs. It was strange that they clearly saw Lucky, the keeper and the Archmage. It turned out that it was indeed Hyun, who hid under the centaurs using a skill. Even the audience thought they were centaurs from the very beginning. Everything is going according to Hyun's plan. He went live, but the broadcast was private. He was worried that the top players were coming for him. Guilds do this because the Archmage has increased their subscriber count. The hero couldn't imagine that he would meet level 90 players. High-ranking players hunt in beginner zones. It's more like bullying. That's why everyone points fingers at them. Despite the bullying, these players still came for Hyun. So they finally gave up their pride and conscience to catch him. If that's the case, then Hyun won't succeed in this game. He was lucky to have received Chain Lightning from the level 70 reward book. This skill causes a bolt of lightning to strike all nearby players. However, if Hyun does win, the entire guild will turn against him. Containing them will impact the completion of the main quest. Hyun decided to greet the players as befits a true Archmage. He was glad that there were more players here than he thought. The players themselves didn't think that so many people would gather here. They can't even team up to catch Hyun. This situation is a great opportunity for the hero. While they are busy sorting things out with each other, they won't notice him. Hyun will have enough time to increase the distance. The young man asked viewers to keep this information secret. The players heard from the observer that it was, after all, an Archmage. Then the centaurs of Hyun began to flee. The players didn't know what to do or whether to trust the observers. Hyun decided to cancel the centaur's action. He also changed the private broadcast to public. The number of spectators immediately increased to 30,000. Hyun's fans told other viewers that he disguised himself as a centaur and deceived everyone. It's time to apply acceleration. No player will be able to catch up with Hyun because of his speed. The distance gradually began to increase. The players tried to stop Hyun no matter what. Avatu was informed that the Archmage was on the air. He realized that Hyun wanted to make them look like fools. If he loses, he will be humiliated by everyone. Hyun had enough time to mock the pathetic players. He, like a child, showed them obscene signs and whistled. Players became paranoid that the dangerous Lucky might jump out from an ambush. In that case, it's game over for Avatar. He lost sight of Hyun, who was standing nearby. The main character simply deceived him. Eventually, Avat lost all his strength and gave up. This pursuit resulted in some good content for earning money. The number of pursuers noticeably decreased, but the audience asked for more. But the hero decided to postpone this test for a while. Asmo sent him $10,000 and asked for more content. Hyun didn't want to risk himself here, among thousands of experienced players. He is forced to refuse Asmo. 130,000 viewers promised to consider Hyun a weakling if he refused. Asmo promised to send an extra $1,000 every 10 minutes. Hyun realized that he wanted to see the entire quest of the main scenario, which he had no idea about. Heroes need to play more carefully to avoid revealing hidden information. Hyun didn't know if anyone else could also see the hidden information. Asmo has created a great atmosphere among the audience, so it's hard for Hyun to refuse him now. Suddenly, a teleportation effect appeared next to the heroes. These were the castle knights and Zagar's vassal. They arrived to take Hyun to Zagar. They received word that the player had left the quest's restricted area. The protagonist was glad to be saved from having to continue the broadcast. He apologized to the viewers and Asmo to end the broadcast. Hyun explained that the game is prohibited from showing the entire quest process. He ended the broadcast and went to the castle's watchtower. He was met by Zagara, to whom Hyun reported on the clues he had found in the restricted area. The hero showed the traces of the advance group that he had found. Zagara was surprised by Hen's good skills. The young man received a grimoire of skills and a grimoire of a master as a reward. Grimoire of skills can be obtained for money, but you can't buy a master's grimoire for money. Master rank can only be reached after reaching level 150. But Hyun, who was almost level 80, obtained this book in an instant. He put off unlocking the skills until later and rushed to get the next quest, because after seeing that show, the pursuers will definitely not give up. Moreover, Hyun will be forcibly disconnected from the game in 1 hour. 9 hours after the reset, more than 100 players will gather in the Western Castle. Zagara looked at the clues Hyun had found and noticed something strange. His people were attacked by an unknown person. The hero just needs to find this person in the restricted area. As a hidden reward, he will receive the Ring of Zagara. Zagar created teleportation magic to send Hyun on a mission. Hyun wanted to know more detailed information about this ring, but no one listened to him, and the teleporter transferred him to the right place. The protagonist didn't know whether this was a worthy reward or not. This time, it was moved near the entrance to the restricted area. However, there were a lot of Archmage hunters nearby. They, without leaving, remained waiting for Hyun from the moment he first appeared here. The hero waited for their active attack and abruptly entered the restricted area. It's quite dangerous outside because the players have already formed large groups. Before completing the quest, Hyun decided to open the legendary skill grimoire. He received a legendary card with the Indomitable Will skill. With this card, no enemy action can interrupt Hyun's spell. As in other games, there is a wide variety of skills. Among them are those that create difficulty, such as ranged attacks. Mages may have a skill that reflects your own attack back at you, but mages need more time to activate such a spell. Indomitable Will increases their activation time, which decreases as they level up. It's better than interrupting the spell anyway. Hyun wants to get skills that cause debuffs, such as blindness, paralysis, and loss of consciousness. But such skills are extremely expensive. For now, Hyun decided to focus on the current situation. He didn't understand how he could find the right monster in this disgusting field. Most likely, the ability to see hidden information will help him with this. As a result, he quickly found the unknown creature from the quest. According to the conditions, he must simply find it, and it is not necessary to win. Hyun was afraid that the forbidden area would close after the mission was completed. It would be a good idea for him to put the quest aside and level up here. More than 100 people have already gathered outside, and it is unknown how many more will come. Just thinking about it made Hyun break out in a cold sweat. The hero wanted to sell unnecessary things and use the earned money for an important purchase. He needs cast on the move, which he can already acquire. Hyun also wants to reach level 80 in 4 days. This is necessary in order to thoroughly prepare for going outside. Pak's team observed the number of players on the upcoming battlefield. Over 1,000 people gathered to capture the Archmage. This is already at the level of a large-scale guild war. The star didn't know where the Archmage had disappeared to after the last broadcast. His last show was able to generate a good profit in a matter of days. Only Pa thought there was nothing good about this stream. His assistant explained that this video had beaten all the top videos. In Pak's opinion, it would be boring if the Archmage did something like that again. Even if the content is similar, new conditions need to be created for the player. Puck wanted the Archmage to fight this time instead of running away. It's time for Hyun to fulfill Rising Star's request. The Archmage was also hotly discussed in the Capsule Cafe. Hyun's friends assumed that the player had a special plan. Ju was upset that he, with his low level, couldn't try to catch the Archmage. He had an idea to unite so that they could all catch him together. He suggested this to Hyun too, but Hyun didn't know how to respond to this proposal. The hero suddenly noticed that the movement cast had been sold at auction. He got angry and entered the game again. Hyun immediately began to destroy all the centaurs. He reached level 80 and the War Dragon gave him a new skill. The young man hoped that he would still get the legendary cast in motion. He received the legendary Shockwave skill. This skill creates a shockwave that deals heavy damage and stuns the target. This is one of the best skills due to the paralyzing effect. It was a pity that Cast didn't fall out in motion, but with Indomitable Will and Shockwave, Hyun will be able to defeat 5 out of 7. He started broadcasting and Wharton Pack contacted him. Pack asked for an even bigger show, similar to the previous one. For this purpose, he prepared a special card for Hyun. The conversation was about a card with Cast in motion. Meanwhile, other players were discussing Avatar. It was said that Avatar's arrogance was broken by the Archmage. If Avat could catch the Archmage, the guild would respect him again. This time Avat also came together with Alap. If Avat disgraces himself now, all his efforts before the guild will go to waste. 4 days ago, Avat came to the main gate of the western castle. Hyun meanwhile left the field through the teleporter, passing the main gate of the castle. Avat still remained waiting for him to catch him. All his problems will be solved when he kills the Archmage. Today, the Archmage and his assistants finally appeared in this field. Hyun filmed the events live. This pleased the players, as it promised active action on the part of the Archmage. Avat headed towards the Archmage along with the players of the Scaff Guild. To begin with, he greeted him respectfully. Hyun asked the young man what business he had. Without explanation, Avat threw the guild's white scarf at the Archmage's feet. This means that Avatar challenged Hyun to a duel. The guild member who wins the duel will receive glory and a reward. But if he loses, he will lose the guild scarf forever and will be expelled from the guild. Thanks to this method of dueling, the Scaff Guild found itself in the top positions. And when the Archmage shouts out his first skill, the duel will begin. Avat was confident that he would defeat him. Hyun's first skill in battle was Fireball. This was not a problem for Avatar, and he was not at all embarrassed. He rushed forward with a magical shield. As the audience expected, Avat interrupted Hyun's skill. He immediately used the magic needle sword. Avat thought that with one blow he would finish off the Archmage and gain glory. But suddenly Hyun's fireball flew at him again. The hero's skill did not stop, and Avatar received critical damage. Asmo figured out that Hyun had Indomitable Will, which extended the skill when damaged. Avat no longer believed in his success. Hyun was already ready to use Ice Ball and Lightning Ball. Asmo didn't understand where the Archmage got the Indomitable Will from, since it was sold out. Avatar doesn't stand a chance if he keeps taking damage. In fact, he is not the easiest opponent for Hyun. The hero moved forward, but his skill did not stop. Asmo noticed the phenomenon of Cast in motion. Hyun struck Avatu with a lightning ball, paralyzing him. In addition, he sent out an ice ball to increase the damage. Asmo informed Hyun that he was easy to catch since his movement speed was lower during Cast. But the main character proved him wrong. And all because Hyun increased his skill with the help of the Master's Grivoire. The book allows you to improve any skill to master level. Hyun also used Shockwave for show. He wants Avat and his supporters to not even think about catching him in the future. Both the spectators and the players couldn't believe that the Archmage had such skills. Due to the Shockwave, Avatar will be unable to dodge any incoming attacks. He decided to use a magical dash, but it didn't help him. Avatar can still move until the Shockwave is activated, and now its action has become active. Avatar was severely paralyzed and could not move. The protagonist decided to make the ending grand and beautiful. He simply took out an ordinary axe from his inventory. He hit Avatar on the head with it, without using any skills. Avat fell to the ground and the duel ended. This axe taunt amazed all the spectators and other players. After this, no one will fight with Hyun anymore. The hero ended the broadcast and entered the observation tower to see Zagar. He reported that he had managed to obtain a trace of the unknown monster. Zagar took an unknown stone and something incredible happened. The Sakhalin pendant immediately reached out to Zagar. Hyun said that Sakhalin gave him this pendant. Zagar doesn't think he's involved in anything like that. He tasked Hyun with solving this case to the end and created a new quest. As a reward, he gave him his ring. With this ring, Hyun will be treated as a noble anywhere in the kingdom. In addition, it gives an effect to all the hero's characteristics. Meanwhile, Zvezda's channel saw a surge in subscribers due to Hyun's videos. It was all because of the grand finale of the duel. In one day, the number of subscribers and viewers increased by 10,000. Pak made an agreement with someone about advertising for a large sum of money. After visiting Zagar, Hyun logged out of the game and went for a walk with Haylin. He spent the money he earned on her and got her ready for school. He planned to rent a larger apartment in the near future. He walked his niece to school and thought about the game again. As soon as he was alone, he received a message from Pak on his phone. Pak requested a private broadcast to discuss something important. Hyuna was quite confused by this message from Rising Star. Hyun and Park called each other and talked about advertising and sponsorship. Pak wanted to conclude a couple of contracts on behalf of the Archmage. The protagonist agreed to this proposal without a drop of doubt. Pak suggested that the young man organize a new show for clients. While Hyun shows everyone his skills, Park will deal with the preparation of contracts. The leader asked Lewis to pay close attention to the direction of the video this time. They both know that Hyun often hunts small golems. Usually 5 people are enough, but Hyun can handle them alone. Pak asked Louis to collect material on how other players hunt the same monsters. He meant the best Archmages from other guilds. Specifically, we were talking about Merlin from the Abyss Guild. Soon, players began to watch the battle between Hyun and the golems. In this fight, the hero gave Gold the opportunity to prove himself. He only supported it with basic skills. Hyun himself had never come face to face with stone golems. Players were shocked that Hyun only spent 10 seconds on the golem. The hero obtained glowing crystals from the bodies of the killed golems. Now he has all the quest items for the blacksmith Zuga. He remembered how he arrived at Zuga and told him that he was pursuing an unknown person. The blacksmith took the former god's stone from the pendant and inserted the trace of the unknown into it. The resulting item will indicate the owner. For this, Zuga asked to kill 10 small golems and bring their crystals to him. Hyun didn't want to show the broadcast to the clients because the golems were too weak. You can't just show them hunting such weak monsters. And so Hyun went to Zuga again. Zuga didn't expect the Archmage to collect the diamonds so quickly. Thus, the young man received an additional reward and the title of Surprised Zuga. Thanks to him, Zuga saved his special hammer. This hammer was given to Hyun as an additional reward. To use Zugi's hammer, you need to be level 99. This tool can be used to extract skills from items and place them into others. Up to the required level, Hyun can only use it on similar items. Zuga explained that if he used the golem crystal, he would be able to summon a golem. By killing him, Hyun will receive the molten stones, which will allow him to combine the 2 powers into one. Zuga didn't explain anything in detail and created a new quest for the main plot. The hero needs to obtain melting stones for a reward in the form of a cursed necklace. The skill extraction system has appeared in many games. It hadn't been found in the God Wars yet, but Hyun managed to do it. The hero needs to think carefully about what exactly to use the hammer on. It's obvious that he will take the skill from Vigi's white staff. He will place this skill into the legendary Tungi staff, level 89. Hen will be able to buy it if he gets an advertising order. Now Hyun likes this game more and more. Meanwhile, Pot was inundated with phone calls. He receives too many advertising offers for the Archmage. The Archmage's value grows with each passing hour. The leader of the Star decided to take the advertisement without delay. The Archmage's value is growing faster than Puck thought. He asked Lewis to get ready for the show. Lewis needs to announce the upcoming broadcast along with an edited version of the raid on Viltgar. Pak called this video warm-up. He expressed gratitude to all the advertisers who attended the screening today. Clients of the closed chat were waiting for the broadcast to start. And now the broadcast has started and Hyun just needs to play like before. He started to show the usual warm-up and took out the golem stone. The activation of the stone caused some anxiety among the clients. A blue stone golem was summoned from the depths of the earth. Pak was surprised that everything was going better than he expected. The golem was 3 times larger than the main character. Hyun started a raid on the blue stone golem for publicity and personal purposes. He wanted to get the molten stones to unite the 2 forces. Moreover, the conditions for the evolution of Lucky and Gold turned out to be ideal. Lucky will level up if he hunts a boss that is higher in level than himself. Gold evolves when it protects its master from a boss of a higher rank than itself. The blue stone golem is level 99. When his health is low, he eats rocks to recover and then creates clones. Hyun doesn't need to kill him quickly, because he needs to show his potential. He sent Gold to clear the way for the battle. Lucky expressed his will to die or live to fight the blue golem. Hyun supported him with his basic skills, Fireball and Iceball. An attack without any plan will certainly not impress representatives of large companies, so you need to show strategy, not firepower. Hyun calculated that there were 7 seconds between the golem strikes. While the boss is preparing for the next attack, you need to manage to deliver a crushing blow. And so the hero waited for this moment. He used fireballs and ice balls, as well as various types of lightning and arrows. The golem's health is at 60%, so its second phase begins. It fell apart, and the audience thought it was the end. 3 golems appeared from 1 golem at once. Lucky was told to take one of them. Gold used Gigantism and went for the second golem. Hyun stopped his personal golem to fight the third one. Gold's opponent began to run away to hide and restore health. The protagonist didn't want to let this happen, and grabbed a long-range bow. He had a couple of seconds to hit the golem, and so he destroyed the blue stone golem with 3 arrows. Gold also dealt brilliantly with his opponent. Hyun noted that viewers get bored watching a standard fight. He decided to add a little show to this fight. He plans to use Dragon Fever on the golem, and if he doesn't catch the golem by the time the skill expires, he will reveal the hidden quest to everyone. The audience demanded an explanation, but Hyun ignored them, calling on Dragon Fever, and the young man's fans immediately sent him donations totaling 3,001. The advertiser, who was an acquaintance of the Abyss Guild, also observed what was happening. Hyun caught her attention with his skills, which were not typical for beginners. It is well worth all the investment. This girl was closely related to Emma. Thanks to Emma, the connection with the Abyss has strengthened. The girl who supplies gamma drugs was able to go this far. Emma asked her to find out details about the Archmage through private chats with him. Meanwhile, Hyun destroyed the last golem. However, the stones continued to move, because the golem still has a third phase. Suddenly, 9 small golems appeared on the battlefield. They are much smaller than a normal golem and appear weak. To combat them, Hyun used chain lightning and shockwave. He ordered his assistants to keep an eye on all the golems, not allowing them to escape. Stone Golem, Lucky and Gold surrounded the little monsters. The audience hoped that Hyun would lose to them and tell them about the hidden quest. Asmo donated $10,000 and asked Hen to lose. If the hero loses, he will send him 10 times more than this amount. Even though the golems became smaller, they became faster because of it. Lucky expressed his wish to live or die to fight them. Golem Hyun actively caught them, not letting them escape. The little golems ran away, knocking each other down. Hyun used chain lightning on them to immobilize them for a while. Dragon Fever will expire in 20 seconds. Hyun needs to gather the golems together to use the spell. He wanted to repeat the success of the last show, but to do this, he needed to choose the right weapon. As expected, Hyun stopped the golems and killed them with a regular axe. He completed the test while the Dragon Fever was still in effect. In this fight, he definitely showed his skills to the advertisers. There were enough advertisers on the broadcast, and they were all satisfied. Hyun told them about the plans for the next broadcasts. He plans to challenge the Centaur Knight. On this interesting note, he ended the broadcast. For defeating the golems, he received a melting stone. In addition, Lucky's pet has reached a new level. His appearance changed to a more mature one. Hen can choose a new ability for Lucky. The Unbreakable Diamond was drawn in the card lottery. When the skill is activated, the player's physical strength increases dramatically. You cannot use other skills while this one is active. Gold was also able to protect his master from the golem and gain evolution. Guardian's devotion has increased to level 6. Hyunwoo got a card in the lottery that surprised him. After the broadcast, Rising Star is plagued by calls from agencies. Pak didn't know what to do with the contract. He gave up and hadn't decided what to do next. The Archmage showed in the broadcast that he was not interested in advertising. Park believes Hyun just wants to be paid a reasonable price for the show. Through his channel, the player will continue to show off items and monsters that no one has seen. Therefore, the channel will be offered something worthwhile. Pak announced that they would no longer charge for advertising. In return, they will ask for items and skills that will help the Archmage. This news shocked Louis, as the company's income would decline sharply. Pak decided to support the Archmage's idea to make the game easier for him. Later, Hyun went to the western fortress of the Tongue Kingdom. He was still shocked that Gold had drawn the Berserker card. With Berserk, Gold loses his mind and attacks only a specific target. Even Hyun is afraid of how strong Gold has become. The heroes were met by the fortress officers. They escorted Hen and his assistants to Zuga and Midas. The player was delighted to be brought to the Golden Forge. The Forge is a place that all players who have visited the Western Fortress know about. Only there can you get the legendary items of the Tunga Kingdom. This is something every player should try at least once. Here you can purchase the Tungi Staff, which is Hyun's next target. The hero was met by the blacksmith Zuga, and he clearly did not expect such a quick meeting. Hyun handed him the melting stone he had received during the test. This stone is much stronger than the stone the player found in the Dorito Quarry. Zuga began the process of joining the melting stone and Hyun's pendant. The trace of the unknown flows like a real liquid. And now the auxiliary necklace for Hyun was ready. Now with such a compass, it is not difficult to find the unknown. You just have to go where the compass points. The necklace grants its owner increased stats and reproduction skill. Replaying grants a skill that the player has used once, ignoring its loss. Asmo said that reproduction can only be used through an item. A card with such a skill would be worth nothing, since the skill is transferred with the item. Zuga wished Hyun good luck, and created a new hidden quest for the main story. The hero must go to the Forbidden Zone and defeat the Centaur Knight, who has lost his name. As a reward for this, Hyun will receive the Black Staff of Tongue. This staff is much better than the one he wanted to buy. According to the terms of the award, the team must consist of less than 6 people. This means that 6 people are enough to complete the quest. But it is not a fact that Hyun will be able to do it. The Centaur Knight is 3 times stronger than the Black Centaur, which is unobtainable by normal players. This time, Hyun cannot guarantee the safety of Lucky and Gold. Meanwhile, Emma was informed that the Archmage now accepted payment in items and skills. I immediately realized that Pa didn't just come up with this idea for no reason. The truly important items in God Wars cannot be obtained for money. Emma believed that this was only to their advantage. She was going to offer the Archmage items that were better than anyone else's. Meanwhile, Pak received a list of items offered by advertisers. Louis learned that there were some really worthwhile items on the list. There are also those that can be purchased on the game website. Pak ordered that customers be informed to offer rarer items. Louis was afraid they would lose advertisers this way, but Pak wasn't worried. He knew that in this game one could only survive by such methods. Besides, there is no one who would miss the opportunity to connect with the most talked about player. Meanwhile, Hyun entered the restricted area and started broadcasting. The conditions at the location became worse as everything became covered in thick fog. Hyun's necklace did not fail him and correctly pointed to the centaur. Viewers immediately recognized this as the place where Hyun escaped from the Golden Fields. At the end of the zone, a level 109th Centaur Knight appeared. He has the Dash skill, which reduces the distance to the target. The Crush skill increases damage when hitting. These skills will prevent Hyun from defeating the monster at any cost. This time the hero has to hurry, so he wants to give it his all. The broadcast attracted 500,000 viewers, including Asmo. Hyun used Dragon Fever and promised to complete the quest in 10 minutes. He made the first attack using his permanent skills. Spectators could not see the target due to thick fog. They assumed that Hyun had hit the centaur at random. In fact, the hero knew where to strike thanks to the compass necklace. This attack angered the monster and it began to take active action. It was completely covered in armor that was invisible in the fog. He lunged forward, but the Archmage did not dodge. It looks like the monster is about to crash into Hyun. At the very last moment, the player dodged with a roll. It was a manifestation of caste in motion. Hyun realized that he couldn't handle the monster alone. He called Lucky and Gold for fire support. Gold used the Berserker skill and went berserk. His gigantism and berserk combine well for close combat. The centaur threw a blow with his sword, but Hyun took it with his mana shield. The hero moved to active actions with a long-range bow. Viewers noted that Lucky and Gold deal little damage despite their efforts, and so the Centaur Knight changed his target and rushed at Gold. Hyun used telekinesis for the first time to wield both the White Staff and the Vigi Staff. He noticed that the centaur was using ping-pong tactics. In cases where there is no tank, monsters will attack the one who deals the highest damage. But if the gap in damage is not that big, then the monsters have to change the target of their attack. It's difficult to predict how a monster will react, so ping-pong is dangerous in normal groups. Hyun deliberately set up a ping-pong game to distract the monster from himself and inflict damage on it. The centaur has moved on to the next phase and his steps are becoming lighter. He once again targeted Hyun and noticeably accelerated. The main character's Dragon Fever effect has disappeared. Asmo assumed that Hyun was about to die and donated $10,000 to him. Lucky stands up for his master and wants to fight to the death. Hyun wasn't sure that Lucky wouldn't lose. Spectators were afraid for the wolf cub, who was being chased by a huge monster. Hyun decided to support his pet and released Ball Lightning. However, Lucky still received a critical hit from the knight. He lost all his strength and fell to the ground. There was only one blow left before the wolf cub died. But suddenly Lucky's body was filled with energy, and the invulnerability skill was applied. Hyun used Dragon Fever with a replay. Asmo realized that Hyun had reproduction and asked him to return all the donations. The monster was 100 meters away, and then the hero used a long throw. He dealt good damage with his fire and ice spear. As expected from the Archmage, the centaur took instant damage to the face, and so the centaur was covered in fire and entered the third phase. The hero came a little closer to use the same axe, but the Centaur Knight's health began to drop sharply due to Gold's attacks. It was all because the Guardian was attacking while in Berserk mode. Thus, Hyun's team defeated the Centaur Knight. The main character was confused that he didn't have time to use the axe and make a show out of the battle. He ended the live broadcast to be alone with his feelings. Hyun was afraid that advertisers were not happy with the broadcast. For completing the quest, the hero received the Centaur's treasure. It contained swords, an axe and a hammer, as well as a Centaur's bow. The bow can only be used by the player who killed the Centaur Knight. The bow has the double arrow ability. Hyun planned to sell these expensive items as soon as possible. Suddenly, Gold noticed that his master's chest was glowing. It was the egg's absorption of the nameless god's energy. Hyun had a hard time getting through this moment. The egg has reached 9% hatching rate. All this is because the centaur contained traces of the nameless god. After the battle on the field, the hero saw a strange silhouette. Thanks to hidden information, he learned that this was the Unknown. Hyun and his assistants immediately prepared for the approaching battle. Unknown is at level 444. Hyun was confused by this number, since he would not be able to cope with this monster. Even the top players haven't reached such a high level. Hyun is sure that this creature was not created to fight him. Lucky and Gold demanded instructions to attack. Hyun ordered them to run away immediately and save themselves. It looks like the Unknown is not going to attack. The main character felt someone else's presence. Suddenly, an arrow fell at the feet of the Unknown. The monster created a portal and left the field. Hyun received a notification that the task was completed and the level was increased. Zigar, who had arrived here after Hyunam had cleared the area, came out to him. He escorted the hero to the Eastern Observation Tower. Zigar was grateful to Hyun that with his help they were able to destroy the threat to the fortress. In return, he brought the most precious thing he could give. It was the Black Staff of Tunga. It increases all attacks and characteristics of the owner. Only Hyun could see the hidden feature of this staff. When the cumulative damage reaches a certain level, Snake's Eye is activated. Zigar also wanted to give Hyun one more thing. His men found it while searching the cleared, restricted area. A leaf was found where the unknown person stood. Almost immediately, this sheet changed its appearance. He belongs to a ghostly forest where everything can change its appearance. Zigar determined the Archmage's next destination. The young man needs to go into this forest and find out information about the nameless god. The cursed pendant will still provide clues, as before. Meanwhile, Rising Star rejoiced over her latest success. The broadcast of the short boss raid proved successful among advertisers. Pac was confused by the fact that the Archmage had planned this raid in advance. None of the players can know exactly when the boss will appear. Star Leader was under the impression that Hyun was going on a solo quest. According to him, the Archmage is definitely connected to one of the game's creators. There is no other explanation for where he gets so much information in the first place. That's why Pa is worried about new requests from advertisers. Louis brought him a report on the broadcast. Pac asked him to forward this strange request to the Archmage. The advertiser wanted the Archmage to kill the ghost alone. The ghost is the boss of the haunted forest. For this, the client is ready to hand over the spirit summoning skill card. This advertiser was a girl who runs the drug company Gamma. She wanted to send Hyun some bait to get in touch with the Abyss Guild. Even Pac was confused by this high reward for an ordinary boss. Gamma wrote the request under Emma's guidance. Emma reported to Marilyn that the plan with the drug company had worked. If Hyun kills the boss after 15 days, he will receive a spirit summon card from her. If the player takes the bait, the Abyss Guild will know his next move. Emma has already sent information about the route of the Archmage of the Snake Hunters Guild. This time she planned everything more carefully because she wants to put Hyun in his place. Marilyn is confident that Hyun will fall into their trap. He guesses that the Archmage is now smiling from ear to ear, not suspecting anything. As stated, Hyun was glad that the advertisers did not leave. He was ready to accept their order because his skills were more than sufficient. To begin with, he wanted to sell Vigi's bow and spear. But simply killing the ghost is not enough, because a show needs to be put on. He wanted to make up for his failure when Gold defeated the centaur instead of him. The player will prepare carefully and get this advertisement. This way he will be able to save up a considerable sum and buy a new apartment. This way my brother will feel much better and will be able to continue to recover peacefully. Hyun also plans to send his niece to art school. He promised himself to do everything for his family. In fact, this will be his second trip to the Ghost Forest since the new account. The forest is a territory for level 100 players. After receiving the quest in Tunga, players can enter the forest through a magical portal. There appears a slime, namely a monster of the transforming type. In the forest, players may fall into an illusion, and their appearance will change. To distinguish a person from slime, you need to attack and check. Most players have a good chance of killing unwanted teammates. Suddenly, Lucky sensed the slug's home. To enter this dwelling, you need to be at level 109. Because of this, Hyun plans to level up in the near future. Everyone knows about the hidden dungeons in the haunted forest, but they are not easy to find. Thanks to Lucky, Hyun found this. The hero and his assistants set off to raise the level to enter the dwelling. Meanwhile, in the same forest, players were attacking each other. They did it for fun and for their own benefit. Strong players killed weak ones so that they would not stick their necks out from their guild. This group had a leader. It turned out that these were the same snake hunters that Emma had sent. They wanted to catch the Archmage and get closer to the guild leadership. Meanwhile, Hyun leveled up by killing slimes. He was already level 89 and had improved stats. He waited until he reached level 89. All this was in order to use the Black Staff of Tunga. The staff has a hidden power that only Hyun knows about. He wanted to test how powerful the snake eyes were as soon as possible. The game features crowd control abilities such as paralysis and sleep. There is also confusion, which causes aggression, and blindness, which turns off vision. The modifier of the Black Staff of Tunga is petrification, which disrupts the enemy's formation. Snake Eyes charges up in just a couple of well-placed attacks. Hyun tested his eyes on slugs. All the monsters who looked at the snake's eyes turned to stone. With Dragon Fever, Hyun can use them every half-minute. He is worried that his account will be blocked due to suspicions of hacking the game. This time, Lucky's fighting skills are also unusual. The Wolf Cub was able to calculate the most effective attack when the enemy was petrified. In just a couple of attacks, he was able to raise his master's level to 90. The War Dragon gave Hyun a new opportunity in the form of cards. The hero wanted to choose the right card and go to the boss. He got the skill and now he has everything he needs to hunt the ghost. Before the battle, the hero left the game. He put the Staff of Purification up for sale and almost got caught by a friend. Ju suspected something was wrong, but did not investigate the truth. His thoughts were interrupted by the news that the Archmage had put an expensive item up for sale. There were also conversations about the Archmage in the Abyss Guild. This time Emma was talking to Sol. She asked her assistant how her character was progressing in capturing the Archmage. Sol admitted that she was still in the swamp and far from the player. Merlin burst into the office and interrupted the conversation. He called Emma for a short conversation so that Sol would not suspect anything. After leaving the office, Emma asked Merlin not to tell Sol anything. Merlin just wanted to know why the Archmage hadn't accepted the quest yet. Emma guessed that Puck from Rising Star had noticed something. But, oddly enough, Puck has never refused any offers from clients. In the worst case, the Archmage himself understood their motives. If this happens, there is a high chance that there is a traitor among the abyssal guilds. In general, all they can do is wait for an answer. Suddenly Emma noticed that the Archmage had started broadcasting without accepting their offer. The broadcast is probably related to something Hyun posted on the website. He announced that he was starting a raid on the ghost, and the Abyss Guild was speechless. Meanwhile, Hyun's friends were also discussing him and his selling item. Many assumed that he was just showing off and would then remove the staff from sale. If sponsors buy the staff, Hyun will gladly take their advertising. The players decided not to worry about it, since someone would buy the staff anyway. The protagonist was worried that the price of the staff was not rising at all. He spent all the money on things and skills, believing that the staff would sell. This time it will be an unusual boss raid, a boss raid. The Archmage's evaluation and recognition depend on this broadcast. With these preparations, the ghost won't be Hyun's problem. As always, the player took the cursed amulet with him into this forest. It was strange that the necklace didn't react in any way. A window popped up with a notification that an unknown force from the ghostly forest was entangling the pendant. Based on the game's experience, Hyun must destroy the ghost to move forward in the quest. He needs to go as far as possible before the broadcast starts. The cursed pendant fell into deep confusion due to an invisible force. And then the game announced that the ghost would appear in 6 hours. Hyun needs to defeat him by any means necessary. A little later, Lewis reported to Puck that a message had arrived from the Archmage. Hyun informed them that he would soon launch a broadcast on the forest ghost raid. Puck suggested that those who sent this mission had completely different goals. He hoped the player had also sensed something strange. He did not refuse the task and prepared a real show for the audience. He was already fully prepared for the upcoming battle. The leader of Rising Star contacted him. Hyun himself wanted to contact Park to inform him about today's raid. He confidently announced that he was accepting the assignment from advertisers. The description said to beat the boss in 11 days, and Hyun started right away. The broadcast started and a ghost appeared in the forest. Despite the damage, he can use Chill Aura, Phantom Dash, and Scream. The main character greeted all viewers on his channel. This time, he had a new addition in the form of a familiar spirit. The spirit familiar can use Lightning Bolt. Spectators believed that the Archmage was using special game codes. He soon attacked the ghost, but the damage was not enough. With one more shot left, the ghost rushed at the player. Seeing him up close, Hyun thought he wouldn't be able to handle him. Gold helped his master and used Gigantization and the Berserker skill. However, his physical attacks passed through the materialization. Initially, the ghost is in a ghostly state, and damage comes only from magic. But at a certain damage threshold, it materializes and takes physical attacks. A point materializes, and during this time, only physical attacks deal damage. When he becomes ghostly again, the surprises will begin. He scanned the area and discovered an intruder. It was a level 135 snake hunter. He used the stealth skill to remain unnoticed. However, thanks to his skills, the main character still saw him in time. There was real chaos in the Abyss Guild. Hyun accepted their mission, knowing it was a trap. He proudly used the spirit that was given in advance. Emma didn't understand how many steps the Archmage had thought through. Meanwhile, Park was also thinking about Hyun's actions. The protagonist informed the audience that he had identified all the traps. This news shocked both Puck and Emma. After revealing the spirit, Hyun tells them to pay a high price if they want to get the answers. As expected, Hyun may have already figured out the task for the catchers. Emma's plan has failed, and she needs to stop to minimize the damage. The player has already understood everything and nothing will work. Emma suggested to Merlin to curtail all forces. Merlin called and told the snake hunters to leave. Emma wanted to respond carefully to Hyun's phrase. Pak realized that the Archmage had fooled everyone. He has no doubt that the player is working on a huge project that is difficult to imagine. The broadcast also means that the Archmage has finally accepted Puck as an ally. The Star's leader decided to stop watching the broadcast and start preparing. He announced that the main task was to help the Archmage. Thus, the Rising Star channel began operating around the clock. Emma contacted the snake hunters and told them to stop the mission. The hunter was confident that he could handle it, since he had a 40-level advantage. He assumed that the Archmage didn't even know about the ambush. He wanted to attack when the ghost entered the 3rd phase. And now the ghost's health is low, and the monster goes into a rage. He activated Phantom Dash, which would only stop when someone died. Viewers were worried that in this state the monster would kill Lucky and Gold. Suddenly the main character asked his assistants to step back. It turns out that this phase of the monster attacks nearby enemies for half a minute. Hyun himself wanted to meet him face to face, and so Hyun and the hunter waited for the right moment. The hunter thought that Hyun was running away with his assistants. This is a great moment to attack the defenseless Archmage, but suddenly the hunter's movement stopped. He was petrified by the Snake Eyes effect. The effect also extended to the ghost. The assassin ordered for the Archmage was caught on camera. The ghost soon broke free from its petrification and went into a rage. He forgot about Hyun and his assistants. His next victim was the nearest player, the Snake Hunter. Within seconds, the player left the game due to death. Hyun announced to everyone that he belonged to the Snake Hunters Guild. When no one bothered Hyun, he began to continue the battle. He asked Lucky and Gold to support him. Lucky decided to accept the life or death challenge. Because of the struggle with the hunter, the monster noticed the wolf cub and immediately rushed at him. Luckily, Lucky had his indestructible skill activated. Spectators were worried that Lucky wouldn't be able to kill the monster before the skill ended. The main character decided to support his pet and took the centaur's bow. A dozen magic arrows pierced the body of the ghost monster. There was only one strike left before the battle was over. Hyun took out an axe and wanted to put on a show. He asked the wolf cub not to touch the ghost under any circumstances. The audience turned to Lucky and asked him to attack. Lucky obeyed them and delivered the final blow. The power of the ghost forest weakened and the battle was over. Hyun received a message from Asmo that he wanted to make a deal. He is ready to buy the staff if the Archmage answers his question. The question was whether Hyun was fulfilling the main plot. Pak and his assistant were stunned by what they heard. Hyun couldn't find the words to answer this question. The audience realized that they were talking about the thing that all the players had been looking for a couple of years ago. Hyun didn't hide anything from Asmo and told the truth. Since the Archmage was able to find this plot, the consequences for him will be serious. Pak wanted to help him and decided to place an advertisement for Gamma. Louis thought they had already given up on this advert. It seemed that Pak simply did not have time to inform them of the refusal. Hyun has fulfilled all their conditions, and therefore a reward from Gamma should come. Pak planned not to break this delicate connection with Gamma. This is all to really ruin their lives. As we know, hands that are clenched cannot be unclenched. Gamma will give the Archmage a reward, and Pak will try to squeeze even more out of her. Meanwhile, the main character left the game and felt unwell. At the end of the game, the pendant did react to the energy. Hyun decided not to show this on air to avoid unnecessary questions. Some viewers saw this moment, but did not bother to find out the truth. Hyun walked up to the killer and took the items and cards from him. He was surprised that the killer had a fire serpent's fang. This is the skill that fatally poisons the enemy with poison. It looked like the player really wanted to kill the Archmage. The young man was worried that he would now be tormented with numerous questions about the plot. Ju approached him to tell him this wonderful news. The protagonist took his phone to check the sales website. He saw that Asmo had kept his word and bought the staff for 100 million won. Hyun shook and dropped his friend's phone. After that, he decided to visit his family. He spent enough money and bought everything she needed. Brother was worried that Hyun was spending so much money on them. He thought Hyun was selling his organs for food. The hero admitted that he sells important information to interested people. The brother calmed down and asked Hyun not to do anything stupid. In fact, Hyun was worried that forces were appearing that were hindering him. Even the Snake Hunters Guild had their sights set on him. The player promised to destroy anyone, no matter what. The guilds of the Abyss reported failure. The task given to the hunters was failed due to unnecessary actions. Emma not only lost, but also gave the Archmage a valuable player, the Snake Hunter. She wanted to try another method, and asked to contact the hunters again. She was eager to find out what kind of person was behind the Archmage. Her assistant managed to find out that the Archmage actually lives in South Korea. The Abyss Guild has a muse there, which hides Seoul. Emma asked her assistant to contact her immediately for an important assignment. After some time, Seoul went to the cafe. Suddenly, she received a message from Emma about an important call. She put it off until later and saw the guy with the phone next to her. She hardly ever communicates with anyone in real life, but then she got nervous and decided to say hello to Hyun anyway. She judged from that time that Hyun wasn't such a bad person. She noticed that he was watching a video with the Archmage. When she greeted him, he became nervous. Hyun was worried that she saw and heard his comments about his video. First, Seoul asked about the broken phone. After that, she asked about the video about the Archmage, and he avoided answering. They confessed to each other that they were players of the War of the Gods. The young man hid all his secrets and simply said that he was playing a minor. He does all this in order to feed and support his family. Sol wished she could somehow help such a good guy in the game. The young man said that he had things to do and walked away from the unnecessary dialogue. Soon he entered the game, where a ghost hermit was already waiting for him. Hyun asked him where he could find the nameless god. It was the exile Natus. He became a ghost who craves the power of the nameless god. In his past life, he was the guardian of the forest village. Those who pursue the power of the nameless god will one day be turned into a ghost. But Hyun was fine and explained that the egg was absorbing God's power. He showed the egg to the ghost, who immediately recognized it. The ghost promised to tell him more about the egg if the player proved himself worthy of it. A new quest has appeared that requires you to pass the exile's trial. Hyun's first task was to kill a ghost in 10 minutes. Without any broadcasts or airtime, the young man completed the task in 6 minutes. The exile could not believe that the young man would pass the test so quickly. After the first task, the ghost showed the appearance of a real forest. This place doesn't look like one where different kinds of animals live. Someone has devastated this forest and no one knows who hid its true form. His power is enough to change an entire forest, and it is nothing less than the power of God. The exile promised to give a new task and handed over the props. This guardian glove is proof that the exile was a guardian. The protagonist needs to collect all other evidence. The exile instructed him to go into the forest and deliver a message to the head of the forest village. The quest was related to the troll forest. Meanwhile, Emma reconnected with the snake hunters. She asked for another chance to make things right. She was asked to prepare for an imminent attack on the Archmage. Emma doubted that Hyun would take on a new task from them. She promised to prepare a reward that the player simply couldn't refuse. She knew that Hyuna was facing a clash with the Snake Hunters Guild. Pak and Louis waited for Gamma to pay them their reward. Pak announced that she had given them a new task, saying that they liked the surprise. The attack will happen again, but Hyun must defeat the boss under these conditions. As a reward, Gamma offered a revolver. This is one of the skills that all mages in the God Wars want to obtain. This is exactly the kind of reward the Archmage would definitely agree to. This time the broadcast will feature a planned attack. Suddenly the Archmage sent Paku a new video. This video surprised both Puck and Louis. The men thought it was the same video from the previous broadcast. Nahyun sent them a shortened version of the story where he defeated the boss in 6 minutes. The main character went to the forest village. There, local residents were waiting for him and were thrilled by his presence. As per tradition, Hyun held a photo shoot with them. After that, he went to the nearest troll forest. There were 2 minutes left before the two-headed troll appeared. The hero declared that he was ready to meet anyone who wanted to stop him. He scanned the area around him and discovered an ambush. There were about 10 people here this time. Hyun, without any embarrassment, announced the names of these guilds live on air. He also mentioned in a separate message that the Snake Hunters Guild is located here. Viewers reported that the Archmage's sponsors were ready to abandon these guilds. The killers didn't understand how the player had exposed them, because they had hidden well. This didn't bother Hyun at all, and he was ready to meet them face to face. Anyone would say that this situation is a trap for killers. The players decided to contact their elders to receive further instructions. Hyun asked them to come out immediately without any hesitation. When they did not come out, he launched an attack on the places where they were sitting. The players decided to retreat to avoid being kicked out of the guild. Only the snake hunters remained near Hyun. 2 minutes passed and a two-headed troll appeared. Hyun used his basic skills on the troll. After that, he activated Dragon Fever, but the monster was only in its second phase. Hyun's strength won't be enough even with the use of repeat. The troll used active health regeneration. The audience never doubted the Archmage's capabilities for a second. Finally, Hyun summoned a huge demon. This was a manifestation of the Inferno skill. Hyun had previously leveled up to 100. For this, he received the Inferno skill as a reward. The demon of this skill can attack any target from any distance. Because of this skill, the troll's magic resistance was sharply reduced. And then the young man decided to use the Dragon Fever repeat. Viewers speculated that he had raised his levels off-air. And now the raid was over, and Hyun needed to prepare to meet the hunters. The assassins thought that this monster weakened the Archmage. They had no doubt that they would defeat Hyun and his assistants. At the end of the broadcast, the main character announced a quiz. He asked why he hadn't used Snake Eyes today. He left this skill for serious opponents. Pak didn't expect that the Snake Hunters Guild would also be active there. This guild was not the type to take rewards for such ridiculous quests. The Abyss Guild was going crazy over Hyun's broadcast. Emma assumed that there was a traitor among them who was telling the Archmage everything. Her assistant reported that an offer had been received from the Rising Star. The star asks to make another reward of the same value. Emma couldn't refuse their trust and offered them the elven boots. She also asked her assistant to call all the players around the forest village. Rumors spread throughout the village that Hyun had defeated the multi-headed troll. Pak asked his assistant to cause a data leak. Louis reported that the Archmage's raid schedule had somehow leaked online. This is a kind of marketing ploy, because everyone will be interested to check it out. Suddenly, Pa was informed that a similar broadcast had begun on another channel. The Avengers team began the hunt for the two-headed troll. These players decided to kill the two-headed monster first. Puck's team was thrilled that the Avengers had stolen the raid from them. This was done by Emma's team to fool Hyun. It seemed that the Abyssal Guild had found the two-headed troll first. In the current situation, the Archmage will not be able to interfere with this raid. Hyun couldn't foresee this, and Park wanted to solve the problem for him. The audience stood up for Hyun and explained that he played much better. Some of them believed that the news about the Archmage's broadcast was a lie. This time Emma clearly defeated Puck and the Archmage. Meanwhile, Sol was watching this broadcast. She didn't understand why her guild had started a raid on this troll. It looks like the gathering a couple of days ago was for this purpose, to gather people for the raid. Sol felt sorry that everyone had such a negative attitude towards the Archmage. Suddenly he started broadcasting live from the scene. His fans thought that he was already late, as the monster was busy with others. He pretended not to understand anything. Sol became worried about the Archmage and, without thinking, became his fan. Hyun confidently announced that he would defeat the multi-headed troll today. Goat and Lucky felt something huge approaching. The three-headed troll appeared between the trees. Hyun won the victory over the guilds, because he will kill not a two-headed troll, but a three-headed one. To begin active action, he summoned a golem. For himself, he used the method of attacking from a long distance. Not only is the view perfect, but there are no obstacles. Many players liked this tactic and donated several $1,000s. Thanks to his assistance, Hyun dealt a lot of damage without taking a single hit. The boss has entered the final phase. Looks like Lucky's life or death is about to end. It was Gold's turn to attack. Despite Gold's interference, Troll swung at Hyun, but he didn't even move. The protagonist asked Gold to get rid of the threat. The Troll also attacked the Keeper. Gold withstood the blow thanks to Hyun's energy shield. To finish off the Troll, the hero used the Inferno skill. With the help of Inferno, he surpassed the three-headed Troll. After this, without explaining anything, he ended the broadcast. He returned to the exile and reported his findings to him. The exile rewarded him with a Guardian Circlet, which grants mystical power. In addition to this, it adds a fair amount of points to all attack stats. When equipped, Hyun can use Camouflage. Only one piece remains to fully equip the guard. Emma was beside herself with the thought that the Archmage had won against them again. Her players finally reached the Night Forest. The girl began to prepare a new plan of attack. Thanks to this broadcast, Pak gained 2 million subscribers. Louis announced that a new advertising request had arrived. This time, the request was sent from the Blue Bull, who was Gamma's enemy. The action then took place in the Night Forest garrison. The locals were waiting for the arrival of the Archmage. They were afraid that he would not be able to kill all the wolves alone. These wolves travel in groups with the werewolf. In addition, there are 9 black wolves in their pack. The villagers were sure that Hyun would definitely pass through them if he was going to the Night Forest. They were right, because the main character is already next to them. The residents met him and offered to unite. Hyun admitted that he declined all invitations because he would continue to play alone. He needs to kill 300 werewolves in the Night Forest to meet the Avenger. The Night Forest is too dark, so the player will not see anything in front of him. But in Hyun's case, it was different. If he prepares in advance, he can deal with the wolves before they arrive. No matter how they hide, he will see everyone. After completing this task with the wolves, an Avenger came to him. This little girl's name is Unter and she asked for help. For this, she prepared a special reward. The reward was a random master skill book. Hyun just needs to catch the wolf to get revenge. The dark wolf appears when the blue moon comes out. For such a reward, Hyun was ready to do anything. He has 60 hours left before the boss appears. During this time, he was able to increase several levels. The War Dragon gave him another chance. A lightning strike card is drawn, causing the target to lose consciousness. The assistants informed Puck that the Archmage had begun broadcasting again. It was the first time Puck had seen such an aggressive game since Asmo. In this broadcast, the main character decided to simply show off Lucky's skills. He promised to show a strong side in the next broadcast. He has already managed to show all his skills except for the lightning strike. He will demonstrate this skill when he finishes off the Dark Wolf. Now he has contacted the leader of Rising Star. Pak asked permission to accept advertising from the Blue Bull. The Blue Bull is indeed an enemy of the Gamma organization. Hyun gave Park complete authority in this matter. The Abyssal Guilds have reported that the Blue Bull will be the Archmage's next sponsor. Merlin was afraid that the Bull had gotten the Thunderbolt card that Hyun wanted. Emma reported that the Bull offered the armor of the nameless Archmage. Only Asmo has this armor. It turns out that Asmo began to act on behalf of the Blue Bull. It was clear that Asmo had made a deal with Rising Star. If he decided to take power over the Blue Bull, then the Abyss will have a hard time dealing with them. Emma asked Jack to send a message. Merlin added a message that the real war was beginning. The Abyss Guild can't just sit back and wait for it to end. Meanwhile, the main character left the game and made his niece happy. He bought her a lot of chicken with the money he won. He signed a contract with the Blue Bull, so he's willing to buy his niece anything. He didn't notice how Sul approached them. The girl joined their company, and they walked in silence. The main character felt awkward because she would start asking him about the game again. Lin decided that Sol was her uncle's girlfriend. Both Sol and Hyun explained that they were just friends since childhood. The girl told Sol that her uncle plays God Wars. She revealed the secret that he is a very powerful magician. Sol ignored this situation and did not go into details. After the walk, the main character reached level 118, killing werewolves. Once you defeat 100 mobs, you won't be able to simply summon a keeper. The mob's level must not be more than 10 times higher than yours. Werewolves are level 128, and Hyun is at the right level to summon a guardian. Gold's appearance changed as he leveled up. Now he looks like a werewolf. Hyun also decided to give Gold new things. The Fire Serpent's Fang inflicts critical wounds on the target. The three-headed troll's leather armor is incredibly strong and lightweight. For such gifts, Gold promised to bring glory to his master. The preparation is complete, and there are 10 seconds left until the full moon. Hyun started the broadcast and first showed off Guda's new look. After this, he announced that he was starting a raid on the Dark Wolf. Time passed and the so-called moon appeared on the tree. In appearance, it was not quite a moon, but a luminous fruit. Hyun must destroy all the Dark Wolves before the fruit ripens. There will be no boss this time. The main character has to finish the task within 10 minutes. You can start at full strength from the very beginning, because there are about 100 monsters. The first thing the young man did was summon Lightning Flash and the Berserker skill from his assistants. He himself grabbed the fire and ice balls, as well as the ball lightning. He recently improved his cast and motion with the help of the Master's Book. Hyun's basic skills helped him with the task very well. Gold crushed wolves with just one paw. At the end of the quest, Hyun used Dragon Fever, and so all the Dark Wolves were destroyed. Hyun postponed the lightning strike until the next battle, and suddenly Asmo wrote to him, asking him to use the thing wisely. The main character did not understand what was being discussed. He decided to ignore Asmo and take the quest reward. Unter came out to him and thanked him for the revenge. As a reward, she gave him a skill book. Hyun wanted to return to the village, but a ghost appeared behind him. The exile wanted to tell why he desired the power of the nameless god. Strength was needed to protect the forest village. He absorbed the power and ended badly. He gave a reward in the form of a card and said that the egg would protect Hyun. Guardian armor increases the wearer's magic level. This is the same feature as the nameless mage armor. Hyun has collected all the evidence and now he needs to move on. The exile sent him to a secret laboratory in the forest village. As a hidden reward, he will receive a helper in the form of a bird. After some time, the hero, the keeper, and Lucky came to the right place. Hyun began searching for the secret laboratory. When he opened the right door, he felt an incredible flow of air. A huge orange bird flew out. It is she who will accompany Hyun throughout the game. The protagonist realized that Asmo meant that he needed to use his gift wisely. As a gift, Asmo sent the armor of an unknown Archmage. The hero has no reason to use it because the Guardian's armor is much better. However, if he sells, he will lose all of Asmo's respect. If you look closely at the characteristics, there is a hidden skill. Hyun had never heard of such a hidden skill in the God Wars before. His friends at the Capsule Cafe were constantly discussing him. They heard no news of him after he left with the village escort. They were expecting his next broadcast from the new raid. Suddenly, Ju announced that the Archmage would show Asmo's gift. Hyun went on air, and there was an item destroyer next to him. He also showed the audience his new assistant, whom he named Jackpot. Hyun announced to them that Asmo had given him the armor of an unknown Archmage. The main ability of this armor is an additional projectile. Unfortunately, this item is of no use to Hyun, so he decides to destroy it. Spectators were worried that he would destroy the only item in the game. This is madness that no one would ever do. There's nothing better for a show than madness. Asmo was on the broadcast and allowed the armor to be destroyed. Hyun happily destroyed the gift. He still showed that there was a hidden skill there. A hidden skill is receiving a skill card for destroying an item. The card increases the number of projectiles when using skills. Hyun ended the broadcast and left a bad impression. The audience's opinion changed when they saw the card for destroying an object. Next, the hero plans to broadcast while killing the fire snake. The system told Hyun that he needed to find Azaru so that he could kill the snake. The young man immediately went to Azara's tower. He was greeted by the right fairy, who released branches for him. The hero needs to climb to it on the stem. Not long ago, the fairy sensed something strange and sent out her scouts. Several of them did not return. Azara asked Hyun to go and kill the fire snake. The fire snake's nest is located in the underground labyrinth beneath the forest village. For this, Hyun will receive a legendary book and the opportunity to start Zuga's quest. The hero was the first to enter this underground labyrinth. The difficulty here was quite high, and Hyun felt a sense of fear. The slugs tell him where the fire snake is. To begin with, the young man used the master's skill card book. He got the card for the keeper. Gold was able to level up and become stronger. Gold quickly dealt with everyone who interfered with them in the dungeon. Hyun didn't expect Gold to be so strong. In the next broadcast, the young man wanted to be in the center of the air. Meanwhile, Asmo in Saudi Arabia began broadcasting. At first, he admitted that he was very annoyed when Hyun destroyed the item. If he did that, he had to show what kind of skill it was. Asmo sees him for the first time, so he is deathly curious. He watches the Rising Star channel and waits for the skill to be unpacked. This broadcast will cause some problems for the star. It was the first time Park had seen Hyun's face so excited. If the Archmage wants to change people's opinions, then he must show everything on air with a snake. Pak picked up the phone and called Asmo. The talk was about the reward for the broadcast with the fire snake. The leader promised that his player would bring better results. Asmo said that the gift would be the trident skill. Choosing one of Asmo's items is an incredibly big bet. Pak does everything to ensure that the Archmage doesn't have any problems. Hyun's friends had been waiting for news from him for several days. He kept them waiting, and they were ready to unsubscribe from him. Suddenly the Archmage posted. The broadcast lasted only 10 seconds. It was unclear what the Archmage would do this time. He just promised that there would be a new broadcast tomorrow. Tomorrow came, and Hyun promised to show an overview of the new skill today. First, he showed the effect with the armor on, which increases the number of projectiles. He also attracted attention with a fire snake whose body was covered in flames. Spectators were afraid that she would swallow Lucky. Lucky couldn't escape her and was saved by Hyun's new assistant. After this, the wolf cub used his best skill. Using this skill, he hit the snake several times. Hyun then showed the audience his trident skill. He also announced the start of unpacking. The trident skill hit the snake and dealt damage. Spectators noticed that Hyun didn't use any mana during the attack. The fire snake froze due to the trident effect. With the help of the replay, the hero released several more tridents. This brought certain results. The fire snake suddenly became frozen. When the snake's health is reduced, the torch will activate. And then the ice fell from the snake. Now the audience understood why she was called fiery. She approached Hyun, but he didn't dodge her. He decided to just take advantage of the lightning strike. This blow completely destroyed the snake. This concludes Hyun's review of the new skill. He hoped that advertisers would now be happy. Asmo donated money and offered to talk in person. He asked what subject Hyun would choose next. Apparently Asmo is planning to send something else in the future. Hyun thought it would be nice to get an elven robe. It was too expensive an item, and the young man thought he had gone too far. He finished the broadcast and received a notification that the task was completed. As a reward, he was given a fire snake crystal. The crystal allows the player to feel incredible power. Hyun then went to the local bar in search of Zuga. Zuga didn't understand what brought the player here right now. Hyun reported to him that he had found the power of the unknown god. We were talking about this very crystal of the fire snake. Zuga was delighted and offered Hyun to connect him with the staff right now. Later, the hero went to a place near the forest village. Tung's staff combined with the power of the fire snake and increased all stats. It increases the status of the disease by 100%. Now he needs to find a clue about Reitling in the Red Mountains. For this, he can begin a quest on behalf of Cho. Meanwhile, Pak's team received a message from the Archmage. Lewis was excited when he read its contents. Hyun reported that something had changed seriously. The player wanted to wait for some time after the Blue Bull commercial ended. He wants to test his combat readiness for the next broadcast. Hyun is currently working on improving the characteristics. Pak thought that this was his way of receiving a high reward for his services. Hyun already had an elven robe, which he received from Asmo. Pak missed the right time to talk, because the high reward had already been received. Suddenly his phone rang, and it was the Gamma Company on the line. Meanwhile, a serious conversation was taking place in the Abyss Guild. Sol overheard that they had received a request from the Archmage. Merlin announced that the player had asked them for a deal again. This time he gave them a blank check. This means in any case that he can ask for any reward. Merlin wanted to prevent the union of Asmo and the Archmage. Since Hyun is carrying out Blue Bull's order, there will be no more talk of a contract. But Hyun can also make higher demands, for example, the armor of an unknown Archmage. Emma decided to give him an impossible mission. Merlin announced that they would raid the Red Goblin Chieftain. Emma was afraid that having received the task, the Archmage would simply refuse. It will be difficult for the player to defeat the chieftain alone. Emma suggested that the Archmage either play alone or join a group. In this case, instead of refusing, he will simply draw attention to the formation of the detachment. Blue Bull will want it to be a one-off kill to attract viewers. Merlin was afraid that the Archmage could handle it alone. Emma assumed that Hyun could either win or lose. Its players quickly leveled up through trading. Now they are all gathering at Red Mountain. If you use this method, even an Archmage won't be able to escape. Sol accidentally overheard an interesting conversation. She decided to put her hand to this matter too. She picked up the phone and dialed Mr. Rappo from the Undead Guild. She had a small request for him. Red Mountain is an arena for high-level players. Players can cross the Great Wall that surrounds the mountain. Then the flames of the Red Goblins will be waiting for them. There are about 40 united goblin tribes. To fight them, you need a group with good stats. Weak players only have the option to use the random player system. It is called the Punitive Detachment. From the Punitive Squad, the players went to fight the goblins. One of the magicians let down his comrades and did not save them at the right moment. After that, he reported an urgent matter and left the game. Thus, one of the Punitive Detachments was defeated. That magician simply let his team down. Hyun's squad is definitely different from this punitive one. It contains wonderful Lucky. His partner is the Jackpot Bird. Guardian Gold is on defense. And in this whole team there is a leader, Hyun. Not long before, Hyun went to Choi to find Rightling. Choi agreed to tell a little about him if Hyun would help him. Prince Tungi gave Hyun a mission to hunt in the Punitive Squad. In any case, things will be tough for Hyun after joining the Punitive Squad. The player will need to take care of other players. The Abyss Guild was on the battlefield next to the Archmage. She wanted to stop Hyun by any means possible. Thanks to one Punitive Squad, it became much easier for them to reach him. One of the players pretended to make a mistake and missed the shot. Hyun realized that the squad members were not in the mood to fight. Whatever the class of the mage, he is vulnerable in close combat. The man from the Abyss targeted Hyun and wanted to frame him. He wanted to direct the goblin to the Archmage. Then the Archmage will be mortally wounded and will be out of the game. But suddenly Hyun's antics agitated this man. Hyun, as always, showed them his strength and skills. He simply maneuvered and sent a goblin towards the player. After that, he used the elven boots and ran to a safe place. The man was worried that Hyun on the team would not take care of his fate. However, the protagonist saved him with one blow. Besides this, Hyun gave them a colorful potion to restore their strength. This potion cost $800. The Punitive Detachment was able to kill 2,000 goblins for the first time. The hero spent a lot of potions, but still received a hidden reward. The Abysses were indignant because they had failed to distract the Archmage. On the contrary, they became fond of him and his assistants. Jackpot and Lucky helped them a lot in the hunt. However, to carry out Emma's orders, players must thwart the Archmage. One of the Abyss suggested that Hyun should go out on the same team next time. Hen has completed the quest and therefore no longer needs a group. Over the past few days, he had defeated the Red Goblins and reached level 130. Now, hunting the Red Goblin Chieftain alone has become entirely possible. Hyun learned about this golem through the map. The protagonist resolutely refused this player. He announced that he was going to continue playing alone. He returned to Choi and reported the results to him. The commander of the Punitive Detachment ordered him to hand over the legendary book. Hyun received a new quest that required him to follow Choi's instructions. For this, he will receive a skill book that he has never seen before in the game. Meanwhile, in real life, there are many rumors about the Archmage. Pack and the other spectators watched as the Archmage completed the Punitive Squad's quest. This time, he will receive an empty gamma contract and an elven robe. Following Choi's instructions, he went to the buried temple. He needs to find the location of the Red Goblin leader. The debris lying under the rubble is perfect for this location. Unlike other bosses, the chieftain only attacks while running. The monster can recover and cast curses. It activates the follower's song 10 minutes after it starts. This skill summons many goblins at once, increasing the difficulty level. Hyun needs to catch him within 10 minutes. Before that, he started broadcasting and announced a raid on the Red Goblin Chieftain. If he were like the other players, he wouldn't be an Archmage. Spectators noticed that soldiers began to move behind him. Hyun pretended not to notice anything. He simply summoned stone golems. They did a great job without Hyun's help. Because of this, the Red Goblin Chief immediately noticed Hyun's presence. However, he cannot hide from the hero's eyes. The young man did not worry, and first showed the leader to the audience. The Red Goblin Chieftain suddenly started to run. Suddenly, he crashed into something huge. It was the Guardian Good who stood in defense of his master. Jackpot was on his support. Jackpot delivered Lucky to the place where the chief stood. This beautiful delivery of the wolf cub was pre-orchestrated by Hyun. Lucky and Gold received the Duel and Shadows of Guram's skill cards. Hyun told Gold to use his new duel skill. Lucky used Guram's shadow and became double. The chief's assistants surrounded him, and he had to react quickly. The Red Goblin Chieftain used a song for his followers. The preparations are complete, and Hyun is ready to strike. He promised to finish with 5 magical attacks. The talk was about long-range attacks and dragon fever. In the first strike, he showed a revolver and a fireball. He reinforced the blow with 3 tridents. The Red Goblin Chieftain immediately froze over because of this. The shockwave paralyzed the Red Goblin chieftain. Next, the hero wanted to use the snake's eyes. This allowed him to buy time, since the chieftain was petrified. The spirit used a lightning bolt and set the leader on fire. However, this attack did not allow him to achieve victory. Hyun has one last magical attack left. The protagonist completed the quest beautifully with a physical blow from an axe. Hyun used up all his mana during this battle. At this point, he decided to end the broadcast. For the future, he needs to prepare skills and items that restore mana. Then he went further up the location. At the top, he found a tombstone. It showed Reitling's footprints. Some strange dust began to float in the air, and Hyun felt an unknown energy. Perhaps it was a sand monster that was about to attack Hyun. The egg absorbed all the power, and the hero saw the legendary skill book. This is a rank item that has never appeared in God Wars. A keeper card fell out of the book, which increases his skill. Now Hyun must destroy the Red Goblin tribe at Reitling's request. He decided to take a break and left the game. Zhu noticed Hyun's worried expression. Hyun asked the Abyss to send mana recovery items through the empty check. She gave an item in the form of a staff of an unknown Archmage. It restores mana, and the hero can keep 2 flaming golems. In return, the guild asked for a solo performance on Red Mountain. This is a performance of capturing 777 Red Goblins. Hyun needs to break the record in 19 minutes. Because of the incredible reward, he cannot refuse them this. Then Zhu advised him to find someone who could help him ease the burden and release his worries. This advice was essential for Hyun. The hero asked his friend to prepare the capsule for the game again. He promised the Abyss that he would conduct a broadcast worthy of the item he had received. Even if he fails to break the record, he will not give up until the end. In the Abyss Guild, the stock price increased due to the Archmage's advertisement. Merlin thought they had overspent by giving him the staff of an unknown Archmage. The Archmage's abilities were more impressive than Emma thought. Hyun showed skills that were hard to buy, no matter how much the Abyss paid. They are simply not for sale and are only available to the Archmage. Emma is afraid that they don't know everything about his abilities, so they gave him such an item. In an additional proposal, she asked him to do a performance on Red Mountain. Merlin was afraid that he would do anything to break his guild's record, but this is simply impossible to do. Suddenly, an assistant came to Emma and Merlin and announced the start of the broadcast. He said they had some problems and showed Hyun's broadcast. Hyun conducted his broadcast under an umbrella on a lounge chair with a cocktail in his hand. The whole battle was handled by Lucky and Gold. Red Mountain caught fire and fire golems also appeared. They were supported by Assistant Jackpot. Asmo noticed that the staff had changed Hyun's mana levels. Suddenly, a huge werewolf appeared behind Hyun. It was Gold who immediately killed the fallen Red Goblin. The Rappo Guild watched the broadcast and discussed how Hyun was an interesting guy. Because of Ms. Sol's request, they will have to take a different route. Meanwhile, the hero apologized for not being able to break the record. Then Rappo suggested that he clear out the dungeon in the Frozen Land. He didn't know what to do because he needed to start a new quest. Rappo discovered this dungeon, but has not yet explored it. The hero admitted that he had to coordinate this order with the director. Rappo then promised that as a reward, he would give Hyun whatever he wanted. Hyun needs to take Reitling's ring and go with it to the dungeon of the unknown Archmage. Meanwhile, in the Frozen Land, the players were freezing. They were afraid that they would die before they even reached the Black City. They were reassured by the fact that there was not a single monster in the area. In fact, the monsters of the frozen forest are dressed in camouflage and are not visible to people. They can jump out and attack players right now. Suddenly, the players noticed that the snow had melted along one path. They assumed that there was a guild of immortals here that had gone to the Black City. Most likely, the Immortal Guild still reached the Black City. She came here to meet with the Archmage for cooperation. Together, they will go on a raid into the dungeon of an unknown Archmage. At their head was level 200 Ramaya from the Immortal Guild. She came here on the orders of Mr. Rappo. Suddenly, the frozen forest began to melt. In the distance, flaming golems appeared, melting the snow. Everyone assumed that it was the Archmage and his team coming. There were about 200 people behind him. On the way, Hyun's team picked up all the freezing players. Ramia was excited that Hyun brought 200 people here. She hoped to cooperate with the Archmage to pass the dungeon of the unknown Archmage. The Immortal Guild greeted Hyun warmly. The hero was glad to meet Ramia. On behalf of the guild, she suggested that they work together as a team. She thinks they'll carry out a great raid this way. Hyun understood that they definitely couldn't be together. If he makes a mistake, the main scenario quest will become known to everyone. He gently refused Ramia, saying that they wouldn't be able to clear the dungeon that way. He will not be interested in the team, and will be ashamed to receive a reward for this. Soon he went to the anthill and started broadcasting. In the anthill, simple and difficult rooms appear randomly. Only through luck will Hyun be able to reach the boss room. He decided that he would go where Lucky told him, and so Lucky led him to one of the rooms. Viewers reported that if Hyun kills the boss here, another boss will come out. This can definitely become a problem for the player. Entering the room, Hyun saw the Ice Knight. The Ice Knight has ice armor, fierce cold, and a snow-white body. Hyun summoned flaming golems that resist ice. They struck, but one of the golems immediately fell apart. The Ice Knight smashed the golem with one sword. Then he struck Hyun, but he dodged it in time. The hero will have to use all his strength since the knight is very fast. The knight struck again, but Gold blocked it with his body. Thanks to Gold, the main character survived. The moment he lets his guard down, the raid will fail. He summoned all the assistant's characteristics to full power. He himself has always used Dragon Fever. He soon defeated the Ice Knight, but it was very difficult for him. It's time for the real boss monster to appear. Rappo said that if Hyun doesn't have enough skills, he will force him to leave the location. However, Hyun looked ready for anything. Asmo asked Hyun to clear this dungeon that no guild could handle. As a reward for this, he is ready to give a set of items. This time he prepared something useful for Gold. Hyun thought he was really in trouble. He had to finish this quest in a hurry because of the main scenario quest. Now he accepted the order to clear the dungeon, which intersected with the main scenario quest. Hyun cleared the dungeon and came to the unknown Archmage with the guard's legacy. He reported that after the disappearance of the guards, strange things were happening in the underground labyrinth. The elf said that the reason lies in the power of the nameless god. Hyun first received the award for the main screenplay. The girl promised to help the hero find the power of the nameless god. To do this, she needs to raise a Thunderbird chick. And suddenly Hyun's assistant grew and became louder than thunder. He can even compete with the dragon himself. Hyun needs to choose new skills for Jackpot. He chose the legendary card, Song of Orion, which summons a power that descends upon the chosen target. It is part of the song after the power of God Orion descends upon the chosen target. The elf asked Hyun to follow her to show him an important book. So Hyun entered the laboratory of the unknown Archmage. He suddenly felt an unknown energy, and the egg absorbed it. Hyun was scared as always, but this has happened several times already. The elf showed a book which, unfortunately, she cannot read. Hyun also won't be able to read this uninterpreted book. Interpretation is possible after Hyun activates the ability acquisition system. In the misty forest, Hyun will be able to find someone who will read the book. He will do it if Hyun shows him this ring. King Tungi gave this ring to his comrades who helped him. At level 150, it reduces mana consumption and recovery time. The elf asked to find Arabia, Reitling's comrade, in the misty forest. Hyun agreed to the task, but he still had an order from Asmo. He returned to his assistants and suggested that they set out on the mission. Before that, he asked Gold to absorb the image of the Ice Knight. The elf had previously driven Rappo away, but she treated the Archmage with understanding. Lee Sol contacted Rappo again to discuss Hyun. She is disappointed that he cleared a dungeon that even the guilds couldn't handle. They just didn't know how to move on to the next step. Rappo wonders how the Archmage will handle this. He was grateful to Lee Sol that he was able to see how the Archmage enjoyed the game. Now he wants to watch him all the time. Meanwhile, at Rising Star, Asmo made an advance payment for the order. It was Pa who asked him to make an advance payment. The request was made on air under conditions that violated the rules. Usually the order price is hidden, which is ideal for increasing the cost of the Archmage. In other words, Asmo is competing with Rappo. As proof of this, Pak received a black claymore and a swordsman's set as an advance payment. The main character didn't know what to do with the rewards he had received. He received a black claymore from Rappo and a fencing set from Asmo. With this, Gold's appearance will definitely look like a werewolf. Then he can put on a fencing set. In addition, Lucky also evolved, reaching level 150. For this, he received the gigantization skill, just like Gold. The hero was afraid that Gold and Lucky were overshadowing him too much. They stand out too much in all broadcasts. Meanwhile, Hyun's friends went to the break room to discuss something. There they watched Rappo's broadcast, where his smart guy grew in size. Hyun asked Ju when Smarty evolved. The friend explained that he was using the original skill. This skill was called gigantization. Hyun was glad that this would ease Lucky's burden. Meanwhile, the players of the Scaff Guild went on a raid along with the broadcast. The audience told them that the Archmage was much more interesting. The players wanted to show off their new knightly skills, but people didn't approve of it. They started unsubscribing from this channel because they were fans of the Archmage. The top guild Scaff is no longer of interest to anyone. The players promised the audience that next time they would prepare better and it would be more interesting. They were angry that the number of viewers had decreased by 20% because of the Archmage. They will not be able to compete with someone who plays alone. Then they came up with the idea of ruining Hyun's upcoming broadcast. When they hunt, their areas with the Archmage often overlap. They will break into the Archmage's ether, and that will be too reckless. The Archmage does not belong to the guild, so there will be no response from anyone. The top guilds are starting to gather, just as Emma wanted. In addition to sabotaging the broadcast, Emma ordered the Snake Hunter players to be killed. If it doesn't work this time, We'll have to completely change our approach to this matter. Emma will need to find a way to recruit the Archmage. The snake hunters set off for the misty forest where the main character is supposed to appear. The only content that can be made here is express. This is content where you run in a straight line without stopping and destroy all enemies. The guilds plan to defeat the monsters first. Then Hyun's broadcast would be like a walk in the park. In other words, an unexpected incident will occur during the broadcast. Suddenly, the players saw that the Archmage was next to them. Because of the thick fog, they wanted to steal the monster without the Archmage knowing. And so the operation began when everyone saw Lucky's actions. Lucky used Giganization in front of thousands of spectators. Hyun scanned the area and discovered the top guilds. They commit this theft right before his eyes. The young man took out a fireball and asked them if they were looking for gold. They ignored him, and then Hyun threw a fireball in their direction. The players didn't expect their mission to end so quickly. The protagonist shamed them in front of the audience, saying that this was done by players from the best guilds. The thieves did not understand how the Archmage noticed them in the thick fog. Due to their confusion, they missed the Archmage's blows. After this, they gathered their strength and decided to attack. They were confident that they could cope due to their numerical advantage. But suddenly, an improved Gold appeared from the fog. Using his Ice Knight skills, Gold accomplished the task perfectly. He asked the owner to leave all these players in his care. To reach the Archmage, players must pass through Gold. He had Jackpot in his support. The assistant has become even larger and can now summon the songs of Orion. Due to Orion's song, Gold's movement speed and attack speed increased greatly. The guild players hadn't heard that the Archmage's assistants had leveled up so much. They still hoped for their numerical advantage. They grabbed their weapons and decided to attack all together. They realized they had a chance when the Archmage was left alone with Lucky. While Gold and Jackpot are missing, they need to kill Hyun. They weren't worried that Lucky would interfere with the assassination of the Archmage. Hyun looked a little angry that the guilds had crossed the line. He promised the audience that Gold would deal with them soon. The Archmage's fans feared that this hostility would spill over into real life. If it weren't for his family, he would have left the game long ago. The assassins continued to pursue Hyun despite Gold's strength. Hen recognized them as snake hunters. This time Emma sent out hunters in large numbers. To continue the fight, the young man wanted to call upon the wolf cub's best skills. He pretended not to notice his pursuers and showed Lucky to the audience. The wolf cub recently received upgrades and new skills. Lucky activated Fenrir's Fear, causing the target's speed to decrease. Before breaking stealth, the players decided to attack the Archmage. They jumped out of their hiding places, but the Archmage simply disappeared. This was the first manifestation of the camouflage skill. The Abyss Guild players watched as the assassins hunted Hyun. They didn't want to join a guild that broke the rules. A huge knight came out to them, and they were glad that it was not Gold. Soon their situation becomes dire. They do not dare to retreat, and in the future only distract the Archmage and his assistants. Emma watched what was happening and believed that she had managed to distract the player. Players from all the top guilds gathered here. In the future, Hyun will not be able to ally with the guilds that are targeting him. In the end, Hyun will have to clear Asmo's dungeon on his own without the support of the guilds. According to the Abyss, this dungeon cannot be completed alone. Emma planned to isolate the Archmage for life. Hyun and his assistants killed several assassins. They dropped a cheap flaming dagger and fire gloves. Hyun asked players on air to at least get legendary items in the future. Asmo was angry that time was being wasted because of those who distracted the Archmage. The young man promised him that he would definitely fulfill his order in the near future. At this point, he ended the broadcast, and Pak's team was perplexed. Pak realized that someone had taken the initiative, and everyone was acting under his leadership. If someone is targeting the Archmage, the Rising Star also needs to increase the number of allies. At the moment, the likelihood of restoring the Archmage's relations with those guilds is low. Then the star has only one path left. Meanwhile, Asmo was sailing on a yacht in Saudi Arabia. He was informed that the number of viewers had increased by 3%. Previously, the problem lay in the actions of the Archmage. Asmo also received an invitation to meet the Rising Star. Asmo was glad to talk to Pak. Hyun needs to find Arvia to break the book's seal. This place was at the foot of a cliff in a misty forest, where the player came. It's time to give Arby the book of the unknown Archmage. He informed him that he had been sent by Mr. Reitling. It is this man, Arbia, who will be able to break the seal of the book. Arbia touched the book and simply tore the chain out. After this, Hyun needs to find some magic flowers. So far, he has only been able to find 4 of them. The company has extended the order fulfillment period by 10 days. Hyun didn't want to keep them waiting, and now wants to clear this place out. Soon he brought all the fragments he had found to Mana. The frost flowers had expired, and Arbia was unable to melt them. Using colors, you can extract characteristics of objects. He wanted to collect more of them and use them gradually, but their shelf life is only 24 hours. The hero still has to use the saved flowers and extract the stats from the Guardian set. At that moment, he decided to use the ridiculous flaming gloves. He must find a replacement within 24 hours and then complete the quest. He hoped that the site had something useful for him. The Guardian's gloves can be enchanted to increase projectile speed. Hen's friends were worried that 9 days had already passed since the Archmage's last broadcast. Puck and his team were also worried that the Archmage had gone missing. Paku decided to spend time contacting Asmo. He thanked Asmo for extending the order deadline. Asmo did this in order to get information about the main quest in the future. Paku definitely needs to lure Asmo over to the Archmage's side. If the Archmage refuses, Asmo will not be able to maintain an exclusive contract with them. Pack offered Asmo further cooperation. Asmo promised to think about it if his order was successfully completed. He apologized and ended the call due to urgent matters. He promised that they would talk to Pac next time after the order was completed. Rappo called Asmo and told him the news. He heard rumors that Asmo was investing in Rising Star. He admitted that he also had something to thank the Archmage for. Thanks to Hyun, he gigantized the pet. Hyun suddenly felt that someone was discussing him behind his back. He was in the company of his family and suggested that his brother take up rehabilitation. If his brother's condition worsens due to rehabilitation, he will be able to regain his health. Then he and his family will move to a new house. The hero asked his brother to pay more attention to rehabilitation and not skip classes. After visiting his family, Hyun walked around the city and thought about the game. He crossed paths with Lee Sol again. She noticed that he looked too busy. The hero didn't reveal all his cards and simply admitted that he had a job. Sol noticed that he took his work very seriously. She supported him and promised that he would cope with everything. This meeting left him feeling some excitement and sympathy. Some time passed and Pak told the team to prepare for the broadcast. Today's broadcast will change the fate of the Archmage broadcast. Hyun spent 10 days preparing to clear the Asmo dungeon. The audience no longer expected the Archmage to cope after a long break. This time the hero changed his appearance and was completely covered in flames. He announced that he was starting to go through the dungeon of the Foggy Labyrinth. Reflectors in the dungeon will prevent him from getting lost. In addition, hybrid monsters with 2 different parts appear here. Hyun won't be able to damage them unless he attacks both parts. The main character promised that this time he would be in the center of the broadcast, and his assistants would fade into the background. He used his best skills to fight the double animals. Asmo noticed that the fireballs had increased speed and attack power. Hyun definitely surprised the audience, as they saw this for the first time. Speed has been increased thanks to Arbia's skill book. Then he got a card that permanently increases the speed of any skill. If the hero continues to progress along the main scenario, he will encounter many more new things. This clearly didn't please the Abyss Guild. This is not a dungeon that you can complete by increasing your damage output. Marilyn, as always, was afraid of the Archmage's success. Emma explained that Hyun would lose if he used his usual tactics. It turns out that he can now make his golems half ice, half fire. He continued his battle with the animals, assisted by Lucky and Gold. Hyun didn't impart the Dragon Fever skill. With his current skill set, he has nothing to fear. So he killed all the animals and he needs to go to the boss room. He scanned the space and saw an ice and fire giant. It's usually best to kill double bosses one at a time, but these need to be dealt with simultaneously. Hyung will arouse suspicion if he attacks, as if he knew everything in advance. An ice giant of level 183 awaits him. He was teamed with a flaming giant of the same caliber. They were 2 different sides, but Hyun had corresponding golems. The guilds watched his actions. Hyun doesn't confront bosses from the start. The guilds thought he was being tested by his assistants. They were confused by the fact that his skills were only on par with a first-class guild. Hyun defeated the giants and ended the broadcast. He received from them an icy and fiery stone. He brought stones to Arbias to improve items. Arbia connected them with the Staff of Tunga. The new staff can activate the power of 2 Spirit Kings alternately. In return, Arbia asked Hyun for help. The player must defeat 1,000 monkeys in a tree forest. In the forest of trees, there grow huge trees, covered with lush foliage. There are tailed monkeys living in the trees that throw stones. They are strong enough to kill a mage with 1 hit. There are a lot of them in this forest, about 1,500. Players may be unlucky if all the individuals appear on it at once. This is how the monkeys destroyed players even from top guilds. Hyun killed the required number and returned to the village near the forest. He easily dealt with 1,000 monkeys. Gold's miniaturization skill helped him with this. If you use gigantization, you can commit voluntary suicide. If you're big, it's easier for monkeys to notice you. To continue moving at the same pace, Hyun needs Fatu's dagger. He recently bought some goods on the website and spent all the money. He thought about selling information about the main scenario. While he was thinking, he didn't notice how a huge stingray flew up to him. This man invited Hyun on board to escort him to the right place. His name was Hitu, and he would help Hyun continue the quest. Pack's assistants watched the Archmage's broadcast from the tree forest. Everyone was surprised that he defeated 1,000 monkeys in a short time. Hyun showed off the black brand and a new swordsmanship style. Pack's assistants noticed something strange about this. Previously, the Archmage was always good at hunting, but this time it seems he had a hard time. In this broadcast, he used a lot more potions than before. The workers were interrupted by Pack's appearance. His team did not voice their bad guesses. He announced that the Archmage would be playing alone again. He was informed that the Explorers Guild had found one quest from the main scenario. As expected, they found it quickly. Hyun wrote to Park that he wanted to sell information about the main script. He also asked for the Fatu dagger, which can only be given by the Abyss or the Explorers. In other words, this means that Park's team will have to work overtime again. The Abyss Guild accepted the request and sent the dagger to Rising Star. They also learned that the researchers had found the starting point of the main scenario. Immediately after, Rising Star put the main script up for sale, and she immediately pointed to the only dagger of Fatu, which only the Abyss has. Emma realized that this was Rising Star's way of trying to sabotage the guild. It was a shameless robbery. Due to Asmo's investments, they are now unable to recruit the Archmage. Now the guild has no choice but to complete the main scenario up to Hyun. Emma told her assistant to buy up all the information that Rising Star was selling. He also needs to compile a list of first-class guilds that are dissatisfied with the Archmage. The forest was full of wild monkeys. Hyun wanted to kill 150 individuals. The main character promised that he would show the audience something right away. The discussion was about Gold's new image in the form of miniaturization. Viewers sent donations to Hyun and distracted him from the threat. The protagonist turned around in time and saw a dozen flying stones. Everyone thought that the Archmage died on the spot. It turned out that he and his assistants survived. The main character simply used the Ice Wall skill. Through the Ice Wall, a player announced today's challenge. He is still not afraid to defeat 150 monkeys. Gold, who has become small, will greatly help him with this. The monkeys didn't notice Gold because of his short stature. Spectators noticed that the keeper was armed with a Fatu dagger. Gold's dagger and skills have reduced the stone throwing speed. In this broadcast, Hyun used the Inferno skill. When the skill appeared, all the monkeys' stats were reduced. It's time for Hyun to take action. To help himself, he summoned flame golems. Now the tailed monkeys are on the same level as the player. Soon the player killed all the monkeys and ended the broadcast. It was harder than Hyun thought. He was even surprised when the monkeys turned black from the leader's strength. Previously, certain conditions were required for this. Now the power of the unknown god began to affect ordinary monsters as well. A huge monkey appeared behind the player. The task was already completed, but Hyun was still afraid that he had missed something. He was confident that he had definitely destroyed the leader. It was Himo, the messenger of the forest, who offered the player a deal. The conversation was about a new quest in which you need to follow Himo's instructions. Thanks to this, the hero will receive a curse-devouring necklace and a new book. Hyun's friends assumed that he went broke, boosting his account. The young man himself was worried that nothing was being sold on the website. Previously, the site always had something from the Fatu series. Hyun only thought that Rising Star could help him with this. Louis reported to Puck that a new message had arrived from the Archmage. The content of this letter was a little strange. Hyun, without hesitation, asked them to find the entire Fatu series. These items are not the most common, but they are not that difficult to find. Pack thought that the Archmage could do it himself without help. Only the one who sponsors the Archmage has Fatu's things. Park thought that Hyun wanted to find out who was who among the investors. When the investors send him the thing he needs, Hyun will find out where Asmo is hidden. Meanwhile, Emma was informed that the assistants had bought up all the legendary items. Emma told me to keep buying everything that was put up for sale. She knew that the Archmage would try to continue playing alone. He will need equipment to do this. If the guild buys all the items, Hyun's gameplay will slow down. He simply won't have enough of the necessary items. This way, the Abyss Guild will be able to exchange information about the main scenario for items. Hyun is confident that Asmo has received magic, which is not dependent on skill cards. We are talking about the magic of the warrior spirit. This is a crucial skill that allows Asmo to play among the pioneers. If you get this kind of magic in exchange for the Fatu series, it will be quite cheap. Hyunwoo has already received a reply from Rising Star. Pack announced that he was ready to send the entire series to Fatu. The hero was grateful to the star for their kindness and help at the right moment. This way he saved a large sum of money. He used the money to buy his brother the laptop he had always dreamed of. Besides this, he collected quite a lot of things for his niece. His mood today was just super. The next day he again entered the tree forest, where Himo was waiting for him. When Hyun asked Star for help, he didn't expect to receive even one item. He was sent 3 Fatu items at once, which are not for sale. With this set, Hyun can make a deal with the forest assistant. Himo suddenly asked the hero to give him the Fatu series items. Himo wanted to give Hyun a skill for Fatu's items. To do this, he invited him to visit, where the hero would immediately receive an increase in characteristics. Himo's house was full of various magical seals. The young man confessed to the master that he wanted to acquire the spiritual warrior skill. Himo waved his staff and agreed to grant him this skill. Only Asmo was able to get it. The skill transforms the summoned spirit into a spirit warrior with further promotion. As the rank increases, the number of warrior spirits increases. Hyun tried to summon low-ranking spirits and he succeeded. He turned them into warrior spirits that could even be equipped with items. Before Hyun left for the battlefield, Himo gave him a small gift. He gave him liquid for the pendant. When the pendant first feels the liquid, it will become very greedy. Hyuna was not fazed by this and added liquid to the pendant. The pendant became less controllable. He pointed out the required control and Hyun needed to find the indicated place. In addition to the liquid, Himo handed over a book with skills. Now Hyun has to kill the 3 monkey brothers. This quest required level 190, and Hyun was trying to get it. In any case, a reinforced pendant and new skills will help him. The pendant increases the number of possible summons by 1. The War Dragon gave the player a new chance. Hyun has acquired the jump skill, and now the impossible will become possible. The preparations are complete, and the hero has started broadcasting. The audience was interested in the spiritual warrior. Hyun showed them 2 unenhanced spirits. The audience knew that Asmo was the only one in the world who had perfume. Gustav was willing to pay for information on how to obtain spiritual warriors. The hero cannot sell it because it is related to the main scenario quest. He admitted to Gustav that the sale was impossible. He explained that this would be a betrayal of his business partner, Asmo. Then Merlin appeared in the chat and offered Hyun to become a business partner. The situation began to get out of control. Hyun ignored him because he was facing a test. Today he needs to defeat 3 monkey brothers. Viewers were confused by the fact that Hyun already had 3 flame golems. Meanwhile, the hero called upon his spirit helpers. Marilyn learned that the player had an increase in the number of summons. He assumed that it was due to some special item. Hyun explained that this was related to the summoning of the familiar. Finally, he showed the audience items from the Fatu series. Thanks to the spirits and the weapon, Hyun introduced the team without Lucky and Gold. Now the hero was ready to fight the monkeys. And then the barrier collapsed and one of the big brothers emerged. The curse of Fatu has been activated and the warrior spirits have been summoned. The spirits were the first to bear the brunt of the monkeys' attacks. They bravely defended their owner and killed small individuals. Hyun supported them with his best skills. His blows were not enough to completely destroy one of the brothers. He finished what he started and delighted the audience. The player made the monkey his guardian and named him Silver. He wanted to kill the other 2 brothers through a battle between his 2 teams. One team of leaders had Lucky and the other had his Shadow and the Strong Gold. Even the boss was shocked by what was happening. Hyun publicly announced the start of the competition. Asmo interrupted him because he was confused by Silver's lack of equipment. The best players of the Chungwon Guild set off for the Land of Discoveries. They fought against the hyenas in a team with players from the small pack rankings. Besides them, there were also players from other guilds here. They wanted to prevent the Chungwon Guild from advancing to the next stage. Their leader reassured them that the Chungwon Guild was not bad. Only the best will win the competition on Pioneer Land and level up. Weak players will hit their limit and lose. The problem was that only the strongest gathered there. The leader summoned a blizzard and destroyed a pack of hyenas with 1 blow. Her assistants insisted that they take a couple of days to gather their strength. Their leader Yehua holds the #1 spot in the small pack rankings. She didn't want to stop because she wants to break the record. After that, she would like to catch the Archmage. Eva received a call from Emma, who asked her to beat the previous record. She reported that the Archmage did not receive the Pioneer quest. Besides, there has been no news about him for a long time. They keep track of all the game's heroes from whom you can receive this quest. It's impossible to get around so many people. Emma assumes that Hyun is still in the tree forest. The hero received a similar quest in which he needed to meet the text on this earth. Even without completing the Pioneer quest, it is possible to reach these lands. Hyun was worried about what happened after defeating the 3 monkeys. Smoke rose above the strange altar. An unknown force appeared, and was again absorbed by the egg. The hatching rate reached 67. It was interesting to see what would happen if the percentage reached 100. And so the hero and his guide arrived at the text. The text reported that changes began to occur among the hyenas in the restricted area. Hyun needs to defeat the leader of the black hyenas in this area. The monster that appeared was no ordinary manned hyena. She's stronger and blacker. There is no problem for Hyun. Not long ago he called Pak. The leader of the Rising Star realized that the Archmage was in the Pioneer Lands. He explained that he is a target for many. Pak has another suggestion on this matter. It is considered risky to play solo in the Pioneer Lands. Park wanted to recruit Hyunwoo to be the best team, but he refused. Because of the main scenario, the hero won't be able to do this even if he wants to. Instead, Hyun asked for Silver's equipment and again talked about selling the script. Pak was worried that the Chungwon Guild was targeting Hyun. If he had a plan, he would have requested items for the Pioneer Land. Pak wants to support him, even if he doesn't show all his cards to him. He sent a set of items from Asmo and equipped Gold with it. He gave Silver the fencing set. Yeva reported to the Abyss Guild that the Archmage had not yet received the required quest. He is being watched by a group of people who could not miss this. Emma believes that the Archmage does have a limit. It seems like he can't do whatever he wants with this game. Yeva suggested that the lady find the Archmage in real life. In fact, Emma tried several times to find Hyun in reality. The Archmage is not one to fall for all her tricks. Emma calmed her assistant and told her to continue the task of capturing the Archmage. Meanwhile, Hyun left the game and went to a local cafe. He was worried that Mr. Text was giving him endless quests. The hunt will last approximately 11 minutes, and the player will not be able to broadcast. Suddenly, he received an unexpected message. He was informed that a date had been set for his brother's operation. Soon, Halen's father will be able to get back on his feet and start a new life. Then Hyun will be able to renovate and buy a new home. The whole family will start living and doing what they did before. Hyun decided to leave everything and visit his brother. But suddenly, the glass he was drinking from cracked. It was a bad sign. After the hospital, the young man went to the restricted area. He easily defeated the Black Hyena. There was no particular difficulty here since he was alone, without competitors. But he still can't keep up with the speed of the hyenas. He tested all his skills on the hyenas, using his familiar. The other team members also gave it their all. Even with their top-notch performance, the time still goes past 10 minutes. It takes a fair amount of time to defeat the Black Hyena leader. Hyun believed that his skills were outdated, and that the problem was him. He uses too many skills and items in a chaotic manner. Now the hero can only level up and find a way to fix everything. After the pack of Black Hyenas, he received a quest where he needed to escort Glara. On the hero's path, there will be many Black Hyenas. If Guara dies, the quest will fail. The reward for this quest was an unknown reward. Thanks to his vision, Hyun scanned the entire space and found the danger. As a reward, he wanted to receive the thing of Glara's teacher, Ara. In the future, he wants to continue playing solo. He needs to show what he can do. If he is no different from the other players, then everything will go downhill. Most likely, its competitiveness will decline. Continuing to broadcast will become much more difficult. Not only will views drop, but advertising contracts may also be cancelled. Without profit for the company, the contract with Hyun may be terminated. Then saving up for my brother's operation will become very difficult. Hyun was afraid to let this happen. Glara suggested that Hyun take the safe route. Following the girl, the hero completed the quest. As a reward for this, Glara presented the player with the inheritance of the shaman Ara. After completing the quest, the Crown Mistress's abilities will be released. If several items from the set are equipped, the magic damage increases. If Hyun completes the entire quest, he will gain access to incredible abilities. Now Hyun needs to get a confession from the owner of the items. He can find out the remaining information from Gara. Hyun killed the surrounding Black Hyenas and completed the quest completely. Now the young man must follow in Ara's footsteps to the very end. As a reward for this, he will receive the bronze gloves of Ara. They are compatible with what the hero received from Glara. For his good performance, the young man was given another chance. He drew the Blizzard card. The skill summons a cloud made up of pieces of ice. With such skills, the hero will definitely be able to complete all the quests. In fact, he was nervous because everything was going too smoothly. Now he needs to reach a special level to use Glara's gift. The quest requires him to learn new abilities from Ara. Meanwhile, Rappo called Asmo. He reported that the Chungwon Guild was openly monitoring the Archmage. Asmo speculated that the guild had grown because it consisted of members of the small pack ranking. And Rappo explained that they were simply sponsored by the Abyss and Traveler guilds. That's why the Chungwon Guild's goal is too obvious. Asmo didn't like this situation because the game was made for fun. Rappo showed him Yewa from the Chungwon Guild. She holds a weapon that no one has ever seen before. According to Rappo's information, this is Ara's staff. The Archmage already has enough firepower to break the Abyss Guild's record. According to the information, items and skills that have never appeared before will soon appear. Asmo was not in the mood that this game had completely changed. Hyun was still in the Explorer's restricted area. He no longer had the strength to increase his levels. His assistants offered to finish Ara's training for him, but he was determined to complete it alone. Louis reported to Puck that the Archmage had taken first place in the small rankings. However, he has not been seen recently. Rumors have already started circulating on the Rising Star forum. Everyone thought that the Archmage had lost all his items and money and had simply left the game. Park believed that it wasn't that Hyun was missing, but that he was simply invisible. Pak knew that Hyun was in the Pioneer Lands. Louis decided to find out the location of the Archmage, but Puck refused him. Due to hackers trying to find data, Pak must be careful with employees. This used to happen sometimes too. After the disappearance of the Archmage, hackers became more frequent. Pak decided to hire digital security experts. He remembered that at the time of the call, the Archmage was definitely on the Pioneer lands. To get to these lands, you must complete the Pioneer quest. This is impossible because no one noticed it. This means that the Archmage was deliberately hiding. It turns out that he is now in a place where he can hide from prying eyes. It turns out he only told Paku about his location. The leader needs to secretly prepare something for the next broadcast. By revealing his location, Hyun tried to buy him some time. Pak's friends noticed that Rising Star had posted an ad. The announcement was about searching for an Archmage. Whoever can find him will receive $3 million from the star. Soon the guild players went to the tree forest. They thought Hyun was there because he didn't receive the Pioneer quest. Perhaps the Archmage is simply deliberately not getting in touch. The players recalled a rumor that the Archmage was afraid of running into the Chungwon Guild. Maybe that's why it's encrypted until they move to the next location. These players had no chance of finding Hyun. The Abyss Guild is spreading rumors about the Chungwon Guild. Because of this, the Archmage's image has deteriorated greatly. Emma reported that Yewa would soon openly challenge Hyunwoo. If Hyun refuses, the rumors will become reality. Then the popularity of the Chungwon Guild will increase. The Archmage's popularity will naturally decline. He won't be able to hide forever because he has a limit to his abilities. The guild will buy all the items, so further leveling of Hyun is impossible. In other words, the Abyss Guild has already won. The day of Brother Hyun's surgery arrived. The brother asked Hyun not to worry because he would soon return to the family healthy. Finally, he asked him to take care of Haylin. The operation was underway, and the hero was restless. It's time to take Haylin home. He went after her, and on the way they saw Lee Sol. Haylin recognized Sol as the girl next door. She immediately wanted to play with it. Lee Sol admitted that she has a lot of free time today. Hyun wanted to avoid this and said that he had urgent business. Sol decided to free him from her care and asked him to play with Haylin. She took the girl to visit her. Lee Sol looked like an unusual angel in Hyun's eyes. Now the hero can concentrate on the game. Some time passed, and he took his niece from the guests. The girl admitted that she dreams of a relationship between Lee Sol and Hyun. The protagonist never even thought of Lee Sol in that way. He promised his niece that both in the game and in life, he would be a loner. He returned to the game to complete Ara's training quest. He managed to do it in 10 minutes. Now he has nothing more to learn from Ara. On his 51st try, Hyun passed the test and gained the skill of consciousness. It wasn't easy to complete this quest in the desert alone. The hero reached level 200 and gained another chance. An emerald light appeared among the cards. It was a Hellfire card, legendary tier. It summons the flames of hell and all protective powers disappear. Ara told the hero to kill the monster that appeared in the Golden Valley. Hyun realizes that the difficulty level of the tests is increasing. The hero needs to destroy the altar hidden in the Golden Valley. Meanwhile, the guild players fought the hyenas. The Golden Hyena has reached its third phase. The Buffalo Guild was confident that they would definitely defeat her. Everyone was talking about the Golden Valley boss raid competition. The number of spectators at the event has already exceeded 3 million. The number of viewers has increased because the Archmage has not been broadcasting lately. On just the third attempt, the guild defeated the Golden Hyena. Suddenly, the audience noticed that the state of hygiene was somehow strange. She turned into a black and gold hyena. Viewers have seen something similar before. It was on the Archmage's broadcast of monkey killing. Thus, the Buffalo Guild was destroyed in the blink of an eye. After this, the remaining 5 guilds formed an alliance. They tried to destroy the black and gold hyena, but were defeated. Criticism of the game's sudden increase in difficulty reached the Archmage. Pak's team received various calls on this topic. Pak was worried that new, stronger monsters were appearing. It seems that the Archmage will also have to fight the black golden hyena. Pak decided to start preparing for this little by little. Suddenly his old friend Asmo called him. Asmo mentioned that he sent a gift in honor of Smol's first place in the rankings. He was curious about the reason why the Archmage was hiding. He assumed that the Archmage was hiding due to the circumstances with the black and gold hyena. But he was interested in the fact that the Archmage had begun to change the game of the War of the Gods itself. In other words, one could say that he opened Pandora's box. After the conversation, an application to host the tournament was received from the Chungwon Guild. Rumors about the upcoming tournament have already spread widely across social media. Park couldn't refuse Chungwon because of the audience's unstable mood. Chungwon spoke about a tournament in which 2 teams would compete. They will fight for speed against the Black Hyena. At that moment, the Archmage agreed to participate in the raid on the Black Gold Hygiene. He was grateful that the Rising Star channel was helping him in every possible way. He decided to enter the game and start with broadcasting. He announced to the audience that he had already reached level 200 during this time. He admitted that during his absence, not a single person found him. He showed the audience the uniforms of his assistants. Now Silver has his own equipment. It was a gift from Asmo. Viewers thought that Hyun wouldn't be able to win the raid against Chungwon alone. Not only will he fail to defeat the guild, but he won't even be able to defeat the Black and Gold Hyena. The next broadcast took place in Golden Valley. The entire Archmage's team came face to face with their opponents. The opponent was the Chungwon Guild. Hyun thought that the starting point for the race was different for each team. Yewa said that she was here just to thank Hyun for accepting the challenge. Since there will be a broadcast of this match, Hyun should be polite to his opponents. He asked them not to worry him over trifles because he needed to prepare. Yewa didn't like this pressure because she came here for the competition. She told her team to start preparing as well. If this is how things turn out, she will definitely have to stop the Archmage. Hyun needed to finish what he started, so he went to the Golden Valley. He introduced the audience to the skills of his assistants. To further his battle, he summoned flame golems. Because he reached level 200, the effect of the golem's truth was activated. Right now, he's still a little ahead of the Chungwon Guild, but as soon as he relaxes, they will catch up with him. To boost his strength, Hyun drank some potion. If he continues at this pace, it will be difficult for his opponents to control the tempo. Merlin believed that the hero did not have enough mana to fight the boss. In this broadcast, Hyun wanted to show everything he hadn't shown in a long time. He grabbed the staff and a great spirit seeped out from it. The weapon dissolved, and all the power was absorbed into the hero's hand. Now Hyun will reach the boss's room with both his free hands. These cock races delighted the spectators. The audience understood that Hyun wanted to destroy the Chungwon Guild. Yewa admitted to the audience that the gap between them was growing wider. Be that as it may, it seems that all the guilds were beaten by the Archmage's pace. Yewa announced live on air that she had declared defeat. Although she fell behind the record, she promised the Archmage a battle. Meanwhile, Hyun finished what he started in the Golden Valley. He couldn't believe that the Chungwon Guild had given up so quickly. He didn't pay attention to what was happening and entered the boss's room. A level 229th Black and Gold Hyena appeared in front of him. At this stage, he realized that it was much more comfortable to play alone. For this battle, Hen prepared a familiar, a trident skill, and Inferno. The main skills will be the Ice and Fire Spear and the new Hellfire. Asmo saw this skill in a player for the first time. The murderers came to this place and were surprised by their eyes. The Chungwon Guild relaxed Hyun and allowed the assassins to get here. Players want to catch the moment when the Archmage runs out of steam. And so the hero finished fighting the Black Hyena. He only had one more attack left. Hen sent Lucky and Gold to buy him some time. Gold insisted that the end of the battle be simply left to him. The hero gave the command, and the assistants rushed to their positions. On the same command, the hired killers began active operations. Hyun was focused on attacking the boss and didn't notice the danger, and so the killers struck. Hyun realized that he wouldn't be able to dodge. Blood spilled on the ground. The killers didn't understand why they hadn't succeeded this time. The main character was alive and well. The wolf cub Lucky took the full brunt of the blow. Hyun approached him, but he showed no signs of life. Hen promised the killers that he would never forgive them for this. With all his anger, he unleashed hellfire on them. Without explaining anything, he ended the broadcast. The Black and Gold Hyena still lived. Hen didn't pay any attention to her as he sat next to Lucky's body. The system notified him that Lucky would be unable to fight for 80 hours. In the hidden information, Hen discovered a hidden quest. Gold and Silver defeated the Black Hyena together. They reported to the owner that they had completed the quest. However, Hen didn't care about them. He needs to find Toss in Meteor City within 24 hours to save Lucky. Toss will give a stone that may revive the divine beast. Then Hen will receive an immortal body for a divine being. With eyes like those, finding Toss won't be difficult. To get to the Meteorite City, you need to pass through the stone elephants. This usually takes about 2 days. The hero understands that he will not be able to overcome this path without the wolf cub. He already saw himself losing halfway through. He couldn't give up without even trying. He grabbed Lucky and went to the test. Means and methods were not important to him. Before leaving, he told Gold to absorb the power of the Black Hyena. The Rising Star learned of the incident. She was grateful that the Archmage had at least managed to slay the Black and Gold Hyena. Park realized that the Chungwon Guild had been targeting Hyun from the very beginning. Suddenly, that same Asmo called him. Asmo believed that the guilds had crossed the line. He also realized that they had planned the attack from the very beginning. Pak Asmo decided to continue what they had started. Both teams need to be on their guard at all times to prevent something like this from happening. The guilds were targeting the Archmage's safety, and if it weren't for Lucky, he would be dead. Asmo also spoke about monetary compensation and a public apology to Hyun. It is also necessary for it to be publicly known who is behind the Archmage. No matter how many guilds run away, they will eventually become common prey. Pak promised Asmo to convey all the words of the Chungwon Guild. Meanwhile, the guild players set off on the path of pioneers. They were irritated that the difficulty level increased right on the way to the next location. The Explorers Guild sent them to this dangerous place. They were afraid that they simply wouldn't reach the endpoint. And so they met the stone elephants. The elephants frightened them because they could kill them with just one blow. And then one of the elephants struck with its trunk, throwing the players a long distance away. When the players stood up, they saw Hen running. The main character had 6 hours left to save Lucky. All the way, he fueled himself with recovery potions. As expected, Lucky is greatly missed. Silver, in the form of a black hyena, saved his owner from any monsters. Hen arrived at Meteor City a few hours later. The village was built in a crater left by a fallen meteorite. Numerous blacksmiths gather here. Among them was the toast that Hyun needed. The hero asked him to immediately save his divine beast. He explained that he had heard about salvation using the divine stone Tosa. Toes, unfortunately, said that he does not have the divine stone at the moment. He asked Hen to go look for him and bring him here when he was ready. The hero had only 1 hour left, and from exhaustion the young man fell to the ground. Meanwhile, the Abyss Guild was again dissatisfied with something. Emma was amazed at how the Archmage had improved his special skills. She didn't notice how the Archmage reached level 200 and received Hellfire. Yeva believed they succeeded because they took Lucky out of combat-ready condition. Marilyn believed that with Lucky's death, the Archmage would slow down. Suddenly, a message came that the Archmage was spotted in Meteor City. This couldn't be, since even Yeva would have taken at least 2 days to reach the city. Emma explained to her that the Archmage could even do the impossible. Marilyn was confused that despite Lucky's absence, the player had not become worse. He informed those present that Silver had acquired the skills of Black Deadly Hygiene. Yeva believed that all her actions were in vain. Merlin didn't think so, because it gave him the information he needed. The Archmage reached Meteorite City in just 1 day. Thanks to this, Marilyn was able to calculate what he was capable of. But the gentleman had only one question left. He didn't know what had driven Hen to head to Meteor City at such a pace. Yiwa and Emma assumed he was just testing his skills. He wants to know his limits to prepare for the long run. The question is, why would he do this at this stage? Last time, the player was attacked by a small number of assassins. Hyun needs to evaluate his skills in case of a long escape from a huge company. The Chungwon Guild, as it currently stands, is vulnerable at long range. That's why they gave up while hunting the Black Golden Hyena. Marilyn assumed that Hen was heading to the next location, the city of blacksmiths. Emma ordered that all possible support be given to the killers. They want to challenge the Archmage once again. The next day, it was time for the Archmage's broadcast. 15 minutes had already passed, but an emergency situation arose during the broadcast. They tried to contact the Archmage, but he did not respond. Based on its location, it was revealed that it was located in Meteor City. Viewers were waiting for the broadcast of the resurrection of the wolf cub. Since the action takes place in the city of blacksmiths, new equipment is expected. But suddenly the main character appeared on the broadcast. He resurrected Lucky and made new items. The Abyss Guild and the Chungwon Guild were confused that Lucky was wearing equipment. Hyun was glad that there were no casualties. The money he wanted to use to buy a house disappeared. This money is now in the hands of Toss, who saved Lucky. Toss demanded a huge price for 3 items for the Divine Being and the Guardian. None of the spectators knew that a Divine Being could wear equipment. Asmo noticed a new type of weapon on Hen. The hero also made it in Meteor City. He promised the audience that the previous situation would never happen again. He is happy to accept any number of applications for the big match. However, he will not tolerate the situation that happened in the past. Thanks to his special skill, Lucky will never die again. And it all happened a day ago in the Tosa Forge. Hyun didn't understand why he needed to find the necessary material himself. The Divine Stone is not for sale, and Hyun doesn't know where to find it. He had only 48 minutes left, and his assistants were giving him all the support he could. Hyun understood that there was a way to achieve the impossible. Suddenly he received a call from Mr. Pak. Hen reported that some guild members had malicious intent towards him. Pak confirmed this and showed a video of Miss Yewa. Yewa apologized for the actions of her guild members and sent Hen the necessary item. As an apology, she gave the young man 2 divine stones. Hyun didn't understand how the Chungwon Guild knew about the need for them. He didn't care about this question because he was glad that he would save Lucky. Thus, he completed the Immortal Body quest and resurrected the Divine Being. Hyun thought that the Chungwon Guild wouldn't be able to cause any more mischief in the future. He was grateful to receive constant help from the director. Lucky was resurrected and received the skill of Immortal Body. He can never die in this game again. Along with this, a new quest appeared. Toss wants to modify Arbia's staff. The quest reward is a modified Arbia staff and a stat boost. The game didn't even ask Hen's permission to do this. At the same time, Hen ordered improvements to his other equipment. Taos offered to make equipment for the Divine Being Lucky. Hen had never heard that Divine Beings could have things. He promised Tosu that he would tell the continent about his achievements in exchange for things. Tos agreed and first offered to sign a contract. Because of this, Hen went completely broke, but he leveled up Lucky in such a short time. In addition, he received a new weapon, the Staff of Arbia and Tosa. After this, the hero left the game and met his brother from the hospital. The man will be able to walk freely in a few months. He was grateful to his brother that he could now do everything on his own. According to him, now he can do everything he wanted to do before. He meant that it was time for his brother to start a relationship. Lin revealed that her uncle already had a girlfriend, Lee Sol. Hyun didn't push the issue further and told his brother to take care of his health. Lin's father announced that he was preparing to go to work in communications security. It turned out that he got a job at Rising Star. Meanwhile, Lee Sol was walking and waiting for news from the guild. She remembered that Hen had watched a video about the Archmage on the Rising Star channel. She combined this fact with Lin's story about her uncle. It looks as if Mr. Hen is the Archmage. The girl began to worry that Hyun had not resolved the problem with the Chungwon Guild. She was lost in thought and met Hen on the street. She invited him to go play God Wars together. Hyun said he had to work hard to take care of his family. He admitted that he has had a difficult case lately. But on the plus side, there are many people who support him and help him. These words made Sol think even more. She was absolutely sure that Hen was an Archmage. She was willing to support Hen if the Abyss Guild kept him on the hook. Hen went on Tosa's orders to obtain the necessary materials. He will find them by killing stone, iron, and gem monsters. Lucky helped him with this very well and gained a new level. Gold and Silver also wanted to try out new skills. Previously, Hen gave Gold the riding skill. Riding allows the Guardian to ride and control a beast. For Lucky, the hero also pulled out a pretty good ghost skill. Rising Star received another offer from the Chungwon Guild to hold a battle. They won't be able to use the same trick, so they'll have to challenge him directly. Pak didn't understand why they were in such a hurry, knowing that the guild's image had fallen. Despite the Archmage's firm position, they did it. It turns out that the Chungwon Guild is seriously targeting the Archmage and is waiting for him. Pak was glad that he could contact Hyun thanks to the new security service. Hen completed Tosa's errands and received the Divine Stone. This stone was sent to him by Asmo for his efforts. Hyun was thinking about selling it for a higher price, or putting it aside while he was moving. Suddenly, he received another call from the director. Park reported on the Chungwon Guild's statement. The protagonist was glad that they were serious about having a big match. Pak explained that it was very difficult to refuse this request, and the hero agreed. He understood that Yeva's guild had given him the stone and would not attack again. Pak didn't understand why the player agreed to this proposal so quickly. He told Chungwon that they should be extremely careful this time. He wants to show that his opponents are no match for him. Pak reported that the Divine Stone was sent by Mr. Asmo because of the situation with Lucky. Now Hen has 3 Divine Stones. If he sells all 3 stones, he will be able to buy a new house. He arrived at Tos and reported his findings. Another quest has appeared, which requires giving these stones to Tosu. Tos will create an item he has long dreamed of. The hero didn't want to spend the Divine Stone so easily. Despite internal refusals, he still completed the quest conditions. At the same moment, a meteorite fell on this city. At the site of his fall, a unique location for Hen appeared. The fall field will open in 2 days, and he will be able to receive an unknown reward in it. Meanwhile, Emma sent a request to the Explorers Guild for a big match. The Chungwon Guild has no reason to seek revenge. The Abyss gave Hen a Divine Stone, and now he finds it difficult to refuse the match. This time, the Abyss planned to carry out their plan. The audience discussed that the meteorite's fall was caused by the Archmage. Now all the top guilds gather there. They say that a match between the Archmage and the Chungwon Guild will take place at the new location. The guild players went to the meteorite crater. They wanted to get to the crash site faster than the Archmage, but on the way they came across huge orcs. The tanks took the brunt of the attack, but did not cause any damage. The ruby orcs threw them into the rock with one blow. After this, the other players started running. They belonged to a top guild that couldn't handle one orc. If they don't do anything, they will simply die like dogs. According to the rules of the location, they will not be able to leave here for 24 hours. One of the players realized the seriousness of the challenge and left the game. The remaining guild member was left alone with the orc and was killed. Yeva contacted the audience and announced the upcoming battle. Her team looks exhausted, and this is their 6th major battle. Viewers switched to Hyun's channel, where he showed himself riding a golem. He was offended that he didn't encounter any monsters on his way. However, he wanted to preserve as much stamina as possible for the boss. Using his eyes, he discovered the Travelers Guild hiding ahead. He wanted to avoid a collision with them. He ordered the golem to change course and turn around. Spectators suggested that Hen should specifically look for players in ambush. This way he can save stamina and attract interest. Rising Star has received a new request for assistance from the Chungwon Guild. Pak had been expecting this request, and ordered his assistant to process it immediately. Mr. Asmo contacted Pak again. He reported that the Travelers Guild had entered into a game with the Archmage. Earlier, Hen told viewers that 300 people were approaching him. Asmo told Pak that it was he who told the Travelers to go there. He was interested to see who would kill the boss first. The Travelers are likely to lose despite their numerical advantage. If Asmo and the Archmage lose, they will reveal 2 facts about the main scenario. If they win, they will get free passage to the next location, the desert. In other words, players will not interfere with Hen in the desert no matter what he does. Emma wanted to at least get information about the main scenario in this way. Meanwhile, Hen and his team fought the Diamond Orcs. Seeing this, Emma realized that she had no other choice. Yeva easily reached the place where the main boss is. None of her assistants enter this place because no one knows about the boss's power. Hen also entered the area and his camouflage and other skills activated. He announced that he would be the first to kill this boss using a game of tag. Despite Yeva's efforts, he struck the Divine Meteorite once. He only has 28 attacks left. After one blow, an incredible number of Diamond Orcs appeared. The hero used the skill of miniaturization and riding. He destroyed mobs with a combination of magic. Emma watched what was happening and was furious. She didn't understand why the Chungwon Guild and the Travelers Guild were just standing there. They should have at least followed Hen to show some active actions. Yeva ordered her assistants to find the boss for her. Players thought they needed to deal with the mobs first to clear the way to the boss. Emma explained that they would find the boss if they gathered all the monsters together. Despite the danger of the situation, she wanted to find the boss faster than the Archmage. Meanwhile, Hen was entertaining himself with the Divine Meteorite by playing tag. Soon, he and his team defeated this Divine Meteorite. Asmo was told that the boss was in the mood for a game of tag. If this were a normal raid, the Chungwon and Traveler Guilds would definitely have won. The Archmage acted as if he knew what was going to happen. Emma ordered her assistant to continue monitoring the Archmage, and, if possible, hack him. And I always wanted to be ahead of the Archmage, to get through the main scenario faster than him. She wanted to find Kim Min-soo's legacy faster than Hyun. Earlier, several years ago, Emma went to the hospital where the game's creator was being treated. He considered games to be a simple form of entertainment. He assured Emma that the goal of the game could change depending on the style of the players who came to it. The man didn't want to let Emma change the game in her direction. This man's name was Kim Min-soo. After Emma's visit, the guild received a letter from Kim Min-soo. This was a kind of legacy of Kim Min-soo. It says that the code that allows you to change the characteristics of the game is hidden at the end of the game. The point of the main scenario is to find the map to this key. Hen defeated the Divine Meteorite and obtained it as an item. It will allow Hen to control the power of items from the Divine Meteorite. Hen did not explain to viewers what kind of stone it was, and ended the broadcast. After that, he returned to Tos, who was waiting for him. Hen brought him the very same divine stone that he had just received. Tos asked Hen for permission to work with such a valuable item. During the quest, Hen can upgrade the pendant and ring using this stone and receive a reward. These were the old regular level 80 items. After some time, the new items were ready. The Ring of Zager has now absorbed the power of a mighty meteorite, and its characteristics have been improved. The cursed pendant combined the power of the cursed creature and the power of the meteorite. Tos reported to Hen that something unexpected had happened during the improvement process. To use the power of the meteorite and pendant, you will have to spend more mana. Hen donned the valuable equipment and set off to continue completing quests. The main scenario requires him to go to the crater and use the meteorite's power. In an instant, Hen found himself in an abandoned crater. Besides the quest, he wanted to test the effect of the shooting star he received from the set. Thanks to the falling star, he felt the full force of the meteorite within himself. This skill appears to work in conjunction with other items and skills. Hen released a fiery flame from himself using this skill. At that very moment, a bright star appeared in the sky and then fell sharply. When she fell to the ground, there was a huge explosion. Rising Star made sure that the Traveler and Chungwon guilds were under control, although this bet was a losing one for them. They accused the Archmage of having information about the boss of this match. He explained to them that he had won because he was an outstanding Archmage. Because of this, the number of viewers on the channel reached 66 million. Rising Star was given free access to the desert. Now it doesn't matter what the Archmage will do in the desert, which is watched by the Travelers. In other words, they can only watch, even if he plays a big match there. Pak told Lewis to immediately call the top 10 guilds. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo needs to visit Eveni within 15 days. If Hen doesn't do this, the unknown will find him immediately. Hen was uneasy about this quest condition. He realized that this was the same guy he had seen in the forbidden area of the Golden Fields. That guy was level 444. Hyun ordered his assistants to immediately start running to search. Soon they ran into the desert and some problems arose. Silver demanded that they keep running and not give up. Hyun knew that crossing the desert would lead to actual suicide. It has two main disadvantages. The desert is dotted with oases, which are used as passes. The hero won't be able to simply run between them. He will need to go through each location to move on to the next one. In other words, the desert is infinitely vast, and its level of difficulty is high. The biggest problem was the surveillance of the Travelers Guild. If they plan to follow Hen, the hero won't be able to find Aveni in 10 days. The unknown will come to him, and then it could be the end of the game. Now Hyun's main task is to come to an agreement with the Travelers Guild. He decided to discuss this issue with Pakistan. Pak reported to him that the negotiations with the Travelers Guild had already been completed. Travelers will not disturb the Archmage in the desert. On top of that, Rising Star even signed a contract with them. If that's the case, then Hen will succeed. He told Pak that he was planning a desert tour. Puck realized that this way he could determine whether the meteorite's power would be a problem. It turns out that Puck saw the Archmage at the moment he received the meteorite. He acted ahead of the curve and negotiated with the travelers in advance. The protagonist was grateful to the channel for such support and service. Meanwhile, Yaewei appeared in the desert oasis. Deserts usually start from this oasis, so the Archmage will pass here. Meanwhile, Hyun was already approaching this place with all his might. The meeting between the Archmage and Yaewei did not take long to happen. The girl believes that their confrontation at the site of the meteorite fall was variable. It certainly didn't look like a real duel. The hero interrupted her and said that he needed to go. Yaewei clearly wanted to ask for a new match. Hyun couldn't tell her that he was in a hurry because of the main quest. He changed the subject and politely announced that he was preparing for a tour. He disappeared from her sight and asked her to send all the details by mail. It was a surprise to Yaewei that he was preparing for a desert tour. Meanwhile, Rising Star gathered the top guilds for a meeting. Pak announced to them the start of the auction for a place in the desert tournament. Recently, all guilds were interested in the hot question of tickets for the tour. All guilds immediately offered expensive items for a single ticket. The Abyss Guild joined the auction and offered the royal key for the ticket. Pak didn't expect guilds to offer such cool items on a simple auction. The hero needs to find Aveni in 10 days, and during the desert tour, he must adjust to the speed of the participants. He is afraid that he won't be able to do it in the required number of days. He can't force the participants to run. He also cannot openly use his clairvoyance. Tour participants can suggest a different route, and then Hyun will not be able to refuse them. He was worried that now he couldn't cancel this tour. First of all, he needs to get at least a little closer to Aveni before the start of the tour. He asked a friend to prepare a capsule for him. Ju turned him down for the first time because of an important broadcast. He watched Marilyn's broadcast from the Abyss Guild channel. Marilyn announced that his guild had received an Archmage's tour of the desert. Her bet was the king's key. The leader explained that his guild would not be directly involved in the tour. He decided that they would show all the broadcasts and recordings from the tour for free to their viewers. This means that the Archmage must play alone. Pak was worried that his decision had set the Archmage up. The Abyss Guild had him fooled with that royal key. She got it when she first defeated the Desert King, and it never dropped again. Currently, there is only one such item in God Wars. Whoever goes to Aveni with the royal key will open the way to the tomb. After passing it, you can reach the sacred tomb. It turns out that Puck forced the Archmage to cross the desert alone. He decided to call Asmo and discuss the situation. Asmo reproached Pa for setting up the Archmage. The Abyss Guild used the desert tour as an excuse. They want the Archmage to go solo on the royal tomb raid. This is a dungeon that even the Abyss Guild can't enter. The Abyss Guild knows the Archmage's route and has begun preparations. Emma announced that everything had been ready for a long time. In this location, monsters attack from every nook and cranny. If Hen focuses too much on the monsters, it will be difficult for him to predict an ambush. In addition, the guild will be able to follow him on air. Emma announced that her people had already begun to act. They have 3 poisoned royal swords with them. The protagonist was glad that he went through the desert alone. Spectators were afraid that monsters would attack him from anywhere. They were right, because a sand snake flew out of the sand. Hen sent Silver to deal with her. Lucky rushed to his aid and killed the monster. The hero also noticed that 6 killers were following him. Rappo asked the hero to demonstrate the power of the meteorite. The protagonist decided to combine these 2 events into one. He announced to the audience that he would demonstrate the meteorite on bare sand. When he used Dragon Fever and Shooting Star, the assassins knew about the skill test. They had no idea that Hyun was planning to attack them. He fired an ice arrow in the direction of the killers. The killers realized that they would not be able to dodge at such a distance. In addition, blocks of ice began to fall on them. The killers realized that the hero had noticed them. Hyun told viewers that he accidentally killed his pursuers during a skills test. The killers dropped something worthwhile. These were the 3 poisoned blades of the Desert King. They can destroy any body with poison, and now they belong to Hen. The hero decided to test them and summoned spiritual warriors. After that, he finally reached Aveni. He gave the poisoned blades to the warriors to test them. The warriors killed the sand snakes too easily, and the broadcast became boring. It's good that Hen was able to quickly get to Eveny and please the audience. However, at the entrance stood the Travelers Guild. Perhaps they took credit for the tomb that the abyss failed to clear. Hen pushed one of the guards aside and he didn't do anything to him. Thanks to Pak, passage through the desert was free. Thus Hen entered the abode of Ivani. The floral setting made the characters feel like they were in another world. In the flower meadow, Hen heard a voice from a flower. It was the same little Eveny that Hen was looking for. To negotiate with the player, she sat on his shoulder. Hen decided to ask her about the divine power from the pendant, and about the unknown creature.